The Mario franchise dates back 43 years. So, as you would expect, there are a lot of Mario enemies. And in fact, we're going to cover every single one in this video. To start, in this video, I'm going to use almost every single Mario game. This includes games starring Mario, Luigi, Peach, Yoshi, Wario, and Toad. Now, I could list every single one of those games, but it's easier to say the ones I'm not counting. I'm not counting the Donkey Kong Country series, as I feel Donkey Kong games are different than Mario games, but I will be counting the original Donkey Kong arcade series, as Mario is the protagonist of the first one. I said I would count Wario games, but I'm not counting WarioWare, mostly because WarioWare is just a series of minigames. And no Super Smash Bros., which is honestly for the best, because figuring out what an enemy is in this game would be extremely confusing. And one last thing before we begin. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Alright, I'm going to break these enemies down into groups. And our first group is going to be Goombas and Goomba-like enemies. And obviously first in the Goomba category is, well, the Goomba. This little guy is pretty much seen in every single Mario game. As far as basic Mario enemies go, they're probably the most well known. Goombas, as most people know, are based on shiitake mushrooms. And in fact, their first sprite was literally just a recoloring of the mushroom from the original game. Even just the basic Goomba has a bunch of different looks. But my absolute favorite is this little guy. Yep, this is an official sprite used in an officially licensed Mario game. I love him so much and none of you can hurt him. Moving on, we have the Gloomba, who was originally just a palette swap Goomba from the underground levels of the original Super Mario Bros. But in Paper Mario, they were officially given a name, and it is stated that their color comes from the lack of sunlight. We also have Shoe Goomba, who was first seen in Super Mario Bros. 3. They hop around in these little tiny shoes, and Mario can actually defeat them and take over the shoe. Due to Mario Maker, we get lots of variants of this, like the Big Shoe Goomba, the Wing Shoe Goomba, the Big Wing Shoe Goomba, Stiletto Goomba, Big Stiletto Goomba, Wing Stiletto Goomba, and Big Wing Stiletto Goomba. Mario Maker also has one other great feature to remember. All enemies can be given parachutes. In Super Mario 3D World, we see Skating Goomba, a Goomba who just enjoys ice skating. We also have Cat Goomba, who's a Goomba with the bell power-up that turns him into a cat. We have Para Goomba, who is a Goomba with wings, and usually when jumped on turns into a regular Goomba. In Super Mario 3, we even see these guys swooping down and dropping Mini Goombas. These Mini Goombas are really annoying. They grab onto Mario and make him slower. But most of the time, small Goombas are just that, undersized Goombas that swarm Mario. We also have the Para Goomba, not to be confused with the Para Goomba. This is another variation of the Para Goomba with spikes on his head, only found in the Mario Clash Virtual Boy game. We have Pile Driver Micro Goomba. This is a little Goomba who has a block on his head and jumps at Mario. Big Goomba, also known as Grand Goombas, Giant Goombas, or Mega Goombas. And when jumped on, they sometimes break into two Goombas, or sometimes they break into two Hefty Goombas, another type of Goomba that when jumped on breaks into two regular Goombas. We also have Big Para Goomba, which is a winged big version of the Goomba. Now that we've mentioned all of the Goomba variants in Mario Maker, we can mention they can be given parachutes. Paper Macho Goomba is a paper mache Goomba from Paper Mario the Origami King. It also comes in mummy form, which is identical but chilly. The collectible treasure about it actually says a Paper Macho Goomba that looks like a mummy, but it's actually just cold. It's cold inside ancient temples. We have the Goomba variant Galoomba. This Goomba variant looks more like chestnuts rather than mushrooms. When jumped on, they also aren't defeated, but rather flip over and can be picked up and thrown by Mario. We have the Paragaloomba, which is a Galoomba that does some hopping with wings, also turns into a regular Galoomba when stomped on. Parachute Galoomba, which is a Galoomba that parachutes down in Super Mario World. Big Galoomba, which is a giant Galoomba. There's also Ghost Goomba, which is exactly what it sounds like and only seen in Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. In that game, we also see Masked Ghoul, which is a reskinned Goomba in a hockey mask. They're even confirmed to be cosplaying Goombas in the Super Mario manga. There's also Aqua Goomba, a scuba diving Goomba. And very similar to him, we have Goom Diver, who is also a scuba diving Goomba. And if you thought we were almost done with Goombas, you couldn't be more wrong. We're just scratching the surface. Remember I said there was a Parachute Galoomba earlier? Oh yeah, and Big Paragaloomba is a thing. Alright, let's stray away from the basic Goombas for a little bit and go to the Octa Goomba, which are originally known as Electro Goombas. This enemy is very similar to the Octorok from the Legend of Zelda series. In Galaxy 1, they just try to headbutt Mario, but in Galaxy 2, they actually shoot projectiles, which makes sense based on their mouth. There's also the Elite Octa Goomba, a green variant that shoots 2 rocks at a time. Octo Guy, these shoot their rocks in an arc rather than in a straight line. There's also the Rockto, a large Octo Goomba that either shoots rocks or coconuts, and Mario can knock back the coconuts to hurt him. Oh, and don't forget the Slurple. These leech onto Mario like the mini Goombas from Super Mario Bros. 3, though in this game they drain health. Sticking with some Galaxy enemies, we also have the Goombeetle, a Goomba with an armored shell on his head, and the shell protects it from being jumped on. When you spin it, they flip over, exposing their weak bottoms so they can be defeated. Alright, here's the first enemy I think you could argue isn't a Goomba, but I put him in the Goomba category because he's pretty similar. This is the Prongo from Super Mario 3D Land. This is a two-legged enemy with no arms that seems to have a metal recycling bin with spikes on its head. Prongos also try to dive at Mario in an arc and get stuck in the ground if they miss. Similar to the Prongo, we have the Little Marcher. This little guy is only seen in Yoshi's Crafted World, and only when you set off an alarm where they'll come from trapdoors. Alright, back to more traditional Goombas, we have the Armored Goomba, a regular Goomba with a pot on its head from the Mario Rabbids Spark of Hope game. We then have the spookiest Goomba, the Jacko Goomba, and yes, I think it's more scary than the Masked Ghoul. In the Galaxy games, these can actually spit blue flames. The Pumpkin also acts like a shield, being destroyed on the first hit rather than destroying the Goomba, though a ground pound will easily defeat these. Oh, just in case you were worried that was the only pumpkin-based Goomba, we actually also have the Splunkin. These also take 2 jumps to kill or a single ground pound, but if jumped on twice, they'll actually explode. This little guy is the Prickly Goomba. We have these Goombas with hats, and throughout the series, Goombas with hats usually don't do anything special, but in Super Mario 64 DS, these little guys run away, and defeating them gives you the cap of the person they were wearing, which will transform you into the corresponding character. There's also Tail Goomba, big and small. Goombas are also shown to have extremely good balance, as with the Goomba Tower. Sometimes we see Gold Goombas, which are actually first seen in Super Mario RPG as part of the Goomba Thumping minigame, where they're worth 3 points rather than a regular Goomba being worth only 1 point. And actually, the system of a Gold Goomba being worth more points will be implemented into many Mario Party games. The first game where they're more of a standard enemy is New Super Mario Bros. 2, where when you grab the gold ring, it turns all the enemies into gold, including Goomba Towers, Mini Goombas, and Para Goombas. Continuing down the Goomba rabbit hole, we have the Bone Goomba, who was originally just a Goomba clone and actually only took 1 shot to defeat, but in Super Mario Wonder they instead take 2 shots to defeat, with the first jump removing the helmet. Because of the skull helmet, they're also immune to fireballs. Another relative of the Goomba is the Goombrat, a species of Goomba that first appeared in New Super Mario Bros. U. The biggest difference between these and Goombas is that these guys turn around when they reach edges rather than walking off like traditional Goombas. And this guy is a Super Mario Maker enemy. In Mario Maker 2, we are also introduced to the Goombud, which is essentially a Goombrat but in the Super Mario World style. They also act like Galoombas in a lot of ways, meaning if they're stomped on, they will flip over and can be picked up. Oh, and I know you see Mario Maker on the screen. There's also the Balloon Goomba, which is a Goomba attached to a balloon that slowly floats upward. And once popped, the Balloon Goombas turn into normal Goombas. One of my personal favorite Goombas is the Inner Tube Goomba. These little guys like to float peacefully in their inner tubes, but when Mario gets close, they'll paddle and try and hit him. There's also the Goombette, which is only seen in Super Mario Odyssey. Though many would assume that Goombette is a character, she is actually just a generic female Goomba. And we know this because you're able to spawn more than one in at once. Hotel Mario has a couple of strange Goombas that are absolutely silly, like the Bellhop Goomba and Rhinestone Goomba. Honestly, if there's one Goomba I want to see come back, it's the Rhinestone Goomba. My favorite name for a Goomba has to be the Pro Goomba, which is just a stronger variant of the Goomba in Super Mario RPG. Heading back to the Gloombas from earlier, we have some variants of them, including the Paragloomba and Spiky Galoomba. There's also the Hyper Goomba, which looks like the Pro Goomba but is actually a different enemy, the Hyper Paragoomba and the Hyper Spike Goomba, which are Goombas with the ability to charge their attack extremely high. In Super Paper Mario, we also see the Head Bonk Goomba, which is literally just a Goomba that tries to head bonk you. Also in Super Paper Mario, there are variants of a lot of the enemies that are just called Dark, like Dark Goomba, Dark Spike Goomba, Dark Headbonk Goomba, which is indistinguishable from the regular Goomba, and Dark Paragoomba. These are all just stronger variants of their counterparts that are found in the Flopside Pit of 100 Trials. The Paper Mario series also gives us some very strange Goombas, like the Paper Cone Goomba, who's folded to be a spike, the Shiny Cone Goomba, the Two-Fold Goomba, the Five-Fold Paragoomba, the Small Wheel Goomba, which is a group of Goombas that combine to make a wheel, the Mural Goomba, this is the creepiest Goomba out there, Kill! Along with the Small Goomba Gang, which is a large group of Goombas that all attack together. And for one last weird paper Goomba, we also have the Accordion Goomba. Now we talked about the Tail Goomba earlier, and very similar to that is the Tanoomba, which is Tanuki mixed with a Goomba, but not to be confused with the Tanuki power-up. It's very confusing. A stronger version of those is Tashruba. In Super Mario Land, we see a small Goomba relative called the Goombo, which isn't a mini Goomba, but is actually its own thing. In Mario & Luigi's Bowser's Inside Story, Mario and Luigi venture inside of Bowser, where they see a lot of weird enemies, like the Goombool, and the stronger version, the Elite Goombool. There's also the Gromba and the Dromba, which are the same enemies, with the Dromba being the stronger one. There's also the Goomba R, which is the stronger version of the Goomba in Mario & Luigi Dream Team. There's also the Sub Goomba and the Sub Goomba X, who are soldiers working for Private Goomp and can transform into copies of him, with the X ones being the stronger version. Also in Mario & Luigi Dream Team, we see the Dreamy Goomba, a blue Goomba only seen in the final battle with Dreamy Bowser. Next, we have the Paper Goomba. There's also Shiny Paper Goomba, which is a stronger variant of the Paper Goomba. There's also the Paper Para Goomba, along with its shiny form, the Shiny Paper Para Goomba. Next is our first taste of enemies from Super Princess Peach, which is a game centered around emotions. So we get enemies based on these emotions, like the Mad Goomba and the Mad Para Goomba. As one might expect, these are more aggressive than standard Goombas. There's also the Sad Goomba and the Sad Para Goomba, both of which will sit crying until Peach gets near them. Another Goomba is the Gritty Goomba. No, not the Gritty Goomba, the Gritty Goomba. And its stronger counterpart, the Elite Gritty Goomba. Because of their spears, these can't be jumped on. There's a Jail Goon, which is a robot cage with a Goomba captured inside it. Up next is the Wandering Goom, an enemy in the first Wario Land that is actually completely harmless. There's also the Pirate Goom, who is a Goom wielding a spear. It was actually the progenitor for a lot of Wario enemies carrying spears. Paragoom, which you'd think would be a Goom with wings, but it's not. It's a Goom with a parasol, and they use a parasol similar to a shield. There's this wizard with a magic wand who shoots magic at Wario, and though this might not look like a Goomba at all, it's actually revealed to be two Gooms in a trench coat on top of each other. Also in Wario Land 2, we have the Punch, who is an enemy in boxing gear that actually tries to, well, punch Wario. In Super Mario Sunshine, we're introduced to the Big Nose Goomba variant, Stroll and Stew. They have both characteristics of the Goomba and the Galoomba, where they can be defeated both with a single jump or flipped over with Flood so that you can kick them. There's also Smoldering Stew, who is a strolling stew on fire, Wing Strolling Stew, which is what you think of flying strolling stew. And last for the stews is Swiping Stew, green stews that try and steal Mario's hat. Hilariously, if they steal the hat, they also grow a mustache, which is just amazing. In Super Mario Odyssey, we meet the Burbo, who is intended to be an even weaker form of Goomba. That's right, Super Mario Odyssey wanted a weaker Goomba. These come in 5 different colors. Returning to the Wario Land series, we have Curry, who are shaped like the edible part of a chestnut and only seen in the Wolfen Boss fight. Wario Land 4 is the Maru Men. These are the weakest enemy in this given game, and if Wario uses a smash attack, it'll change them from purple to red and vice versa. Wario Land Shake It's Goomba variant is the Banderino, which comes in many different colors. The red one being the standard one, the yellow ones jumping in arcing patterns, the white ones that are always found sleeping, and the golden ones who drop a lot of coins. There's also the blue ones, aka the floating Bandanero. These ones can inflate themselves and float. There's also a golden variant of the floating Bandanero. There's also the Pitchfork, a Bandanero with a fork on its head. They can be either blue or purple. There's also the Boomdanero. These are armored cannons that shoot spike balls at Wario. The silver one is stationary, and the red one walks. Buccanero, a pirate Bandanino with a sword, and Plunger, the diver Bandanero. Next we have perhaps the cutest Goomba variant, the Barney Bubble. And yes, he's named after a Flintstones character. These are pudgy little guys that when jump on, make bubbles. They're actually amazing. In the puzzle game Wario Woods, we're introduced to the enemy Fuzz, who was originally blue in the NES version, but in the updated version comes in 8 different colors. Also in that game was the Squeak, who also originally came in only 1 color, but much like its friend Fuzz, was given 8 colors. Wario Woods also has more Goomba-like enemies in the form of Beaker and Spud. In the newest installment of the main series Mario games, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, we'll meet the Out-Ma-Way, a little guy that walks back and forth on platforms and kicks ice blocks and shells that he comes in contact with. Back to enemies from inside Bowser's body, we have the Biftus, who is a shield and spear-wielding antibody. They also have the stronger form, the Biftus X. In Donkey Kong for the Game Boy, there's the Giatoru, little Goomba guys with skulls in their heads that can walk on walls and ceilings. Back to the Yoshi series, we have Bert, who immediately makes me regret saying that Barney Bubble is the cutest. These little guys always come in pairs and like to bounce off each other's heads. And much like Ken, Bert also comes in beach form, which means he sits in an inner tube and throws balls at Yoshi. Another Bert relative is the Bobber, who sit at the bottom of ropes and swing back and forth. Mild is another adorable enemy of Yoshi's that when jumped on pop like balloons. There's also the Big Mild, who when ground pounded breaks into 4 standard size Milds. This next enemy I think might be the most controversial one to put in the Goomba category, and it's the Bully, and his counterpart, the Big Bully. These charge at Mario just like Goombas, but they don't hurt Mario, but instead knock him back. Bully is also a Mario Maker enemy. Wario Land Shake It has the Peekaboom, little bomb-throwing Goomba-like dudes. This little thing is a Snag Stitch. Although I couldn't find anything saying this is related to the Goomba, it looks a lot like one to me. In Virtual Boy Wario Land, there's also the Mask Guy and the Flame Mask Guy, with the Mask Guy having a spear in the front of him, and the Flame Mask Guy having spikes on top. And it also has the ability to breathe fire, obviously. Another mask-wearing enemy of Wario's is the Totsumen. These little guys put their heads down and charge at Wario. Manhanma is a hammer-wielding masked enemy. Returning to Super Mario Wonder, we have the Gamboo, which comes in green, purple, gold, and silver. These enemies are found solo or stacked on each other's heads. The gold and silver variants can be electrified and are immune to fire. And last but not least for this category are Ninjas. Little ninja guys that jump up and down in place. There's also the Big Ninja, which is seen in Super Mario Bros. 2 Super Mario Advance. There's also the Paper Ninja, the Shiny Paper Ninja, and the Toy Ninja. Alright. Finally, we can move on to a brand new category, and this is elemental enemies. And we'll start off with the fire one specifically. First is the fireball, seen in the original Donkey Kong arcade game. They're also seen in the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series. These are fire enemies possessed by ghosts. Sometimes they're also referred to as trouble bugs, but they're not actually bugs at all. There's also a bigger variant of the fireball simply known as fire. In Super Mario Land 2, we have Fire Boy, also a little fireball enemy. In Donkey Kong for the Game Boy, we see the Fyachu, which are little fireballs with feet that replace the fireball from the original arcade game. Next is the lava bubble, commonly referred to by its Japanese name, Potaboo. These originally were just fireballs that hopped out of the lava, but they eventually would be given eyes showing that they are indeed alive. Though most of them are known for just jumping up and down, there are flying variants that also bounce off the wall. In Super Mario Maker, giving a lava bubble wings makes it act in this manner. There's also giant lava bubbles, aka Big Lava Bubble, and because this is a Mario Maker enemy, it can be given wings as well. Oh yeah. In Mario Kart, we see the Lava Bubble Cog. This is a mixture of the Fire Bar and the Potaboo. In Super Mario RPG, we get the Lava Blubble, a blue lava bubble with low HP and defense, but high evasiveness and attack stats. There's the Lava Babble, which is straight up a stronger version of the Lava Bubble in Super Mario RPG. This next one technically isn't the Fire Elemental. It is very closely related, as it's pretty much the same thing. It's the Poison Bubble, a purple Potaboo made out of poison rather than fire. Oddly enough, these are only seen in the mobile game Super Mario Run. In the original Paper Mario and Thousand Year Door, we see cyan-covered lava bubbles known as embers. And as you might expect, they're just stronger versions of the lava bubble. In Thousand Year Door, we also see the Phantom Ember, a green and even stronger version. In Paper Mario Color Splash, in the final battle with Black Bowser, we see a black lava bubble. There's also a blue lava bubble in Galaxy 2, which float around and try to attack Mario. Super Mario Wonder has the Rumble, an extra big lava bubble that travels on a track. In Paper Mario The Origami King, we see the Paper Macho Lava Bubble. These are created by bombs falling into the lava, and they try and hop out on the land to hit Mario. There's also the Lava Ghost, a lava bubble with a scary face that jumps in an arcing pattern. Sticking to Yoshi enemies, we have the Lava Drop, fire enemies that fly either up and down or left to right. The Super Mario Galaxy games have Lil Cinder. The main difference between these and traditional lava bubbles is they will try and chase Mario. The Hothead is a ball of fire that looks similar to a sun and slowly follows along the edge of platforms. The smaller variant of these is known as the Lil Sparky, which is smaller and moves much faster. In Yoshi's Island and Yoshi's New Island, we see the Pyro Dangles, an enemy that move just like hotheads, but they will ignite on and off and only do damage while lit. In Mario & Wario, there's an enemy called Guri Guri, which acts exactly like a Little Sparky. In fact, if these had an English name, I would assume they would be Little Sparky. Super Mario Bros. 3 first introduced us to the Fire Snake, a large fireball with a fire tail that follows it. Much like the Potaboo, this enemy didn't have eyes to start, but was later given them. There's also the Floof, an adorable yarn fireball. Also in this game is Wick, a little indestructible fire ghost that moves up and down. There's the Komori Missile, or Bat Missile, which is a bat-shaped fireball projectile. A very iconic fire enemy is the Angry Sun, first introduced in Super Mario Bros. 3, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a sun that is PO'd. This thing tries to swoop down and hit Mario. In Super Mario Maker 2, we're introduced to this absolutely cursed version that is seen in the new Super Mario Bros. U style. It's awful. Similar to the Angry Sun, Wario Land 3 has the Sun, which is a sun that shoots fireballs at Wario. Hotfoot, an enemy that sits on top of a candle and will slowly walk at Mario. There's also the Flim Flam, a flame enemy from Wario Land Shake It. The Splorch, a large scary lava bubble that will roll after Mario. The Fire Elemental Ghost from Luigi's Mansion, which when sucked up allows the Poltergeist 3000 to shoot flames. There's also a strange enemy only seen in Super Mario World known as the Blarg, which is a weird dinosaur that hops out of lava and tries to hit Mario. And though I just said the Blarg doesn't appear in another game, there's a different kind of Blarg seen in the Yoshi's Island games, which are enemies comprised completely of lava. Gargantua Blarg, which is the same thing but much larger. Tall Gargantua Blarg, which is obviously just a taller version. There's also the Magmarg, which is a Blarg with more of a dragon face. The Charvarg, a variant with a snake-like body and wings that completely jumps out of the lava. Magmar, which is pretty much exactly a Blarg. And the Magmad, which is pretty similar to a Blarg as well, though this one does appear to have a living creature inside of it. Super Mario Wonder has the Rarg, a lava dog that attaches itself to walls and will launch at Mario as he passes by. Yoshi's Island has the Hot Lips, a Blarg that spits lava at Yoshi. Volcanon, which are exactly what you would expect, a mixture of a cannon and a volcano. There's the cutest fire enemy, the Hot Dog, a little tiny fire dog that shoots fireballs. The Flame Face, a fire enemy that acts as a roadblock and can only be put out by Princess Peach's tears. Back inside Bowser's body, we have the Calorite, a fire enemy that can power itself up with the logs it has. And last but not least, for the fire enemies, we have the Bobo, little fire guys that shoot slow fireballs. Let's move from fire to electric enemies. First is the Spark, which is essentially the exact same thing as a hothead, but it is electric. Sparky, a floating electrical ball that in its art just looks like a spike ball. It's actually quite confusing. Magnet Sparky, these are blue and move just like sparks, but only on magnetic surfaces. Super Mario 64 introduced us to Amp, where they move along in set patterns and electrify Mario if he runs into them. However, in New Super Mario Bros, these are just stationary enemies. Much like the Amp, there's the Big Amp, which is what you would expect, a bigger Amp. Returning to Bowser's body, we have the Naps, an electrical enemy whose name is a play on Synapse, and its stronger variant, Air Naps. Super Mario Wonder has the Jumping Spark, which is an electrical enemy that acts extremely similar to lava bubbles. Shifting elements, let's go to ice. And first is Freezy. Though Freezy was introduced in the OG Mario Bros. Game, it's really not an enemy we see a lot of. But these guys are most recognizable as a weapon from the Super Smash Bros. Series. Back to Galaxy games, we have Lil Burr, who is the frozen counterpart to Little Cinder, Ice Elemental Ghost. Sucking this up in the vacuum lets you shoot ice out of it. Icicle Mites are icicle enemies in Wario World. Ice Pack is a living ice pack that accompanies a specific thwomp that we will get to later. Super Mario Bros. 2 gave us our first taste of snowman enemies, that being Flurry, a little snowman that will quickly pursue after Mario, but will often over pursue and fall off edges. Yoshi's Island has Dr. Freezegood, snowman on skis that will go down slopes, though if they're not on a slope, they'll just sit there. I'm actually honestly not sure if this one is alive, but in my experience, everything with a face is alive in the Mario universe. If Dr. Freezegood never got his doctorate, he would be Mr. Blizzard, a Mario 64 enemy that either jumps or tries to throw snowballs at Mario. Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story has the Snoffle, which is a Mr. Blizzard with the Fallful eyes and a shovel hand. Sticking with snowmen in Wario World, we have Snowman, I know, very creative name, and his counterpart, the Big Snowman. Buckethead is a large head snowman with a bucket on his head that throws snowflakes as an attack. Yakamaru are snowmen with pans on their heads, and they use Ice Breath as an attack. Snow Bomber is a flying snowman that drops spike balls on Wario. Honestly, this thing's just creepy. Paper Mario has the Crystal King, clones because we're not counting bosses, but in my opinion these clones are their own enemies. The Crystal King himself also has Crystal Bits, which are tiny ice crystals with eyes that aid him during the fight. Super Paper Mario has Ice Churble, a very unfortunate shaped enemy that blows ice to attack. And last but not least for the ice enemies, we have Ice Had, the sad ice variant of the Magmad. Let's move from ice to air elementals. And I'm going to count clouds here because clouds are pretty much just air. And first and foremost for the clouds is Foosh, a cloud that simply tries to blow air at Mario and knock him off the edge. Another cloud is Typhoo, who's essentially just a larger Foosh, literally acting in the same exact manner. Yoshi's Woolly World has Fluffy Phantom, which blows wind. These cloud enemies are really creative. Foo is a cloud in the new Super Mario Bros. Series. These produce fog and obstruct the player's view. Finally, something a little bit different for a cloud. Stonk is a poison cloud enemy inside Bowser's body. The Paper Mario series has the Rough Puff, which is the standard cloud enemy in the Paper Mario series. There's also the Tough Puff, a weaker version of the Rough Puff, only seen in the Huff and Puff boss fight. Ice Puff, a stronger ice version of the Rough Puff that obviously has ice attacks. Poison Puff, a strong green Rough Puff that can poison. Dark Puff, a weaker version of the Rough Puff. And last but not least for the Rough Puffs, we have the Dark Rough Puff. In Wario Land we see Pika Raikun. These are rather strange clouds with a lamp cord that attempt to drop lightning on Wario. Super Princess Peach has Smog Ball, an enemy that simply uses a roadblock and can only be defeated by Princess Peach's Joy Power. Super Mario Wonder has Schmorgren, a purple cloud that moves back and forth. It also comes in big form and medium sized. Much like the lava drop we saw earlier, there's also the Cloud Drop, who act exactly the same but are wind enemies rather than fire. Super Mario Galaxy has the Bone Twister, which appears to be a tornado with bones in it that someone has stuck googly eyes on. It looks so much like this, I bet you didn't even notice I just put the googly eyes on this. Paper Mario has the Twister, an extremely happy tornado that throws Mario from one screen to another. Virtual Boy Wario Land has Torny, fairly small tornado enemies with eyes. In Super Mario Maker 2, we're introduced to Twister. I was actually shocked to find out the real name for these isn't Blowy Joey, as pretty much everyone I know in the Mario community calls him that. Plus, it's a much better name than Twister. And last but not least, this very strange enemy, the Windwinder. I really don't know what this is, but it attacks with wind. Alright, let's swap to our last element, which is water. Surprisingly, there's very few water enemies. So with the water enemies, I'm also going to include slime, as they're kind of watery, I guess. First up is Dewdrop, who actually is just water and falls from clouds kind of like a raindrop. This thing's eyes make me think it can see directly into my soul. We also have the third and final elemental ghost, the water elemental ghost, which, as you might guess, when vacuumed up, allows Luigi to shoot out water. The Yoshi's Island series has the Nepinaut, which is a water version of the Blarg. In fact, it's literally just a palette swap. There's also the Egginut, a Nepinaut seen in pipes, which uses an egg for bait, much like an anglerfish. Yoshi's Island also has Slime, an enemy that disguises itself as a platform, and when hit with projectiles will slowly shrink until it is nothing. Sticking with Yoshi's Island and slime enemies, we have Georgette Jelly, a little slime that uncomfortably looks like acne to me. Yoshi's Island also has Slime Drop, which is exactly what the name says. It's just a drop of slime, and it's adorable. Super Mario Wonder has Wubba, which is a slime enemy that can swim in slime or move along floors, walls, and ceilings. In multiple levels, the Wonder Flower will transform Mario into this guy. And just look at all these adorable transformations. Super Mario Sunshine has the Gooble, a slime filled with goop. The original name were Swoopin' Stews, but they were renamed as they look nothing like stews. Super Mario RPG has the Amiiboid, who, now that I'm looking at it, is actually a Goomba, so add this one to the Goomba category. Also, Super Mario RPG is the Come On, a chest enemy that is revealed to be a white Amiiboid inside. Yoshi's Story has the Neuron. It comes in 4 different colors, and each moves slightly differently. So, I'm counting this as 4 different enemies. My favorite slime enemy is the Fizzlet, little purple guys that flatten themselves down, and then turn yellow, signifying that they're electrified. Wario Land has the Dropper, a slime with a spiked helmet that does exactly what you would think. Drops from the ceiling. Sticking in Wario Land, we have the White Puff, a small slime that can fill itself with air. Wario Land 2 has Googie, spiked slime enemies that try to bite Wario. In Virtual Boy Wario Land, we see the Big Blob, who simply acts as a way of blocking doors. Habari are pink slime that hang from the ceiling and shoot projectiles. Mario Luigi Superstar Saga has the Glurp, who is a largemouth blue slime. And last but not least for slimes is Gooey Goon, a slimy enemy that hangs from the ceiling. Time to switch up categories again. And now we have explosives. And as any Mario fan would expect, this category is led off by Bob-omb, one of the many recurring enemies introduced in Super Mario Bros. 2. Oftentimes, Bob-ombs will write their own fuse and charge at Mario trying to explode on him. Other times when Mario jumps on them, that is when they become ignited. These enemies can also be used to blow up destructible blocks within an environment. My personal favorite version of the Bob-omb is this little guy from the original Super Mario Bros. Film. Super Mario Sunshine also has this Bob-omb, which is just listed as the standard one, but I'm counting it as a different enemy because its face is a digital screen that displays a countdown. And the Bob-omb is in Mario Maker. Next is Fly Bomb, our first taste of an enemy that originates in Mario Paint. It's seen during the Nat Attack minigame. New Super Mario Bros. Has the K-Bomb. This is a blue and green variant that looks like it's posing for a selfie. When jumped on, they are ignited and run extremely fast at Mario. Much like the Tail Goomba, there's the Tail Bob-omb, who has the ability to float thanks to the tail. Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door has Bulky Bob-omb, giant pink versions that have a set attack pattern, which deals no damage until the 5th turn. I'm not sure how they would ever deal damage to you. There's also the stronger purple version, the Bob-Ulk. They have the same set attack pattern, but more health, attack, and defense. Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story has the Dark Fawful Bomb, an oversized and extremely stylish Bob-omb that is carried in by 2 Fawful guys, an enemy we will get to later. One of the coolest Bob-ombs that isn't technically an enemy, but I wanted to show it off anyway, is the Giga Bob-omb, which is a special item in Mario Kart Tour. Actually, you know what? This is an enemy, or at least I'm counting it. The Mezzo Bomb is a large Bob-omb summoned by Punchinello during his boss fight. Also in that fight, he summons Strong Bob-omb. And last but not least for Punchinello's bombs, King Bomb. Next up is Shroob-omb, yet another oversized Bob-omb. Nintendo really loves oversized versions of the Bob-omb. This one is carried by Shroobs, yet another enemy we will see later on this list. Alright, now that we're done with the oversized one, let's go with a mini one, the Micro Bomb, which is what you would expect a mini Bob-omb. The Micro Bomb comes from Super Mario RPG, just like Rob-omb, who is the stronger version of the Bob-omb with purple shoes. This also suggests to me that all Bob-ombs are actually named Robert, meaning they're the Robert-omb, and then they have to choose which name they want to go with, which is displayed based on shoe color, obviously. Mario Kart 64 has Mini Bomb Kart, which can only be seen when a player is defeated in battle mode. They're completely indestructible and only explode once they run into a player. Similar to the Mini Bomb Kart is the Bob-omb Car, which is just a Bob-omb on wheels that acts as an obstacle in Mario Kart. Paper Mario the Origami King has the Paper Macho Bob-omb, who parachute down and act like normal Bob-ombs when they reach the ground. Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2 March of the Minis has the Bob-omb Fish, which is exactly what you would expect. Though I do have to question this thing's design, as a wick is pretty useless underwater. Mario and Luigi Partners in Time has the lethal Bob-omb that, despite its name, does not always deal lethal damage. Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story has Alarm Bob-omb, which is a Bob-omb that looks like an alarm clock. If their alarm goes off, they'll wake up the sleeping enemy Naplock, who will turn off the alarm and prevent the explosion. Mario and Luigi Dream Team has the Dreamy Bob-omb, who, much like the Dreamy Goomba, is only seen in the final boss fight with Dreamy Bowser. There's also the Paper Bob-omb and the Shiny Paper Bob-omb. Super Princess Peach has the Glad Bob-omb and the Glad Parabomb, which sing and jump as they try and explode Princess Peach. The Jalgoon returns, this time with a Bob-omb inside. When this one is hit with a fire attack, it explodes. In Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, we see Design Bomb, fashionable bombs with propellers instead of wicks. Super Mario Wonder has Baboom. These are firework enemies that, when jumped on, will shoot fireworks after a short time. Mario can pick it up to guide where the fireworks go. Back to Superstar Saga, we have the Time Bob-omb, which acts as a countdown in the boss fights with Roy Koopa, Wendy O. Koopa, and Larry Koopa. Once the timer reaches 0, the battle is automatically lost. The Konotako is definitely the weirdest bomb enemy. It seems to be a flying octopus or something. Honestly, I don't know. It has bat wings and suction cups. It's so weird. Virtual Boy Wario Land has the Bomb. Bombs that hatch out of eggs and chase after Wario. And last but not least for the explosions, we have Bon Bomb, who are absolutely adorable and will chase after Yoshi trying to explode, like every other bomb we just talked about. Time for a brand new category, and it's one of the biggest categories. It's the Koopas and other turtles. And to start, we're gonna go with the OG Koopa. Shell Creeper. That's right, this weird thing predates the Koopa Troopa. It's from the original Mario Bros. Game. Alright, now we have the Green Shell Koopa Troopa, who is one of, if not the most common enemy in all of Mario. These guys are everywhere. Very similar to this is the Red Shell Koopa Troopa. And the big difference between this and its green cousin is that when this reaches an edge, it will not walk off, but will instead turn back around. And both Red and Green Koopa are Mario Maker enemies. So you know what that means. Starting in Super Mario World, we see the Unshelled Koopa, which simply put is a shellless Koopa. When they come across an empty shell, they will jump inside it and make it their new home. The Blue Shoot Koopa, who is a shellless Koopa that when he comes in contact with a movable object, he will stop and kick it. This includes shells and throw blocks. Also from Super Mario World, the Disco Shell Koopa. I know the real name is like Rainbow Shell, but I'm never not going to call these the Disco Shell. These things pursue after Mario and can be bounced off. They can also be defeated with a spin jump. Sticking to Super Mario World, we have the Super Koopa, Unshelled Koopas with capes that can fly. If one with a blinking cape is defeated, it will drop the Cape Feather, a power-up that grants Mario a cape. Now, we've already talked about how Koopas can be big, but did you know Koopas can be mega? The Mega Koopa is an absolutely ridiculously oversized Koopa that's only seen in Super Paper Mario. With Koopa Troopas being such a prevalent enemy in the Mario series, one would assume there'd be lots of small Koopas, but you'd be very wrong. They actually only show up in Super Mario 64, and only in the level Tiny Huge Island. Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga has the An Koopa, An Koopa? An Koopa? I don't know. A large Koopa enemy with crossed eyes. It says that their name is supposed to be a combination of Anchor and Koopa, so I guess it's the An Koopa. These enemies aren't fought in battle, but are rather used as roadblocks that can be moved by Mario's dash technique. Super Mario World introduces us to the climbable fence, which also introduces us to the Green Climbing Koopa, and his cousin, the Red Climbing Koopa. The green ones climb slow, while the red ones climb so fast they're actually faster than Mario. Super Mario Sunshine has Red Electro Koopa, who are electrified and seen climbing on fences to block paths. There's also Electric Koopa King, who is a giant Electric Koopa on a flippable fence. The only way to defeat him is to flip that fence and send him flying into the water. There's also the Blue Electro Koopa, who's seen on the ground and kicks his shell at Mario, which goes forward and then boomerangs back to him. Blue Koopa is vulnerable to attacks after kicking his shell. Paper Mario and Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door have purple shelled Koopas called Dark Koopa. They wear sunglasses, spiked chokers, and spiked wristbands, making them obviously the coolest Koopas, or at least the Koopas that shop at Hot Topic. They also have a flying version known as the Dark Paratroopa. And don't confuse the Dark Koopa with the Dark Koopa, or the Dark Paratroopa with the Dark Paratroopa. Those are completely different enemies. Next is the Koopa Troll. Koopas who wear suits of armor and can't be jumped on thanks to their spikes. The Dark Koopa Troll is a stronger version of the Koopa Troll with purplish armor. Super Paper Mario has the Dark Koopa Troll, which is completely different. Super Mario Wonder has the Dark Koopa Troopa, a shadow Koopa with red eyes, only seen during the Wonder effect in the level Beware the Rifts. The Terrapin is a Koopa in a helmet only seen in Super Mario RPG, and it's actually the weakest enemy in the entire game, even weaker than the Goomba, which is pretty sad. They also have a stronger variant known as the Terracotta. There's also a special Terrapin known as the Tort, where chefs fought in the cake boss fight. Sticking to Super Mario RPG, we have Malakoopa, who are basically just Koopa paratroopas, but called Malakoopa in this game. There's also the Big Troopa and Grand Troopa, or as he was originally known, Turbo Troopa, who are oversized Koopas that take a turn to charge their attack. Mario & Luigi's Superstar Saga also has some unique Koopa Troopas, the Troopy and the Paratroopy, who are purple-shelled Koopas with a bean sprout coming out of their head. They also have stronger versions in the form of Elite Troopy and Scarlet Troopy. We also have the Paper Koopa Troopa and the Paper Paratroopa. And much like Pokemon, they both come in shiny form as well. There's also Dreamy Paratroopa. You have another enemy summoned during the Dreamy Bowser fight. Super Princess Peach has a Glad Red Troopa, who skips on the ground but otherwise acts like a normal red Koopa. There's also the Glad Red Paratroopa, who happily flies in figure eights. Mad Green Koopa, who is a Koopa who will angrily run at Peach, along with Mad Green Paratroopa, who attempts to launch himself at Peach. Thanks to the Gold Ring in New Super Mario Bros. 2, we also have the Gold Koopa and the Gold Paratroopa. Koopa Paratroopa comes in a 10 stack, and the standard Koopa comes in a 6 stack, similar to Pabst Blue Ribbon. Paper Mario the Origami King has Paper Macho Koopa Troopa, and the Paper Macho Koopa Paratroopa. Giant enemies who have fought very similar to every other Paper Macho enemy. Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door has Shady Koopa and Shady Paratroopa, who are palette swaps of the Dark Koopa, but have one very strong ability, which is when they are flipped on their back, they will gain access to their most powerful move, an attack that does 6 damage to both Mario and his partner. Hotel Mario has Z Koopa, a tuxedo-wearing Koopa that flies in a zigzagging pattern, and in the Koopa category, win the honors of Best Dressed. Super Mario Land has Bombshell Koopa, Koopas that when jumped on will ignite and then explode. The NES version of Mario's Time Machine has the Body Slam Koopa, a Koopa that walks back and forth and periodically slams the ground. Super Paper Mario has the Koopa Striker and the Toopa Striker, who are the same enemies just palette swapped, with the intention of the palette swap being that these are both on different teams. The stronger version is the Super Striker, and the strongest version is the Dark Striker. Obviously, if you can't tell, all these are intended to be soccer-playing Koopas, though I will say their color palette weirdly makes them look like bald white guys. The Koopelian is a combination of a Koopa and a chameleon that have both turtle shells and a long tongue like a chameleon. There's also the gold variant, which has a max defense stat and will flee from battle at first opportunity. As a reward for defeating them, you are rewarded with a ton of XP and coins. Remember the mural Goomba from earlier? Well, there's a mural Koopa too, and it's very, very scary. It has like human arms and legs. I really hate these. All right, this next one, not even close. This is my favorite Koopa Troopa, period. And it is Rolla Koopa from Super Mario Wonder. Pink-shelled Koopas that are wearing roller skates. One of the cutest things about these is when they skate into each other, they'll bump bottoms and then turn around. It's adorable. In Super Mario Sunshine, we see the Snooza Koopa. These Koopas have flippers like sea turtles, and their shell seems to look like a Yoshi egg. As their name suggests, they are usually found sleeping. Super Mario Wonder has another sea turtle-like enemy in the Snortus. They will crawl slowly on land, but will swim in water. When jumped down, they act just like Koopas hiding in their shells. Next, we have Koopas in Space. A space helmet-wearing Koopa, seen in the NES version of Mario's Time Machine. It's time to move on to less standard Koopa Troopas. First, we have Buzzy Beetle. Koopas with dark blue shells that walk back and forth on the ground and are immune to fireballs. They can also cling to the ceiling, and when Mario walks by below them, they'll fall down from the ceiling and go after Mario. In Super Mario Wonder, they're showed walking in lava, meaning these things are completely immune to fire. Now, usually when you throw wings at an enemy, it acts almost exactly the same. But that's not true for the Para Beetle. When you jump on these guys, they'll sink down a little bit and then start flapping their wings harder and going upward. They're also seen in Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, but in that game, they act more like standard winged enemies. Oh yeah, and don't forget, these are Mario Maker enemies, so guess what? Super Mario Bros. 3 has the Buster Beetle. These are fast buzzy beetles that pick up and throw blocks. In Super Mario RPG, we meet the Magmite, who have a similar look to a buzzy beetle but with a stone shell, and their stronger cousin, the Magmus. Similar to Magmite, we have Stone Buzzy, who is quite literally a buzzy beetle with a stone shell. And like many Super Paper Mario enemies, they come in the dark form. Wait, what's this little guy? Well, it's the Stony Beetle's defeated sprite. And yes, he has little hard underwear. For the first time on this list, we get a shiny, the shiny Buzzy Beetle, that doesn't come with a paper form. There's also Small Buzzy Beetle. Paper Mario the Origami King gives us Paper Macho Buzzy Beetle, who is like every other Paper Macho enemy, oversized and paper mache. The Buzzy Beetle also comes in 2 gangs, the normal sized one and the Small Buzzy Beetle gang, which are pretty self-explanatory. Paper Mario Color Splash also has Buzzy Beetle Tower, which is a large, regular size, and small Buzzy Beetle stacked on top of each other. Oh yeah, and they throw a spiked Shy Guy on top for good measure. Remember the bomb-shelled Koopa from earlier? Well, a relative to that is the Noko Bombette, who's seen in Super Mario Land 2, and is more of a Buzzy Beetle than a standard Koopa. An even stronger version of the Buzzy Beetle is the Spike Top, who's a Buzzy Beetle with a red shell and a spike on top of that shell, hence the name Spike Top. They also have the ability to climb on walls and ceilings, and will walk around the surface of whatever platform they are on. The Mario Maker games have the blue Spike Top, which is a faster variant of the Spike Top. Oh, you heard me mention Mario Maker, so you know Super Paper Mario has the least exciting variant, Dark Spike Top. Seriously, the dark versions are putting me to sleep. Similar to the Spike Top, there's the Spiny, a spike-shelled red Koopa that can't be jumped on, but is susceptible to fireballs. These are often thrown by Lakitus, an enemy we're going to get to later, and very confusingly are referred to as spiny eggs like this. Now, this was one of the toughest decisions I had to make on this list, and I went ahead and said no. And I want to know what you guys think, because honestly, is a spiny egg different from a spiny? Because from what I can tell, this is not an egg, and is rather just a spiny being thrown out of a cloud. As this is a Mario Maker enemy, in Super Mario RPG, Spinies are replaced with Spiky and are also thrown by Lakitu. They have a stronger green variant known as a Spikester, and an even stronger purple variant known as the Your Spike. Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door has the Sky Blue Spiny, a stronger version of the Spiny thrown by a stronger version of the Lakitu. Some other versions are the Sharpie, which has a yellow shell and green spikes, Spiny Shrupa, purple variants with pink spikes, and strangely long back legs. There's also Spiny R, who's the stronger Spiny in Dream Team. Super Paper Mario has my favorite enemy, Dark Spiny. I'm so sick of these. They're so boring. Speaking of boring, we have Paper Spiny and Shiny Paper Spiny. I swear to God, Mario and Luigi Paper Jam are only made to annoy me making this list. Super Princess Peach has Sad Spiny, Spinies that are seen crying and run much faster than normal Spinies. There's the Spike Blop, which seem to be slimes with spiny helmets on. And yes, I know I could have put this in the slime category, but I didn't. I put it here. Don't question my methods. All right, this next one is so niche. It is the Spike Koopa, who is some sort of hybrid of the Koopa Troopa and the Spiny. And they are literally only seen in the original Mario Party game in only one minigame, Keep Away. I honestly think this might be the most niche Mario enemy out there. But let me know what you think is the most niche. Mario Clash has a spike-shelled Koopa named Thorny. That's really all I have to say about that. Wario Shake It has Brumblepod, who act exactly like Spinies. There's also a big Brumblepod seen during the final fight with Shake King, and a golden Brumblepod. Wario 4 has Spiky. These are basically exactly Spinies, but they have spikes more on the side, so Wario can't use his charge attack on them. And they also have their stronger form, the Spiky Z. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. Now we have the Hammer Bro, one of the most hated Mario enemies of all time. These are Koopas that throw hammers, plain and simple, and they are extremely tricky to defeat, especially for newcomers to the series. The bigger variant of the Hammer Bro is known as Sledge Bro, who besides being bigger and throwing bigger hammers, has the ability to slam down and stun Mario. And as these are in Mario Maker, there's also the Paper Hammer Bro and the Shiny Paper Hammer Bro. One is paper and one is paper and shiny. Paper Mario Color Splash has Shady Sledge Bro, who acts exactly like a normal Sledge Bro, but is a little bit cooler. Also in that game is the Tiny Hammer Bro, who, as you would expect, throw tiny hammers. Super Princess Peach has the Calm Hammer Bro, who like most other Calm enemies is found sleeping. Super Mario World introduces us to the amazing Flying Hammer Bro, a Hammer Bro on winged blocks that flies back and forth, throwing hammers non-stop. As a kid, these were my most feared enemies. And though you would think this very specific enemy wouldn't have a variant, it actually does. The Calm Amazing Hammer Bro, who, as you might expect, is found sleeping. Shh, don't wake him. Back to Paper Mario Color Splash, we have Juggler Bro, who is simply a Hammer Bro, but 10% cooler due to his hat. And Super Paper Mario gives the best variant yet again, the Dark Hammer Bro. Let's go. All right, time to deviate from the Hammer Bro to the Boomerang Bro, who, as you might expect, throws boomerangs instead of hammers. Much like a lot of other enemies on this list, we get the Paper Boomerang Bro and the Shiny Boomerang Bro. There's also the Dark Boomerang Bro, and then we have the worst named enemy in all of Mario. It's so poorly named, I don't even feel comfortable saying it. I'll just put it on screen and let it speak for itself. Similar to the Juggler Bro, we have the Circus Bro, who's a Boomerang Bro with a cool hat. Onto our next bro, we have Fire Bro, who rather than throwing a hammer or a boomerang, shoot fireballs, as you would expect. Originally in Super Mario Bros. 3, they spat the fireballs, but now they seem to have a fireball power-up and shoot them just like Fire Mario. And this is a Mario Maker enemy. So, guess what? Much like the other bros, they come in paper form and shiny paper form, and my favorite, dark form. We also see the 8 stack in Paper Mario Color Splash. Shifting from Fire Bro, we now have the Ice Bro. Instead of fire, the Ice Bro throws ice balls. And actually, it has no variants. That's it. There's just one Ice Bro, which is nice because we can just move on from it. 2, the Sumo Bro, a large Koopa that stomps the ground to release lightning that then lets off fire. It's very confusing, I'll be honest. He also has a spike on his head so he can't be jumped on. Super Mario Odyssey has my favorite Hammer Bro, the Frying Pan Bro, who technically is listed as a Hammer Bro, but I am not buying it. The bros are named by what they throw. And simply put, this one is throwing frying pans, meaning he is his own unique bro. This is the Frying Pan Bro, and I will not be convinced otherwise. Mario Wiki, change it now. Give it its own page. Thanks to the gold ring, we get the Gold Bro, who instead of throwing anything else, just throws coins. Mario Luigi Superstar Saga has Limbo Bro, a Sledge Koopa with a purple shell that attacks by limboing, and a stronger variant known as the Elite Limbo Bro. Another amazing bro enemy is a Yo Bro, who's a lanky hammer bro that uses yo-yos to attack. You can literally put anything in their hand and make it a bro. Look at these ones I just made up right now. The Wrench Bro, the Shoe Bro, the Bible Bro, and my favorite, the Mario Bro, a bro that throws Marios. And no, none of those are real, so I didn't count them. But you know who is real? The Chomp Bro, who is an absolutely yoked hammer bro that throws chain chomps. Yeah, this guy's real. You do not mess with him. And last but not least for the bros, we have the Chariot Bro, who despite his name does not throw chariots, but rather is a hammer bro in a chariot. Let's shift gears again. This time we have Lakitu, a Koopa who is usually seen riding in a cloud and wearing goggles. The standard version of him throws out spiny eggs. Starting in Super Mario World, Lakitu's cloud became rideable, so if you removed Lakitu from it, you could use it to fly. In Super Mario 64, Lakitu holds the camera for Mario. In Mario Kart, they retrieve him from the water, and they are the referees in both Mario Tennis and the Mario Slugger series. Though in most games they're only seen throwing spinies, in Mario Maker you can make them throw a ton of different things, like Goombas, coins, and even Hammer Bros, which means you'll have an enemy that throws an enemy that throws a hammer. Our first variant of the Lakitu is Fishing Lakitu, whose first appeared in Super Mario World teasing Mario with a 1-up, sort of like the guy from that Geico commercial.
Oh, you almost had it. You gotta be quicker than that.
They return in Yoshi's Island with a fishing hook, attempting to steal Baby Mario. Back to Super Mario World, we have Lakitu and Pipe, who, rather than being in clouds, pop out of pipes and throw spinies at Mario. Our favorite item in this whole video, the gold ring, makes the gold Lakitu, who throws out coins rather than anything else. For the first time ever, Mario Maker doesn't make for a million variants. The only thing you can really do with the Lakitu is put wings on it, making it fly faster and in a wave pattern. This actually makes the Lakitu extremely difficult to defeat. Yoshi's Island series has Wall Lakitu, Lakitus that hide behind parts of walls and throw out spiny eggs, just like standard Lakitus, but in the wall. Yoshi's Island also has the Aqua Lakitu, who wears snorkels and pop out of the water that throw spiny eggs at Yoshi. The Thunder Lakitu charges a spirit ball-like attack over its head, and then throws it down at Yoshi. Lakipi, this is Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga's version, and they throw out Sharpie instead of spinies. Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door is Dark Lakitu, who actually isn't just a silhouette, and is rather just a stronger Lakitu. Mario and Luigi Partners in Time has Lakitu UFO, an enemy whose name is very awkward to say. They're Lakitus hanging onto UFOs, and they have antlers. Instead of throwing spinies, they beam down spiny Shroopas. Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story has the Lakitu King and the Glam Lakitu, with the Glam Lakitu being the stronger variant of the two. Lakitu R is the stronger variant of the Lakitu in Mario and Luigi Dream Team. Also in Dream Team, we have Commander Lakitu, who are Lakitus that always show up in pairs and guide Boomerang Bros on what to do in battle. Super Princess Peach has Calm Lakitu. The Lakitu Trio is 3 Lakitus in a giant cloud that throw golden spike balls at Mario. They're only seen in Super Mario Wonder, and when you grab the Wonder Flower, they will throw coins, power-ups, and Wonder tokens. Another Koopa variant is Magic Koopa, who are Koopas with magic wands, who attack with magic that comes in the form of shapes. And those shapes just so happen to correspond to the PlayStation buttons, which has earned this guy the honorary name, the PlayStation Wizard. These guys have the ability to shoot magic and teleport. Often they are seen riding brooms. Oh yeah, Magic Koopa, it's a Mario Maker enemy. So, yet again, when Magic Koopas change colors, they gain different abilities, like the Green Magic Koopa, who can heal, the Red Magic Koopa, who can raise the attack of allies, the Gray Magic Koopa, who can make allies invisible, the White Magic Koopa, that can also heal, the Yellow Magic Koopa, who can electrify its allies, and Purple Magic Koopa, who actually doesn't count because he's only seen in the odd game Puzzles and Dragons Super Mario Bros. Edition. Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story has Magifufa, Fawful variants of the Magic Koopa, with the Fawful eyes and grin. Super Paper Mario has It's the Dark Magic Koopa. I can't get excited for it anymore. The weirdest Magic Koopa variant has to be Toadie, who have no wands and propellers on their head. If Yoshi runs out of time, they are the ones who take Baby Mario away. Alright, shifting gears again, we got Charging Chuck. These are Koopas dressed up like football players, with helmets, cleats, and jerseys. And though in Super Mario World they're all lumped as one enemy, there are actually a bunch of variants of this that act a lot different. So I'm listing them differently. So we have the standard Charging Chuck, which obviously just charges at Mario. We have the Whistling Chuck, who calls in Super Koopas. The Lookout Chuck, a Chuck that will stand there looking back and forth in a small area and then charge at Mario. The Confused Chuck, who throws baseballs in a straight line at Mario. The Passin' Chuck, who despite his name doesn't pass, but rather kicks footballs at Mario. There's also Clappin' Chuck, who stands there doing jumping jacks and will jump when Mario jumps. Splittin' Chuck, who can split himself into multiple Chucks. Digging Chuck, a shovel-wielding Chuck that will toss rocks at Mario. And finally, Leaping Chuck, Chucks that will leap at Mario in arcing patterns. Super Mario Wonder has Shova, who has a very similar look to the Chuck. These walk back and forth and will push movable objects in their way. Sometimes that movable object is a pipe, but Mario can fight back and push against him. If you have the elephant power-up, you can actually overpower them and push them backwards with the item. Alright, let's round out this category with some oddball turtles. First is Wario World's Anchorin, who are turtles with cannons on their back that fire bombs at Wario. There's also the circus version and the stuffed version, who act pretty much the same, but have their own unique looks. Wario World also has the Turtle, a turtle who is seen carrying ice attempting to block Wario's path. And last but not least for turtles, we have Dark Tortoise, who are turtle enemies that throw shurikens at Wario. Moving on from turtles, we go to frogs. And first up in the frogs is Spike, who technically is related to the Koopas and even has a shell, but is listed as a frog. These enemies pull spike balls out of their mouths and throw them at Mario. Their stomach must be an infinite void because inside they have infinite spike balls. They will literally never stop throwing them. Spike is yet another enemy that gets the Mario Maker treatment. Also in Mario Maker is the Snow Spike, and yes, they look exactly the same in Mario Maker. But in other games, the Snow Spike is blue instead of green, and has adorable boots, gloves, and hat. Super Princess Peach has Mad Spike, spikes that jump up in the air and throw spike balls. Mario & Luigi Paper Jam gives us Paper Spike and Shiny Paper Spike. Super Mario Wonder introduces the Fire Spike, red spikes that pull fireballs out of their belly. There's also Stone Spike, who are blue spikes that throw rocks rather than spike balls, which seems strictly worse, I'll be honest. Paper Mario the Origami King has Paper Macho Stone Spike, who is obviously a big paper mache version. Paper Mario introduces Clubba, which are larger variants of the Spike, who have maces for weapons with spike balls on the end, and don't pull spike balls out of their mouth. There's also White Clubba, spikes found in cold regions that are weak to fire. My personal favorite, the Dark Clubba. Shifting to more traditional frogs, we have the Frog, enemy seen in Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon and Yoshi's Crafted World. Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon also has the Gold Frog variant, which will give gold bars instead of coins. Yoshi's Island has Frog Pirate, who's a fairly large frog that will use his tongue to try and steal Baby Mario. Bopping Toadie is an enemy from Super Mario Land 2. As you would expect, they're frogs, so they jump and stick out their tongues. The Super Mario series has the Coin Coffer, which are a combination of a frog and a coin purse. They hop like frogs and give off coins. There's also Money Bags. These were the precursor to the Coin Coffer, hopping around and giving off coins. But their eyes are inside the bag rather than on their head. Super Mario RPG has the Frogog, which are weird humanoid frogs, and their stronger variant, the Ribbites. Virtual Boy Wario Land has Horned Toad, bipedal frogs that put their head down and charge at Wario, but they don't actually hurt him. Super Mario Galaxy 2 has the Kleptoad, little blue frogs that steal items and run away from Mario. They can burrow into the ground and pop up in different locations. There's also Lump, who sits alone in a boggy marsh and will block Wario's path. Super Mario 3D World has Madpole, who are insanely adorable angry tadpoles. Seriously, they're so cute. And last but not least in this category is the Waterfall Climber, tadpoles with horns that climb up and down waterfalls. It's actually very likely that these tadpoles grow up to be horned toads. Time for a fun category. We have the skeleton category. And as you might expect, we're leading this off with dry bones. Dry bones are undead skeleton versions of Koopa Troopas. Being that they're bone, they're obviously immune to fire. When jumped on, they will fall into a pile of bones, and after a few seconds, will reassemble themselves. Starting in Super Mario World, dry bones started throwing bones. With this being a Mario Maker enemy, we get Paper Mario and Super Paper Mario have the Dull Bones, whose coloring makes them look crusty. In Paper Mario, they can make other Dull Bones, and in Super Paper Mario, they are the stronger version of the Dry Bones. Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door has the Dark Bones, who's first fought as a boss, but later becomes a common enemy. There's also Red Bones, who like Dark Bones is originally fought as a boss, but shows up as a regular enemy later in the Palace of Shadows. Super Paper Mario has my absolute favorite variant, the Dark Dull Bones, who is a silhouette of the Dull Bones. Mario & Luigi's Superstar Saga have the elite dry bones, who are stronger dry bones. This also allows us to see the weird dry bones model from this game. Honestly, I find this thing really off-putting. Because this is a Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, we get the paper dry bones and shiny paper dry bones. Dry bones also come in a 5 stack, which is a stack of 5 paper dry bones. Super Princess Peach has the sad dry bones. And honestly, I can't blame them for being sad. They are dead. This variant is blue and throws 3 bones instead of 1. There's the Bony Beetle, which is a skeleton buzzy beetle with retractable spikes. And just like most skeleton enemies, it can reassemble itself. The stronger version of the dry bones in Super Mario RPG is Vomer. Wario World has the Skelesaur and the Skeleton Ancrion. The former is a club-wielding Triceratops, and the latter is a cannon skeleton turtle. Sticking with dinosaur skeletons, we have Skelesaurus, a dinosaur skeleton that chases Yoshi in Yoshi's Crafted World. Shifting back to Super Mario RPG, we have Mastadoom, who are skeletons of mammoths. Also in that game is the Reacher, sad skeleton enemy standing next to a tombstone, presumably their own, but who knows. Yoshi's Story has Bone Dragon, who are the heads of a dragon hydra that attack Yoshi by spitting fire. Next is Mattermouth. These seem to be dry bone-like heads that eat the ground and can't be defeated, but if they're jumped on, they will turn around. There's also Bone Cractal, that, like the scary flying snowman from earlier, drops spike balls. The skeleton fish enemy in Mario is Fish Bones, which are fish that swim in weird patterns. Starting in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, they started locking onto players and launching directly at them, being destroyed either when they hit another fish bones or a wall. Also, Mario Maker. Similarly to the fish bones, there's a shark bone, who is a shark enemy in Superstar Saga, with the only non-bone part of its body being its fin. Sticking with bonefish, we have one of my favorite named enemies, Jean Duflet, bonefish enemies from Yoshi's Island, who can jump out of both water and lava. Super Mario Land 2 has Honban, who though they are clearly skeletons, are said to be the ghost of Cheep Cheeps. These swim in an upside down V pattern. Super Mario Galaxy 1 had Bonefin, who was a mechanical skeletal shark, which really makes no sense to me. These lock onto Mario and home in on him as he swims. Super Mario Land had the Honen, who were bonefish that jumped vertically out of the water. The Yoshi's Island series have the Skeletal Goonie and the Flightless Skeletal Goonie. And SMBU and Super Mario Wonder have the Bone Piranha Plant and the Big Bone Piranha Plant, which are just piranha plants that are immune to fireballs. Super Mario Wonder also has the Trotting Bone Piranha Plant, who is a Walking Bone Piranha Plant. Partners in Time has the Skeloki, who's a skeleton pokey, and honestly, just very creepy to me. Their main attack is eating their own body and then spitting it at Mario. Ugh. Back to Super Mario Land 2, we have Skeleton Bee, whose name pretty much explains itself. Much like other skeleton enemies, once jumped on by Mario, they will come back to life. The Zombie Magon and the Big Zombie Magon, who are fairly basic enemies in Wario World. Traveling back inside Bowser's body, we have the Bone Thwomp, who is a thwomp made out of bones. Also inside his body, we have Chombone, who is definitely a skeleton, but I'm not sure what he is other than that. The original Luigi's Mansion has Mr. Bone, a hybrid of a ghost and a skeleton that throw bones at Luigi. They can make themselves invulnerable to Luigi's attacks by becoming a pile of bones. Back to Wonder, we have Rever, bone dogs with leashes that can be pulled to make them go flying in one direction. For some reason, we're returning to Wario World with yet another skeleton enemy. This one is the Big Bone Fist, which is a skeleton arm and hand. Super Paper Mario has quite a few skeletal enemies. First is the Megabyte, who seems to be a flying skull. There's a stronger version, the Gigabyte, and obviously because this is Super Paper Mario, there's the Dark Megabyte. Continuing down this train, we have Skelebit and Dark Skelebit, who are spear-wielding skeletons. There's also Spiky Skelebit and Dark Spiky Skelebit, who are simply Skelebits with spikes on their head. There's also the Skelo Bomber, who is a flying Skelebit that drops its head on Mario. They're also sometimes seen carrying the Skelo Bait, a very strange skeleton enemy that has frost breath. They also come in the Spiky Skelebait form, which is the same but with spikes on their head. Finally, moving away from Super Paper Mario, we have the Recapitator, an armored skeleton that throws his head as a boomerang. The reason his name is the Recapitator is because he puts his head back on after using it. They come in both green and silver, with the silver one standing still and the green one shambling. Wario Land 4 has a skeleton bird. These skeletons spit green goo at Wario. And last but not least for our skeletons, we have the Skeleton, a skull in Donkey Kong for the Game Boy that moves and throws bones. Time for another big category change. This one's another well-known Mario enemy. The category is thwomps and other stone enemies. And first in that category is, well, Thwomp. Thwomp was first introduced in Super Mario Bros. 3 and has been seen in almost every Super Mario game since. They usually sit in high places and fall downward onto the ground trying to crush Mario. In some games they're spiky and can't be touched on the sides, while in others they have smooth sides and can be walked into and even stood on. As you would suspect, Thwomp is a Mario Maker enemy. So, Super Princess Peach has one of the strangest thwomps, the Security Thwomp, a thwomp who is absurdly large and actually takes up the whole back of the screen. If the thwomp is alerted, it will remove Princess Peach from the area, sending her back to the beginning. The small version of the thwomp is known as a thwimp, tiny little thwomps that jump around. The thwomp's cousin is the womp, stone slabs with arms and legs that try and fall down on Mario. They are often defeated by ground pounding on their back. There's also the big womp, who as you might expect is a larger womp. They're seen in New Super Mario Bros. 1 and 2. There's also tiny womps known as the Wimp, seen in Super Mario Galaxy 2 during the King Womp fight. Probably the cutest variant of the thwomp is the Wallop, little guys who will walk back and forth blocking Mario's path, and when he jumps, they will jump and then ground pound down. Very similar to the Wallop is the Wall-Eye, who move from side to side trying to block Mario's path. The Stairface Ogre was introduced in Super Mario Odyssey. They seem to be living statues with thwomp faces that attack by slamming down their giant mallet. There's also Toxbox, boxes that roll from side to side and have one hollow side that Mario can go inside. Glump is very similar to Toxbox, but much bigger, used as a platform, and has no hollow side. When Mario's on top of it, they get very angry. Super Mario 64 introduces the Grindle, who is a mummified square thwomp, and has actually become a bit of a meme in the streamer RaiseFire's community. Grindle's good friend is the Spindle, who are cylinder-shaped Grindles that roll around and try to crush Mario. Similar to Spindle is Romp, who is much larger, but also tries to roll and crush Mario. A Bomp is an enemy that extends itself out of the wall, attempting to push Mario off the ledge. In their first appearance in Super Mario 64, they looked absolutely nothing like their modern design, but I still love them. Flomp is a thin platform thwomp that will flip over every couple of seconds. New Super Mario Bros. U has the Stone Eye, who are giant moving blocks that have a bearing resemblance to the Easter Island heads. Returning to Super Mario Odyssey, we have Bite Frost, a stone enemy that hides itself below the snow, and then extends outward attempting to bite Mario. Because they extend upward, they can also be used as a platform to reach higher areas. Super Mario Wonder has Conk, who are very similar to thwomps, but move back and forth. The yellow one falls from the ceiling, the blue one goes up from the ground, and the Wonder Conk is an oversized one. Sticking to Wonder, we have the Slide On, who are baby thwomps with pacifiers in their mouth. They sit on the ground and slide back and forth depending on which way the floor is tilted. Remember the ice pack from earlier? Well, that comes with the Sniffle Thwomp, who is a thwomp with a runny nose. This enemy is only seen in Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. In many of the Mario Kart games, we see Star Thwomp, who are thwomps that appear to be powered up by the Superstar. Super Mario 3D Land gave us Tail Thwomp, thwomps that can float around with the help of the Super Leaf power-up. New Super Mario Bros. Has the Growl and Mega Growl, who are rolling spiked stones with faces. They will roll back and forth on a platform trying to hit Mario. Paper Mario and Super Paper Mario have Spiny Tromp, who is a giant spiked thwomp that rolls downhill after Mario a la Indiana Jones. There's also the Spiky Tromp, whose behavior is very similar to that of the Growl. Mario & Luigi Partners in Time has Thwack and Wonder Thwack, with the Wonder Thwack being the stronger version of the two. There's also Thwack Totem, which is Thwack stacked on top of each other. In Wario Land 1 and 2, we meet the Pouncer, who is a thwomp with spikes on the bottom and sides, but has a flat top so he can be stood on. Sticking to Wario Land thwomps, Wario Land 3 has Omodon, who looks more like a red tiki but acts like a thwomp. Super Princess Peach has Thump, a thwomp that doesn't attack but does block hidden areas. My personal favorite name for a thwomp variant is Old Red Mug, who is simply a brick wall with feet in the face. Next we have our first taste of Rabbids with the Squasher and Squashette. These are giant pig Rabbids with thwomps on their back that they use to attack. There's the Moai. When captured by Mario, using its sunglasses will reveal hidden platforms. Donkey Kong for the Game Boy has a few stone enemies. First, the Walking Block, whose name pretty much explains everything you need to know. And second, the Golem, an enemy that walks back and forth and who Mario can stand on. Super Mario RPG has Stomp Pillar, a large and tough to defeat stone enemy. If its body is defeated first, the head will defeat itself. Also in that game is Stumpette, who though named Stumpette is actually made of stone, but he does look like a stump, so it also makes sense. The Paper Mario series introduces us to Cleft, who are extremely defensive rock enemies with spikes on their head. They are also cross-eyed and have an underbite, giving them a very goofy look. The first variant is the Hyper Cleft, who is a green and stronger version of the Cleft. There's also Bald Cleft, a Cleft with no spikes who is actually weaker than the original Cleft. Hyper Bald Cleft, who's the stronger version of the Bald Cleft, obviously. Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door has Moon Cleft, clefts from, you guessed it, the moon. These are also a stronger variant. Because this is a Super Paper Mario enemy, we have Dark Cleft. The Brolder is a rock enemy with eyes and arms that rolls after Mario. This is another one that I don't know why, but it's just so cute. Returning to Super Mario Wonder, we have the Hot Rock and the Big Hot Rock. These are living rock enemies that heat up and cool down on a set pattern. The original Super Mario Land had Gan-chan, who though his in-game sprite appears to just be a rock, has a face in his artwork, so I'm counting him as a living enemy. This rolling rock can be used as a platform to get across long stretches of spikes. Mario and Donkey Kong has Brickman, who is an enemy completely surrounded by bricks that tries to drop them on Mario. And yes, I am aware he's not the bricks himself, but I have no idea what's inside there. And just when you thought we were done talking about Easter Island, you're wrong, because here's the Toko Toko and the Batadon, one being a ground stone enemy and the other being a flying stone enemy. In Wario Land Master of the Skies, we get a bunch of living statues, including Horcus Porcus, Nubis, Ramenzes II, and Tooty Common. All living statues that are able to hurt Wario. Though not exactly the same as the last three, the Scare-O is also some sort of living statue. Donkey Kong for the Game Boy has another one, with the Tassatin Omen, which are pretty similar to the Scare-O in that they are Egyptian statue heads. These ones can be stood on by Mario. Super Princess Peach has Fire Wheel, spinning stones with faces surrounded by fire. And yes, they actually spin this fast in the game. Mario and Luigi Dream Team introduces us to Monolift, who are enemies that throw rocks as projectiles. They also seem to be made of rock themselves, but I'm not sure. Their stronger variant is the Monolift R, and in the boss fight with Mamashka, we see the Block Monolift and the Block Monolift X, who provide hats for the boss to protect them. Sticking to Dream Team, we have Chisel, whose name is a play on him being stone, and Buff. Back to Donkey Kong for the Game Boy, we have Rokun, who are little walking round rocks. Super Mario World gives us the Bowser statue, and I'm not counting the ones that shoot projectiles, as those just sit still and appear to not be alive. But the ones that jump around the room, those are definitely alive. And to round out this category, I'm going to put a few enemies that don't necessarily fit, but I didn't have anywhere else to put them. And they sort of fit anyway. They're sand enemies. First is a Sand Dune, who is simply a living pile of sand in Mario & Luigi Dream Team. There's also the Dreamy Sand Dune variant. We also have Sand Marg, who is essentially a Blarg variant, but made out of sand. These hide underground, and as Mario gets close to them, they'll pop out and try and bite him. And last but not least, to round this one out, we have Sand Slab, another enemy that acts as a roadblock and can be defeated by Peach's Tears. New category time yet again. And this one is Living Plants, which sounds like it would be extremely niche, but if you're a fan of the Mario series, you know that isn't true at all. In fact, this is one of the larger categories we're going to go through. First up for plants, we have none other than the famous piranha plant. Originally, piranha plants were only seen coming out of pipes, but later on they were found outside and on the ground. They kind of can be just anywhere now. The second most common version of the piranha plant is the fire piranha plant, who is a piranha plant with the special ability to spit fireballs, as you might have expected already. Both the standard piranha plant and the fire piranha plant are Mario Maker enemies, so I really do think Mario Maker adds more variants of enemies than any other game. Also in Mario Maker is the jumping piranha plant, who replaces the standard piranha plant in the Super Mario World style. These little guys use their stems as propellers to jump upward and then slowly fall. Not seen in Mario Maker, but seen in the original Super Mario World, jumping fire piranha plant, who jumps like the jumping piranha plant, but spits fire when it does so. Super Mario 64 has the small fire piranha plant, which as you might guess are only seen on Tiny Huge Island. These are also Paper Jam enemies, so we get the Paper Fire Piranha and the Shiny Paper Fire Piranha. Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga has the Blue Piranha Plant, who is mostly the same, but shoots electrical balls rather than fireballs. New Super Mario Bros. 2 Gold Ring makes for the Gold Piranha and the Big Gold Piranha Plant. If you don't know by now, when they're killed, they give off coins. Yoshi's Island and Yoshi's New Island have Propeller Piranha, who are similar to the Jumping Piranha Plants, but they are distinctly bigger, can eat Yoshi, and are purple and blue. One of the cutest little piranha plants is the Piranha Sprout, who's a tiny baby piranha with feet. Though it does have those feet, it actually doesn't walk around, it just stands still. Which makes me truly question why this has feet at all. Another small piranha plant is the Piranha Pest, which attack by sticking out their extremely long tongue. Perhaps the strangest version of the piranha plant is the Note Piranha Plant, and the bigger version, the Big Note Piranha Plant. These are fiery music note piranha plants, seen in the final battle with Bowser in Super Mario Wonder. Seriously, these things are so weird. But honestly, a lot of Super Mario Wonder all feels like a giant acid trip. In Mario Kart Double Dash, we see the Pit Plant, who is a giant piranha plant in the middle of a pit that eats anything that comes its way. Honestly, this thing gives me big Sarlacc vibes. Returning to Super Mario Wonder, we have the Tally. These are pitcher plants that hang upside down and have a handle that can be pulled and swung fun to defeat them. They drop spike balls down to hit Mario. In the boss fight with the Lava Piranha in Paper Mario, we see Petite Piranha, who are little tiny fireballs with a wit lick on their head. This is just so cute to me and I don't know why. In Super Mario RPG, we see the Chewy, who is a green piranha plant with purple stems and leaves. Other than their color change, they're mostly just piranha plants. Super Mario RPG also has Woohoo, which is one of the mystery chest enemies that is revealed to be a Chewy inside. Super Mario Land has the Pom-Pon Flower, which is a walking flower that has the ability to open up and shoot pollen as a projectile. Virtual Boy Wario Land has Pollen Plant, who act almost exactly exactly the same as the pom-pom flower, but are much larger. Furawa is a Donkey Kong for the Game Boy enemy, and similar to the last two enemies, they walk around and release projectiles. Though these projectiles do seem to be fire. Moving back to some piranha plants, we have the stalking piranha plant, who is simply a piranha plant that can walk. The fire stalking piranha plant is the same thing, but with the ability to shoot fire. Super Mario Wonder introduces one of the most interesting versions, the trotting piranha plant, which is exactly a stalking piranha plant with the ability to walk, but they have one extra ability, and that is they can sing. Oh yeah, and there's also a big singing piranha plant. I mean, big trotting piranha plant. Moving forward, we have Patooey, a walking piranha plant that, using their breath, keep a spike ball floating in the air above them. Yoshi's Island has the wild Patooey piranha. Unlike the standard Patooey, these ones are stationary and spit out a variety of spiked projectiles at Yoshi. Super Princess Peach has the glad Patooey, which is a happy Patooey that plays with its balls. Wario World has the Tula Patooey, which do act very similar to standard Patooeys, which are much larger and spit goo globs instead of spiked balls. There's also River Piranha Plants, who act very similar to Patooeys, but float in the water rather than walk on the land. I think they should be called River Patooeys, or at least that's what I would call them. There's the Frost Piranha Plant, which in the Paper Mario series is a standard piranha plant that is blue, but in the new Super Mario series, these are standard looking piranha plants that spit ice balls instead of fireballs. These could honestly be two different enemies, but they are listed as the same one. Screw it, they're two different enemies. Piranha plants have a lot of weird enemies because this next one is the Elasto Piranha, who is a piranha plant with an extremely long neck that appears to wear a pipe like pants, and their feet come out the bottom and they walk around. It's really weird. Back to the Paper Mario series, we have Putrid Piranhas, who were originally colored like regular piranhas, but now have their own yellow look, and as the Putrid name implies, they have poison attacks. Speaking of poison piranha plants, we have the Poison Piranha Plant from Super Mario Odyssey. Piranha plants that spit out purple poison. They also come in the big variant. Moving inside Bowser's body, we have another really gross enemy, the Piranha Plorp, who appears to be a piranha plant that is also a blood vessel. I hate it. I really hate this thing. The Super Mario Galaxy games have Spiky Piranha Plant, who are purple piranha plants with spiked stems. Galaxy 2 also has the Prickly Piranha Plant, which also has a spiked stem, but has a black head with orange spikes. Speaking of piranhas with spiky stems, we have the Purple Piranha Creeper and the Blue Piranha Creeper, both piranha plant enemies that extend out of pipes, with the purple ones going out to their max distance and then going back, and the blue ones fully extending and then staying there and falling asleep. I support the blue sleeping ones personally. Purple ones, you're putting in too much effort. Super Princess Peach has the Glad Piranha Plant, and though it's named the Glad Piranha Plant, it's actually a Glad Fire Piranha Plant because it's happy, hopping, and has the ability to spit fire, which, as we know, standard piranha plants do not have. Mario vs. Donkey Kong has the Tain Pekon, which is its Japanese name that roughly translates to seed piranha plant. They're actually mechanical piranha plants that shoot seeds. Piranha bonds are seen in Super Mario Sunshine. These piranha plants are only the heads and covered in goop. They attack by rolling around. Inky piranha plants are black piranha plants that spit ink at the screen, which means this is the first enemy that we have that 100% breaks the fourth wall. Back to Super Mario Bros. Wonder, we have the Melon Piranha Plant, who is a combination of a watermelon and a piranha plant. They attack by spitting out watermelon seeds that hurt Mario if he runs into them, but can be jumped off of. Another piranha plant that makes me question the rules of the Mario universe is Polter Piranha, who is a ghost piranha plant with wings. Seriously, do not understand these things. If they run into Yoshi, they will attempt to eat him and spit him out after a few seconds. A couple of Yoshi games also have the Bungee Piranha, who are very similar to the Creeper Piranha from earlier, but these ones wait for Yoshi to walk by and then attempt to fall down on top of him and eat him. Once they miss, they will rise back up. Alright, this is my favorite version of the Piranha Plant. And yes, I am very aware that these things are just piranha plants reskinned. This is a piranha plant that enjoys going to raves, and they look cool as hell doing it. Like many other common enemies from the Mario series, we see the Paper Macho Piranha, who is a paper mache piranha plant. Much like the standard piranha plant, they don't move, but rather wait in place for Mario to come to them. And who would have ever known that changing one letter, that's right, one letter in the piranha plant would make it into something completely different? Yep, the Piranha Planet. This is a ball of pipes which have piranha plants living inside them. Because it is in space, the piranha plants also have astronaut helmets on. What an absolutely unhinged enemy. Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door also has the Piranha Plant, aka the Killer Piranha, which is actually a very strong variant of the Piranha Plant within the game. Though they are simply called Piranha Plants, they are definitely distinctively different enemies. And fun fact, they have the second highest base attack of any enemy in the game. Do you guys remember the Piranha Sprout from earlier? Well, here's the Piranha Sprout, and it's a completely different enemy. These are little tiny piranha plant guys that are a combination of a mole and a plant. They sprout out of the ground and spit out explosive seeds. Back to Super Mario Wonder, we have the Wonder Piranha, who are piranha plants that prevent Mario from advancing in the overworld. They can be defeated or removed by having a certain number of Wonder Seeds. Similar to this is the Cloud Piranha. This is a set of Cloud Piranha plants that move around Bowser's castle. They are destroyed by the Royal Seeds. Slithervine is a very strange enemy. It's not quite a piranha plant, but it's definitely a plant. They have the ability to extend themselves outwards. Another piranha plant-like enemy that's not quite a piranha plant is the Flytrap. These are seen in the Luigi's Mansion series and are defeated by plucking their fruit off and shooting them back at them. Alright, back to a more common enemy, we have the Muncher, who in their first appearance in Super Mario Bros. 3 were actually just a tile, meaning they weren't technically an enemy. As a tile, they would deal damage when stood on or touched, but they couldn't be defeated in any way. In later appearances in the series, they would become defeatable by such things as Prow Blocks. And yes, these do make an appearance in Mario Maker. Oh, wait a minute, these actually can't be given parachutes. A very similar enemy to the piranha plant is the plant Chomper, who look very piranha plant-esque, but actually act more like munchers. The muncher's white cousin is the Nipper, who are a small walking species of the muncher. They can walk around, jump up, and try and bite Mario. Though they're pretty much seen in every single Yoshi game, these have a huge gap in mainline Mario games. They were first seen in Super Mario Bros. 3 in 1998, and wouldn't reappear in the main series until Super Mario Wonder in 2023, which is an insane 35-year gap. SMB3 also has the Fire Nipper, who is a Nipper with the ability to spit fireballs into the air. Super Princess Peach has Sad Nipper, who is a crying Nipper who jumps in arcs rather than in straight lines. Yoshi's Island DS has a very strange enemy named the Windbag, whose only job is to blow Nipper dandelions, which sends Nipper seeds flying, which, when they hit the ground, will become Nippers. Okay, we're staying in the living plant category, but we're moving to another very well-known plant. It's the Pokey, who is a living yellow cactus. Their bodies are broken down into segments, and each individual segment can be defeated one at a time. But if you defeat the head, they are completely defeated. Because the Pokey is a very common Mario enemy, we see it in Mario Maker. Actually, unlike most enemies in Mario Maker, these can't be made big. But outside of Mario Maker, there is a big Pokey. They just don't have wings or parachutes. In the snow levels of Mario Maker, we see Snow Pokey, who, unlike the spiky normal Pokey, can be jumped on to be defeated. When they are defeated, they become a snowball. Something you might suspect to be the same, but is actually very different, is the White Pokey, who in Yoshi's New Island are Pokeys that hang from the ceiling. The Mario vs. Donkey Kong series has the Toy Pokey, whose name completely explains it. In Paper Mario Sticker Star and Color Splash, we see the Green Pokey, whose color is based on their original appearance in Super Mario Bros. 2. Unlike normal Pokeys, these lack spikes and can be jumped on. There's also an orange-ish Pokey in Super Mario Galaxy, called the Pokey Plant. Similar to the green Pokey, he doesn't have spikes. The first 3 Paper Mario games have Poison Pokey, who were originally called Pokey Mummies. As the name suggests, they are able to poison Mario. Ooh, it's been a little bit, but we're back to Dark Pokey. Moving on. Alright, this next one is probably my least favorite Mario enemy of all time. I cannot stand even looking at this. This is Toothy, who is a Pokey made out of teeth. Good God, this thing is so gross. Going back to Super Princess Peach, we have Mad Pokey, who is orange, angry, and has the strange ability to extend its body. Not something you usually see from a Pokey. And another stroke of genius, Yoshi's Island has a character called Pokey, who isn't a Pokey, but rather a bouncing cactus. If you eat the small projectile on top, the cactus that's bouncing it will get sad and slump down. Super Mario Galaxy has the Pokey Heads, which, as their name implies, they're Pokeys that are simply heads. To keep things nice and confusing, Yoshi also has the Pokey. Seriously, why is it called the Pokey? These are projectile Pokeys. They're what's seen bouncing on top of the head of the cactus Pokey from earlier. Sometimes I just don't get the namings in these games at all. The Yoshi's game also have the Eggplant, which isn't an enemy but gives eggs. It's important to mention because there's a version called the Pokeflower, who shoots out Pokey projectiles instead of eggs. Similar to the Pokey projectile that we just talked about is the Pokepalm, which is probably what all the Pokey projectiles should have been called. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and say Pokepalm is every single Pokey projectile. So we'll remove one off the counter because I'm putting this with Pokey projectile. Yoshi's Island has the spiked fungi and the potted spike fungi. The standard ones are just cactus heads that bounce around, while the other ones are stuck in their pods and move around much slower. Sticking to Yoshi's Island, we have the Blowhard, a variety of Pokey that shoot Pokey projectiles at Yoshi. Yoshi's Island DS has the Hanging Blowhard, blowhards that hang from the ceiling and have a climbable rope coming out of their mouths. As you would suspect, they also drop Pokey projectiles, aka the Pokepalm. Another variant of the Blowhard is the Droolhard. These will drop exploding Pokepalms, which I didn't even know they could explode. So that's a completely different enemy. You won't believe it, but still in Yoshi's Island, we have yet another cactus enemy. This one is Cactus Jack. No, not professional wrestler Mick Foley's alter ego, but rather a Pokepom? But these ones look different and act differently. They can be eaten and spitten out by Yoshi, and if they come in contact with anything, they will shoot out coins. Alright, we can finally move away from Yoshi games into Mario and Luigi Dream Team, where we see Cack, who are pretty simple. They're just cactus enemies. And after one game break, we're back to Yoshi's story, where we have the sea cactus. This is an enemy that comes in many colors and can actually be seen on land, which is weird because they're called the sea cactus. But to be fair, a lot of them are found in the water. Super Mario Wonder has the Slugug, which are pretty much the same thing, but they come out of pipes. New Super Mario Bros. Wii and U have one of the strangest enemies, the Bramball, who seem to be some sort of weird plant that walk in a very strange way and have spiky legs. Often you can just let them walk directly over you as they won't hit you at all. Yoshi's Island introduces us to the sentient flower Crazy Daisy, a flower that will skip and sing. They really aren't much of a threat at all as they move very slowly. Though in Paper Mario, they're kind of just standard enemies. Paper Mario introduces us to the Crazy Daisy variant, Amazy Daisy, who are very strong Crazy Daisies that give a ton of experience if defeated, but they will attempt to flee battle pretty much right away. And if they attack, they hurt a lot. Another variant is the Bubble Daisy, purple petaled Crazy Daisies that will blow bubbles at Yoshi. And Super Paper Mario has Dark Daisy. Woohoo! I'm just so excited. Remember those flowers from earlier that opened up and shot projectiles? Well, we've got more of them. Here's Panzer, a flower that walks back and forth and shoots out projectiles. In this case, fireballs. Super Mario Bros. 3 has Lava Lotus, which is a stationary flower that is often seen underwater, weirdly enough, that lets out a lava attack. Wouldn't the water just cool the lava? Very similar to that is Volcano Lotus, who act almost the exact same as Lava Lotus, but have a very distinct look from them. Super Princess Peach has the Calm Volcano Lotus, who, like all other calm enemies, is found sleeping. They actually sleep by wrapping their flower within the leaves. Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story has Sockop, who you could argue is a sock, but it's actually based on a pitcher plant. The Mario series really likes using carnivorous plant enemies. Beehus is an enemy that I'm not 100% sure is a plant, but his body is a stick, so I'm going with plant. Pretty simply, this thing is just a walking honeycomb. Mario & Luigi Dream Team has the Spritz Bloom, who are poisonous flower enemies. Donkey Kong for the Game Boy has the Dory, a plant enemy that shoots seeds out at Mario. Burr is an enemy based on a burr, and very similar to a burr, they stick to Velcro. The Fuzzbush is a plant enemy that attacks by shooting out Fuzzies, an enemy coming up later on this list. To me, their foliage makes it look like they have a mustache. Super Mario Galaxy 2 has the Trap Dragon, a flower that attempts to use a coin as bait, and if Mario gets too close, it will attempt to eat him. Paper Mario has the Hurt Plant, which seems to just be the stem of a plant. They're also very drooly. Yoshi series has a collectible called the Smiley Flower, but sometimes they can be Fooly Flowers, which are fake versions of the collectible that are there to trick Yoshi and hurt him. In Yoshi's Island, the Eggodale is an oversized flower. It has 5 rotating petals that will go around in a circle and then shoot off in all directions. The petals can be eaten by Yoshi and turn to eggs. Next is the Fuzzy, not to be confused with the Fuzzy, who's later on this list, is a floating spore that, if Yoshi touches, will get him extremely high, which makes the screen move like this. Super Mario RPG has a flower enemy called the Snapdragon. There's also the stronger variant of the Snapdragon known as the Fink Flower. Super Mario 64 has the Spindrift, who is at least 10% flower, so I'm counting as a flower, as otherwise I would have no clue where to put this enemy. When jumped on, they will cause Mario to spin and propel himself into the air, and then fall back down slowly. Speaking of flowers with propellers, we have Choppa, who again might not be a plant, but he kind of looks like one to me. Seriously, I just don't know what this thing is. So we're putting it in plant. Also in Galaxy 2 is the Twirlup. These are angular flowers that will spin to attack Mario. Super Paper Mario has a species called the Florosapiens, which are literally just enemies and flower people. They come in yellow, red, and purple. The original Paper Mario game has Ambush, who are bushes that ambush Mario. They really do. They pretend to be bushes and then ambush him. Wario World has the Tree Freak, which is a big tree enemy that attacks using its roots. They can be defeated by throwing their spiked fruits back at them. Wario Land Shake It has the Venus Guy Trap. Isn't the Piranha Plant already a Venus Flytrap? Why do we need another Venus Flytrap enemy? They come in 3 different variants. The yellow that close after a few seconds, the purple who close immediately, and the brown who stay closed. Super Mario Galaxy 2 has the Snoodle, which can grow out of either the ground or ceiling. Due to their upside down faces, I find the ones growing out of the ceilings adorable. Super Mario Galaxy has the Spindlebear, who doesn't have a face, but shows itself to be alive by extending its spikes to hit Mario. Pointy is a very strange enemy in Yoshi's Island DS. These are plants that can make themselves grow out of the ground, creating a wall that is tall and hard to get by. They also do a little wiggle. Wario Land Master of Disguise has a couple of plant enemies. First is the Seedweed, a little plant that shoots projectiles, and they have a thorny version known as the Thornweed, which isn't nearly as clever of a name. Bowser's Inside Story has the Blorp, who are purple bushes. That's all. Also in Bowser's Inside Story is Treeville, who, as their very clever name implies, are evil trees. There are two variants of this, one with blue eyes that doesn't have a nut, and one with red eyes that does have a nut. The one with red eyes is the stronger of the two. Obviously, as we all know, nuts make you stronger. Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon has one of the most clever named enemies in Orange Flower. That is indeed an orange flower that will try to drop down from the ceiling and slam onto Luigi. There's a seaweed enemy called Kombu, who are usually green, but actually come in many different colors, including yellow and purple. Yoshi's Crafty World has Pinecone, who are armored pine cones with spikes. As we know by now, not every Mario enemy is creative. Time for a slight switch in categories, from plants to mushrooms. First up is Amanita, who are little tiny mushroom enemies with white gloves on. And for an enemy with no face, they're adorable. Super Mario Maker 2 introduced us to the Rotten Mushroom, an evil mushroom that follows after Mario and even has the ability to jump over ledges. This thing is relentless. As this is a Mario Maker enemy, but it actually can't be made big. Very similar to the Rotten Mushroom is the Zombie Shroom, who is an enemy in Paper Mario with only 1 HP. There's also a stronger variant called the Ghoul Shroom. Spooky. Mario and Luigi Partners in Times introduced us to Shroobs, which is an entire species of mushroom. Shroobs are actually the most common enemy in the game. The Shrooblet is a small version that looks like a Goomba. There's the Guardian Shroob, who is the stronger version of a standard Shroob. There's Dr. Shroob, little mushroom men with ray guns. They can also make themselves bigger or smaller using mushrooms. Does that mean they're cannibals? This little blue and pink guy is RC Shroober, who can control either little bombs or UFOs. Shrooba Diver is a scuba diving Shroob that goes down in the sand. Blazing Shroob is a red Shroob on fire. Shroob's Worth is an old man Shroob. Intern Shroob is actually the Shroob riding on his back. Though I'll be honest, if that's how you get an internship in Shroob World, I don't want it. There's also Shroob Saucer, that is a Shroob combined with a UFO. It also has a laser gun, interestingly enough. Moving from Partners in Time to Dream Team, we have Capnap, who's more of this kind of mushroom than the standard one we think of. These are very common enemies within Dream Team. There's also the Dream Cap, which is the dream variant of the Catnap. Did I say Catnap? I meant Capnap. The stronger version of the Dream Nap is the Dream Cap R. They also have leaders in Dream Cap Captain. Why weren't they just called Dream Captain? And their stronger version, Dream Captain R. Super Mario Wonder gives us the Trumpet, coming both the brown and purple variant, with the difference being that the purple ones won't walk off of edges. They come in many different sizes. And to round out the mushrooms, we have Spook, who is an absolutely adorably happy mushroom. Though I will say, the SNES version definitely gave him dead eyes. From mushrooms, we head to food enemies. And first we have Eggplant Man. This is one of the few enemies from the Wrecking Crew series, an often forgotten staple of the Mario franchise. This little eggplant is wearing a mask and they move up and down ladders. There's also the Eggplant Warrior from Wario Land 4, who are actually just eggplant versions of the Totsumen from earlier. Alright, this next one is from the original Wario Land. Its name is Big, and it's simply a big rolling apple that comes after Wario. My first instinct is to say this isn't an enemy, but rather an obstacle. But it's listed as a rolling apple monster on the wiki. And if we look at its sprite, it kind of looks like it has eyes. So we'll put it on the list. The next one has no controversy. It's the Angry Watermelon, which is exactly what it sounds like, an angry giant watermelon. It's used to block the path in Virtual Boy Wario Land. Speaking of living food in a Wario Land games, we have Faddington, who is a large enemy made up of ice cream. A common enemy in Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga is Beanie. These are an extremely common and weak enemy within the game. Similarly then, we have the Para-Beanie, who as you would expect is the winged version of the Beanie. There's also Gold Beanie, that acts a lot like the Amazing Daisy from earlier, fleeing battle quickly but giving great rewards if defeated. Continuing with Superstar Saga, we have the Pest Nut. These are little spiked nut enemies. They attack by rolling at Mario and Luigi. After they take enough damage, a Beanie or Golden Beanie will pop out. There's also the stronger variant, the Elite Pest Nut. Yoshi's New Island has the Mami-san, aka Mr. Bean, who's just a cute hoppin' bean. The Coconutter and its stronger version, the Red Coconutter, are seen in Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. They're simply spear-wielding coconuts. Speaking of spear-wielding coconuts, we have Coco Knight and Coco Knight R. These are from Mario and Luigi Dream Team. It's weird to me that both these games have coconut enemies, but they're not the same coconut enemy. Also in Dream Team is the Thworb, who is an angry spiked pumpkin. Seriously, he's so mad. Speaking of angry fruit, let's continue on with the Magmado, which are tomatoes made up of magma. They will roll after Mario, and if they hit him or are hit by him, they will turn into piles of lava, or I guess magma. Also in Super Mario Odyssey is the Uproot, which are little onions that can extend their legs to be taller. Super Mario Wonder introduced my favorite food enemy, the Marocon, that is literally just a corn kernel. And if that corn kernel walks in the lava, or is on top of something else hot, it'll turn into popcorn. Once it's popcorn, it'll start jumping around. Sticking to Super Mario Wonder, we have Sproing. This is a little acorn enemy who can extend using the spring in his body. In Mario Time Machine, we see the walking turnip, who, as his name implies, is a turnip that indeed walks. He also wears extremely cool sunglasses. To round out the food category, we have enemies from Super Mario RPG, starting with the Artichoker, who is an artichoke, I assume, and his stronger variant, the Kiffid, who is a stronger artichoke, I assume, and the Caraboscus, who is an amazing creepy carrot, whose look is only defeated by his name. It's time for another major shift in category. We're on to mammals. First up, we have Monty Mole. These are little mole enemies that will hop out of the ground and chase after Mario. They are very quick and will often over-pursue Mario, meaning if there's an edge nearby, they'll go flying off it. With Monty Mole being such a popular enemy, he's also in Mario Maker. Now, as you just saw in Mario Maker, there is a big Monty Mole, but there's also a Mega Monty Mole, only seen in Super Mario World. These are large Monty Moles that can be stood on and used as a platform. Using them as a platform is necessary in certain areas to traverse through without taking damage. Super Mario 3D Land has the Morty Mole, a mole that when jumped on will squish down to half its size and move twice as fast. If jumped on again, they will be defeated. Paper Mario has Green Monty Mole, which are just stronger Monty Moles. There's also Rocky Wrench, who is a mole that pops out of the ground and throws wrenches at Mario. Most people think that these are a variant of the Monty Mole, but Rocky Wrench actually came first, meaning that the Monty Mole is a variant of Rocky Wrench. And just like Monty Mole, Rocky Wrench is a Mario Maker enemy. Super Mario Galaxy has Monty, without the mole, which are actually just Rocky Wrenches, with blue bandanas. The Galaxy games have the Undergrunt, who is a Monty Mole with a helmet preventing it from being jumped on. The Gura Gura is a sunglass-wearing mole, who has a red bandana and carries a mace. Morpho Mole and Metal Morpho Mole are from Bowser's Inside Story. They're simply Monty Moles with a thoughtful face, with the metal ones being the stronger version. Monty Mole Patch is in Yoshi's Woolly World, who comes on a block that must be unraveled. And once unraveled, the flat mole will chase after Yoshi. Captain Toad has the Mole. These little guys will run away from Toad, but if you catch them, they will give an award. Ragumu are little moles with drills on their face. They will burrow into the ground and then jump up and try and hit Mario from below. Virtual Boy Wario Land has Mole Burrower, who are moles that will pop out of the ground and then try and hit Wario. If you get too far away, they will return to their holes in the ground. Wario Land 2 has Cook, who is an adorable pink mole with cake on a fork. Fudomogu are moles with platforms on their heads that try and stop Wario from getting below them, but honestly they're still pretty easy to get by. Mogurara Men are the second version of moles with drills on their noses. The Porcupo is a porcupine enemy that, thanks to its spikes, can't be jumped on. Besides being seen in Super Mario Bros. 2, they're also seen in Mario Kart 64 as obstacles on the Yoshi's Valley track. Yoshi's Island has Hairy Hedgehog. Thanks to their speed and blue color, they're most likely a reference to Sonic the Hedgehog. Harasu are hedgehog enemies from the original Wario Land. If Wario tries to jump on them, they will extend their spikes to hurt Wario. Spikies are little hedgehogs with the ability to roll into a ball, also possibly a reference to Sonic the Hedgehog. Donkey Kong for the Game Boy has Chiku Chiku, who are spiky enemies with the ability to walk on floors, walls, and ceilings. Super Mario RPG has the Throfer, who are gophers that throw things. Alright, it's time to go down a rabbit hole of rabbit enemies. And first up is simply the rabbit. Rabbits in most Mario games they show up in have some sort of collectible that Mario must chase them down for and get. In Super Mario 64, they have Power Stars. In 3D World, they have Green Stars. In Odyssey, they have Power Moons. And in Super Mario Galaxy, they have Power Stars yet again. Honestly, bunnies are jerks in the Mario universe. Super Mario 3D World has a larger variant of these called the Mega Rabbit, who acts pretty much the same but are bigger. Super Mario 64 for the DS has the Glowing Rabbit, which is essentially just a shiny version. Every time the rabbit is spawned in, there's a chance for it to be glowing. And when caught, they give different rewards. Alright, time to do the Rabbids. And first up is Ziggy. These are the most common enemy in Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. They have 5 different variants: the Garden, Sherbert, Spooky, Lava, and Tropical. Now, a lot of these rabbit enemies coming up all have a ton of different variants, but I'm just going to tell you how many different variants they have instead of listing them all out every time. And to be honest, they're all kind of just the same variants. It's based on which land they are from. Next up is the Hopper, who also has 5 variants. These are rabbits with springs on their feet that they use to jump around, and their guns are attached to their wrist. Also having 5 variants is the Smasher, who are large tank enemies that hit hard. Similar to the Smasher is the Smuggler. These are smashers with banana crates that will run away. The Supporter Rabbit has 3 variants, and as their name suggests, they are actually healers, but they can't throw bombs to be offensive. Buckler, who is a large tank enemy like the Smasher, but they have a shield, making them even tougher. The Peekaboo has 2 variants, and these guys are snipers that can teleport, making them very tricky to defeat. Also with 2 variants is the Valkyrie, who are armored rabbits with machine gun boobs. And I'm not even joking about that. They literally have breastplates where they shoot machine guns from. Another rabbit enemy is the Summoner, who, as his name implies, can summon other rabbits. And last but not least, for the first Rabbids game is the Collector, who will run around stealing items and then fleeing with them. Now we get to go to Mario plus Rabbids Spark of Hope, where we see Stooge, who comes in 3 forms: the original Stooge, the Flaming Stooge, and the Sea Stooge. Each fan in this game has a different type of attack and weakness. I'm not going to list them all out, it's just too much. Plus, you can figure out what a Flaming Stooge is weak to. Next up is the Wild Claw, who comes in the forms of Deep Freeze, Riptide, and Magnafowl. These are the tanks of this game. Up next is Magician, who is a healer. They also have a form called the Depleter, who life steals. The Ghostly Walker, who can go invisible, the Oozer, who can disable player abilities, and the Spell Raiser, who can summon Stooges. There's also Scoper, who are wolf-rabbit hybrids that use snipers. There's a Lone Wolf, which is a stronger version of them, and the Bravado, who is an even stronger version. This game also has 3 Golem enemies: the Shocking Golem, the Flaming Golem, and the Tidal Golem, who are close-range tanky elemental enemies. And finally, we can wrap up the rabbits with Field Breaker, large enemies that won't take cover, and in fact will just destroy cover. Alright, now that we're out of that mess, let's go to the Waddle Wing, who are tiny little squirrel enemies from New Super Mario Bros. U. These things are flying squirrels as they have the ability to hover. Super Mario Wonder introduced the Skedaddler, who are squirrels that will run away from Mario. They will also turn back and shoot nuts out of their mouth at him. Super Mario 3D World introduces us to Skipsqueak and their spiked cousin, the Spiked Skipsqueak. The Spiked Skipsqueak. That name is really hard to say for me. And both the regular and spike forms are found in Mario Maker. These enemies are also commonly referred to as the Alabama Beach Mouse. The Ceresu is an enemy in Donkey Kong for the Game Boy who has big ears and a horn. They are usually found sleeping, but as Mario approaches, they will wake up. The Yoshi's Island series has Little Mouser. These little mice are masked bandits who will attempt to steal Yoshi's eggs, but at least they look cute doing it. No, who doesn't look cute when trying to steal Yoshi's eggs? The little Skull Mouser, who is a Mouser wearing a skull on his head. The skull acts as an extra hit for the Mouser. Luigi's Mansion has the Mouse, who are little enemies that'll drop a heart or a coin if killed. There's also the more valuable version, the Gold Mouse, who will drop gold bars. Wario World also has the very creatively named Mouse, who are oversized mice inside of wheels. The wheels act as obstacles for Wario to get by. Wario World Masters of Skies has 4 adorably named rats: the Munchelangelo, the Mini Munchelangelo, the Da Vinci's, and the Ratfael, who are all basically the same enemy, but obviously the mini one is smaller. For Super Mario RPG, we have the Rat Funk, who is very simply a blue mouse enemy, and they have a stronger pink version known as Alley Rat. Scaredy rats are enemies that will travel in groups, but if one of them is jumped on and defeated, the rest will panic and run away. Though this isn't a very commonly used enemy, they do show up in Paper Jam, meaning we get Paper Scaredy Rat and Shiny Paper Scaredy Rat. They also show up in Paper Mario Color Splash in the 10 stack. Wario Land 2 has the Chutta, who are red mice enemies who can't even actually hurt Wario. Back to Donkey Kong for the Game Boy, we have the Rappy, who are very basic mouse enemies with the ability to walk on walls and ceilings. Donkey Kong for the Game Boy has a lot of enemies that can do this. Wario Woods has the Scram, which sort of looks like a mouse to me, but maybe not, I don't know. Back to Super Mario RPG, we have K9, who are blue wolf enemies, and their stronger counterpart, the Chow. Wario World has the Wolf, who's a very basic enemy in the game, and their bigger counterpart, the Big Wolf. Sticking with Wario Land games, we have Gao Gao, who are knife-wielding, bandana-wearing wolves. In Wario Land 2, they can throw bottles at Wario. Wario Land 2 has Flame, who are fire-breathing foxes. Wario Land Master of Disguise has Dave, a dog who will stand up on his hind legs and punch Wario. Though these enemies can be stunned by Wario, they can't be defeated. Back to Donkey Kong for the Game Boy, we have Bow Bow, who are dog enemies that walk aimlessly back and forth on platforms. They can also be stood on by Mario. Wario Land Master of Disguise has Galley Cat, who is a cat waiter that throws his tray to attack Wario. There's also Pushy Cat, who are cats that try and push boxes at Wario as an attack. There's also Mellow Kitty, whose name is obviously a play on Hello Kitty, and is simply a tiny cat orb. Bowser's Fury has the Disaster Cat parent and the Disaster Cat, which are a group of corrupted cats. Super Mario Wonder also has Bull Rush. These are very strong enemies that will charge at Mario. Mario can jump on them and ride them as they go. They are extremely tanky, but can be defeated by throwing 6 fireballs at their behind. Yoshi's Island DS has the D-Bowl, which is literally just a bowl enemy, but oddly enough, their tail does look very similar to Poochie's. Mario & Luigi Partners in Time has Bully, who are a combination of a bowl and a bully. Hippopo is a Super Mario RPG enemy, and they seem pretty apathetic. Back to Super Mario Wonder, we have Hoppo. These are large hippos that can't hurt Mario, but roll around and act as obstacles. If they come to a hole in the ground, they'll get stuck and can be used as springs. There's also the Wonder Hoppo, who is an extremely oversized version only seen when grabbing the Wonder Flower. Yoshi's Story has the Pac-E-Derm, which is a very non-traditional enemy. These little guys won't try and hurt Yoshi, but they will hold up a sign with a hand on it saying that Yoshi can't get by. They were used in the first level to teach Yoshi how to ground pound. Also in this game is the Puffer, who are strange flying elephant creatures that shoot out light balls. These things are really puzzling. Wario World has an enemy simply called Elephant that will run around and charge at Wario. Sticking to the Wario World, we have Rhino Akron, who are rhinos with cannons on their back. And there's also Unithorn, who are weird, transparent, ghost-like rhinos that if they hit Wario will steal his coins. These ones I don't get at all. Alright, switching games, we have Mario vs. Donkey Kong, where we see Ram Ram. And the name is most likely a reference to the rhino from the Donkey Kong Country series, Rambi. Yoshi's Crafted World has Rhinono, which are rhinos made out of cardboard. Alright, time for some monkey enemies. And first up is Gorilla from Super Mario RPG. These are Kongs and chains that look extremely similar to Donkey Kong. Their stronger version is the Chained Kong, which confirms that these are Kongs. But we kind of already knew that. Alright, let's go to the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series. First up is Capture Kong. These guys walk around, and if they come across a mini, they will capture it and put it in the sack on their back. All the minis captured by it can be gotten back if they hit the monkey. Next up is Circus Kong. This is a Kong that if he comes across minis will start juggling them, but he can only hold 2 minis at a time because he's not a very good juggler. Catapult Kongs will pick up minis and throw them in the opposite direction. Cannon Kongs are Kongs with cannon bodies. If a mini gets near them, they will attempt to suck them into the cannon and then fire them back out. Cool Kong is a robot monkey with a long tie. The tie hangs down and Mario can hang onto it like a rope. Grabbing onto the tie makes the monkey crouch down and move faster. There's also Crash Kong, who are based on the cymbal banging monkey toys. When these little guys see a mini, they will attempt to slam it into a wall. Minis can stand on these Kong's heads and use them as platforms. There's also Konga, who act very similar to thwomps, but unlike thwomps, they will fall down automatically, whether the player is near or not. They can actually be defeated by fireball or hammer. And last from these games is Cursed Mini Mario, which are cursed minis that appear to be controlled by some unnamed robot enemy. Jumping games, we have Wario Land 2, where we see Pogo Guy, who though his name doesn't imply at all, is a very strong ape with a hammer. Seriously, I have no clue why these are called Pogo Guys at all. Also in Wario Land 2 is Grunt, who are large ape enemies that throw spiked balls. Wario Land 4 has Ringo Suki, who is an ape enemy with an apple on a fork that he throws at Wario. Yoshi's Island series has Ukiki. They're strange enemies that can't be eaten by Yoshi, but they can be jumped on to be stunned. There's also a few variants of these. There's the standard one, who just kind of runs around. There's ones that sit on trees and throw bombs. And there's also ones that spit watermelon seeds. And last but not least for the Ukikis are the chain Ukikis, who hold each other by the feet and swing back and forth. Donkey Kong for the Game Boy has the Monkiki, which is a monkey that lets its tail hang down that Mario can grab onto and use like a rope. Very similar to the Monkiki is the Monchi, which are the exact same thing, but cymbal banging toy monkeys. Mr. Cheeky is a monkey that appears to be wearing dentures. They will run at Wario and attempt to fart at him to attack. Stay classy, Wario games. Super Mario Land 2 has simply the bear, who is a little stuffed animal bear riding on a ball. If Mario defeats the bear, he can then ride on the ball himself. Wario World has the grizzly, who are simply bears with clubs. Though bears are pretty tough on their own, I'm not sure why they need clubs. Virtual Boy Wario Land has Chippy, who are bear-like enemies that can throw spike balls, have shields, or throw spears. They're pretty versatile. Taking to Wario games, we have Wario World and the Ice Ancreon, who are polar bears with cannon shells, as polar bears are known for. Also in this game is simply the polar bear, who is a polar bear with a club. Again, why does a bear need a club? Burr Bear, who are cute chubby bears that attack with snowflakes. Back to Wario World, we have Caged Beast, who isn't really seen, but is definitely implied to be a lion inside of a cage. And there's also Ram, who is pretty much just a standard ram from the real world. Changing it up a bit and going to Super Paper Mario, we have Pythagorean, who are multiple green pigs attached to each other. Their stronger variant is known as the Hogwitham, and they're the same thing but stronger. And even stronger than that is Dark Pigwitham. Super Mario Sunshine has Poink, who are weird floating pig enemies that will attach to the nozzle of FLUDD. You have to fill them up with water and then release them so they go flying. Wario Land 4 has a few weird pig enemies, like Den Den, who is a pig with a spiked snail shell. There's also Budatabi, who's a pig with a spike on his head, and Deburina, who is a spinning ballerina pig with a spiked tutu. Honestly, that that seems pretty dangerous. Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story has Naplock, who are pig golems that are often seen sleeping. Back to Super Paper Mario, we have Muth, who are large mammoths with a ton of health. Their stronger version is the Mega Muth, and the strongest version is the Dark Muth. New Super Mario Bros. U has Flipperus, who's a walrus that throws snowballs at Mario. In Super Princess Peach, we see the Walrus, who is a rather large walrus that Princess Peach can't jump over, so she must defeat him in order to get by. Donkey Kong for the Game Boy has Poro, who are tiny walruses who can walk on walls and ceilings. Strangely, they also have a second walrus enemy in Tododesu. These big guys have a charge attack and can be stood on by Mario. Sticking to this game, we have Arumajirin, an armadillo enemy that, like many others in the game, can walk on walls and ceilings. Super Mario Wonder has Armad, or armadillos that roll into a ball. If Mario jumps on them, he can stun them, then pick them up and throw them like koopas. And to round out the mammals, we have Gao, who is a fire-breathing sphinx from Super Mario Land. Is a sphinx a mammal? I don't know. Alright, now the mammals are completely done, let's go to aquatic creatures. There's no other way for a Mario list of enemies to lead off aquatic creatures than with the Cheep Cheep. Cheep Cheeps are the standard fish enemy inside Mario games. They are usually seen within water, but they have shown the ability to be able to jump out of the water. The look has stayed mostly consistent throughout the years, but in Super Mario World, they have a completely different look. And with Cheep Cheep being such a basic enemy, they are obviously a Mario Maker. Super Mario Odyssey introduces the Snow Cheep Cheep, which are purple Cheep Cheeps that act exactly like standard Cheep Cheep, but are found in cold waters. Super Mario Bros. 3 has a unique Cheep Cheep in the Baby Cheep, who's a Cheep Cheep that lives inside a big Cheep Cheep and is used as a projectile by the big Cheep Cheep, kind of like a boomerang, going out and then going back into its mouth. It's very weird that they store their babies in their mouth and use them as weapons. Similar to the Baby Cheep Cheep is the Small Cheep Cheep. As the name implies, they're tiny Cheep Cheeps that jump out of the water in Paper Mario Color Splash. The gold ring in New Super Mario Bros. 2 gives us Gold Cheep Cheep. New Super Mario Bros. U has Mecha Cheep Cheep, who are Mecha Cheep Cheeps with a wind-up key on their back. Being robots, they are also invulnerable to fire, which you think all fish would be seeing as they live in water. But no, they're not. Fireballs in Mario just work underwater. Cheep Chomps are pretty much the same as the big Cheep Cheep from Super Mario Bros. 3. Being able to defeat Mario in one hit. First it looked like a goldfish with glasses, then it kind of just looked like a big Cheep Cheep. Now it's a big purple Cheep Cheep. Next is the Deep Cheep. These are very specific green Cheep Cheeps, as green Cheep Cheeps from other games don't act like these ones. When these guys see Mario, they will swim after him. Super Mario Maker also has the green Cheep Cheep, who is a Cheep Cheep that just keeps swimming forward rather than going back and forth. New Super Mario Bros. Series has Eep Cheep, an orange Cheep Cheep that runs away from Mario if he sees him. They also have a big variant, which is bigger and more scared. Super Mario Bros. 3 introduced the Spiny Cheep Cheep, who are Cheep Cheeps with spikes on their back. In pretty much every game they're seen in, they act differently. In Super Mario Bros. 3, they swim faster. In Super Mario Land, they swim up and down. And in New Super Mario Bros., they home in on Mario, sort of like the Deep Cheep. Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga has the Puffer Cheep. These are exactly what you expect, a puffer fish cheep. Pink Cheep Cheeps are seen in Super Mario Sunshine, where they will bite and drag Mario underwater. These are probably the most vicious of all Cheep Cheeps. Super Princess Peach has the Sad Cheep Cheep. These have the ability to jump higher than normal Cheep Cheeps. Air Cheeps are only found inside Bowser's body. They also appear to have a cork on their head. In Super Mario Sunshine, we see Lava Cheep Cheep, who are Cheep Cheeps with the ability to swim in lava. They also have the ability to jump out of the lava. This ability will be carried over to Mario Maker. Now, I do have to add a little caveat here. Technically, I could put a parachute on a Cheep Cheep that is in lava, but it won't act any differently. So do I count these 4 as new enemies? I'm actually not going to. Also, Mario Maker, you can put the green Cheep Cheep in lava. Another enemy similar to the Cheep Chomp and the big Cheep Cheep is the Porcupuffer, who technically first shows up in Super Mario World, but they act very different in this game. In all other appearances, they start acting like big Cheep Cheeps, and these are also in Mario Maker. Similar to the Lava Cheep Cheep, there's also the Lava Porcupuffer, who is also in Mario Maker. Much like the Lava Cheep Cheep, they can't be hurt by fire. The Yoshi games have Lungefish, who is a large buck-toothed fish with the most sus eyes I've ever seen. Similar to the Porcupuffer and other enemies, it can swallow Yoshi whole. Spike Bass is pretty much the exact same as Porcupuffer, but without the ability to eat Mario. Yoshi's Island and Yoshi's New Island have Loch Nester, who is a spiked fish enemy that will just sit still. But while Yoshi is in his sub-transformation, if he shoots a torpedo at it, they will grow larger and start chasing Yoshi. After a few hits, they will expand too big and explode. Super Mario World introduces the Blurp, who are goggle-wearing green fish that swim endlessly in one direction. And they make an appearance in Super Mario Maker. Also in Mario Maker is the Lava Blurp. Super Princess Peach has Mad Blurp. Instead of swimming in straight lines, when these come on screen, they will see Peach and target her, but will continue swimming in a straight line from there. Superstar Saga has Sand Cheep, which is honestly just a blurp that swims in the sand. It also, for some reason, has a large fin. Yoshi's Story has Spiny Fish. Though the Mario Wiki does list these as Cheep Cheeps, I'm not buying it. Their own unique look and spikes make them a unique enemy in my book. Super Mario Wonder has Smackerel, who is a fish that burrows in the sand and jumps out trying to bite Mario. There's also the Wonder Smackerel, who is a much larger variant of the Smackerel seen when you grab the Wonder Flower. Sticking to Super Mario Wonder, we have the Bloomp, coming in both the green and purple variant. These are balloons that can be bounced off of. As they are bounced off of, they will lose air and do a quick acceleration forward. The purple Bloomp is the faster of the two. And because there's Super Mario Wonder, there's also the Wonder Blomp, who is an absurdly large blomp. Tosembo is found in Super Mario Land 2. Now, if I gave you 3 guesses to figure out where these are found, you probably wouldn't guess space. Obviously, these weird long puffer fish are found in space. Super Mario World gives us another unique fish enemy, the Rip Van Fish, which are fish found sleeping and wake up when Mario gets close and swim towards them. New Super Mario Bros. Wii and U has Bulber, who are anglerfish with lights on their heads. They simply swim back and forth and don't try to hurt Mario, but will cause him damage if swam into. The lights are used to help guide Mario in dark levels. Torion are small fish that swim in groups of 3s. They're only seen in the original Super Mario Land. Mr. Kipper is the stronger version of the Cheep Cheep in Super Mario RPG. Wario Land 2 has Toby. These are fish that hop out of the water similar to Cheep Cheeps, but they don't cause damage to Wario, instead they just bounce him back. Wario Land 3 replaces the Toby with the Akama Jakushi. They act pretty much exactly like Tobies, with the additional ability of being able to survive in lava. Trouter, who is a fish that jumps vertically out of the water in Super Mario Bros. 2. Like most other enemies in the game, they can be stood on and picked up. Back to Strange Wario World enemies, we have the Swordfish, who are not just standard swordfish, but rather fish with swords for fins. And for some reason, instead of just attacking with the fin, they try to bite Wario. Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door has Nibbles, who can't be fought in battle, but if Mario falls in the water, they will bite his bottom, deal 1 health to him, and send him out of the water. This silly fish can actually be used for a very important glitch in the speedrun. Bitacuda is a large fish enemy in Super Paper Mario. Really not much to say about these. Wario Land Shake It has the Scaracuda, coming in red, green, and black, with the first patrolling from side to side, the second jumping out of the water, and the third jumping out of lava. The Splotter is seen in 3D World, but only in levels where you're riding Plessy. They don't really hurt you, but they act as a hindrance, and can be jumped on to bounce off of. Now I had a tough time deciding where to put this next one, but I decided to put it in fish. It's the Birdfish. This is a fish that will jump out of the water, flap his wings, float for a bit, then go back in the water. This is seen in Super Mario Land 2, which, as we know, this series loves to defy expectations. Where do you think you would find these swimming? If you guessed Tree Sap, you're right. If you guessed anywhere else, you're wrong. The first Wario Land game has Togamaru, not to be confused with Togedemaru, the Pokemon. These are spinies that will bounce off walls and ceilings, similar to an old DVD screensaver. Moving along in Wario games, we have Drill in Wario Land 2, who is a swordfish with a drill-like nose that will charge at Wario. Also in Wario Land 2 is Kamu Kamu, who acts like kind of just a standard fish enemy, but looks very weird. And third for the Wario Land 2 games, we have Tashuru, who are fish that are fishing using coins for bait. Alright, swapping Wario games again, we have Wario Land Master Disguise, where we see Battle Salmon, which appear to be the combination of a salmon and a missile. There's also the Snackerel, not to be confused with the Smackerel, and are a smaller version of the Battle Salmon, but they will steal Wario's hot pants. And yes, you just heard that right, that is what they do. Alright, let's keep going with these weird enemies. Next up is Chainsaw Fish, who appears to be a shark wearing a hockey mask with a chainsaw coming through it. That's really a lot to take in. Sticking into Virtual Boy Wario Land, we have Thorny Fish, who are just spiked fish. There's also Big Mouth, the fish, not the Netflix series. They come out of holes, lunge out, and try to bite Wario. There's also Utso Bonako, who act exactly like the Big Mouth, but are seen in Wario Land 4. Also in Wario Land 4 is the Goggly Blade, which are fish that appear to have feet like a duck. They wear goggles and have a knife on their head. Wario Land never fails to disappoint with weird enemies. Togoro is a fish that swims back and forth, but if it sees Wario, it will extend its spikes and charge at him. Finally, moving out of Wario games, we can head to Mario & Luigi Dream Team, where we see Flounderflage, which are fish that hide in the sand and come in 4 different colors. And each one acts a little differently, so they're all getting counted as different enemies. Back to another wonder enemy, we have Anglefish, which are fish that propel themselves out of the water at, well, an angle. Donkey Kong for the Game Boy has Buku Buku, Mizu, who are pretty simply just piranha fish for the game. They do exactly what you think a piranha fish does. Spray fish is seen in the Yoshi series. They're fish that pop their head out of the water to spray water at Yoshi to knock him back. Mizu, who also popped out of the water and also spit water, but this time in the form of drops. Moving from fish to a different aquatic animal, we have the crab. Now, standard crabs usually aren't enemies in Mario games, but in the original Mario Kart 64, on the original Koopa Beach, you will see regular crabs that will spin out the players. Though in remakes of Koopa Beach in other Mario Kart games, we see the more common crab enemy, the Sidestepper, who debuted all the way back in the Mario Bros. Arcade game. When these guys get mad, they usually turn blue and get angry. Now, usually them turning blue doesn't make them a different enemy, but the blue Sidestepper in Paper Mario the Origami King is a stronger version of the normal one, so that's getting counted as its own enemy. Yoshi's Island DS has the Crabble. These are hermit crabs that when hit will change color. The Yoshi series has Claw Daddy. These are large crabs with a cloud-like body. They have the ability to grow their claws and swing it at Yoshi. The original Wario Land had Mazo. These are crabs holding 10 coins that will attempt to hide in the sand until Wario ground pounds. They will then pop out and flee with the 10 coin. In Super Mario Galaxy, we have the Red Crabber and Turquoise Crabber, with the red ones being more aggressive and the turquoise ones being more defensive. Super Mario RPG has Krusty, who are metal red crabs, and their stronger variant, Star Cruster, who are the same but blue. Kutta Kutta is a robot crab with the ability to extend their claws to attack. Kanji are crabs that will scuttle from side to side and hide in their shell periodically. They attack with extendable claws similar to the Kutta Kutta. Mario & Luigi Dream Team has the Hermite Crab and the Hermite Crab R. These are crabs that use coconuts for shells. They also attack by throwing coconuts. Speaking of crabs that throw stuff, we have the Hucket Crab. And yes, Nintendo allowed this to be called the Hucket Crab. These are hermit crabs that throw sand and rock at Mario. Drillbit Crab is seen in Bowser's Inside Story. These are crab enemies that can't be jumped on. Obviously, they're one big spike. The original Wario Land had Ghidorah. These are crab enemies that can only be defeated from behind. Alright, from crabs to jellyfish, where we have the jellyfish. For just a basic jellyfish enemy, Mario and Wario in Super Mario Sunshine are the only games. In Yoshi's Story, we have jellyfish that come in many colors: blue, red, and green. The blue swim up and down, the red chase Yoshi, and the green just sit in place. Wario World, again, loves to go with the weird enemies, has Laser Jiggle Fish, who is a jellyfish that shoots lasers from an eyeball. If that sounds weird, that's because it is weird. Wario Land 3 has Jelly Bob, which are jellyfish that act like the bees in Wario Land 2 and the Beasley in Wario Land 3. These are jellyfish with long pointy noses. Jammy fish are jellyfish from the Super Mario Galaxy series. These are jellyfish that will actively swim at Mario and try to damage him. There's also the Jammy Fish Ring, which are 4 Jammy fish in a group that will swim in a circle, similar to a boo ring. Sticking to Galaxy, we have Jammo War, which is a larger variation of the Jammy fish. They're also a little bit tougher, requiring 2 hits to kill. Super Mario Bros. 3 has Gelectro, who act very similar to the Muncher in the game, being a solid block that can't be defeated, but will damage Mario if they're touched. The new Super Mario Bros. Series has Jelly Beam. These are jellyfish that will swim up and down slowly and shine a light out of their bottom. These are used in dark levels to help Mario see his way. Yoshi's Island has the Praying Mantas, which, despite their name, are not praying mantises or mantas. These are just jellyfish that swim up and down. They can be defeated by a torpedo when Yoshi is in sub mode. No, not that sub mode, this sub mode. Super Mario RPG has Luku, which are jellyfish enemies that are weirdly weak to fire. That just doesn't follow Pokemon logic. That doesn't work for me. The stronger version is the Muckle, who is also weak to fire. Jellian is a Super Paper Mario enemy. I just call them the Space Jellyfish, as they're jellyfish found in space. Wario Land Shake-It has the Jellopus, coming in the blue, purple, and yellow variants. The blue ones are harmless, the yellow ones swim in a wavy pattern, and the purple ones discharge electricity. Onto another very big Mario enemy, we have Blooper, who are jellyfish that will always swim diagonally and upward towards Mario. If Mario is below them, they will fall straight down. This makes for a weird movement pattern that is often difficult for players to adjust to. Though bloopers are usually found in water, they can also be seen outside of water. Bloopers also have one of the most cursed sprites of all time. That's a blooper. Don't ask me, ask Nintendo why it looks that way. Also, this is a Mario Maker enemy. Super Mario Bros. 3 introduced Blooper Nanny. These are bloopers that move exactly like standard bloopers, but have a trail of baby bloopers following them. You can defeat the small bloopers by jumping on them or hitting them with a fireball. But if you defeat the Blooper Nanny, all of the blooper babies will be defeated as well. Much like the standard blooper, the Blooper Nanny is found in Mario Maker. And the baby bloopers following are enemies themselves. Super Mario Sunshine has the blue pad, which are blooper-like enemies that hop out of the water. They can be sprayed with flood to freeze them in place and be used as platforms. Paper Mario Sticker Star and Color Splash have the poison blooper, which, as you would suspect, are bloopers with the ability to inflict the poison status. Back inside Bowser's body, we see Bubble Blooper, which are bloopers that attack by rolling or bouncing. There's also Dried Bloopers, which are bubble bloopers after Bowser stops drinking water. They're actually paper thin and look almost like a paper enemy. There's the Blooper 10 stack, which is a 10 stack of bloopers. Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga gives us Mecha Blooper, which is a robot blooper that shoots bullet bills. Mario & Luigi Dream Team has Bloopern. Though these may not appear to be living enemies, they're fought in battle and have set HP, so I will be counting them. They have an unlimited supply of bloopers inside of them. Glad Blooper is found in Super Princess Peach. These are happy bloopers that swim in figure eights. Jasori is a generic squid enemy from Donkey Kong for the Game Boy, and they pretty much just swim back and forth. Gunyan. These are octopus that when defeated will die into balls that will home in on Mario. Virtual Boy Wario Land has Fire Octopus, who despite their name don't spit fire, but rather are found in fiery areas. They often use their spikes on their head to break blocks. There's the Octohan, which is a completely harmless enemy, but can knock Wario back in Wario Land 3. Super Mario Odyssey has Gushin, who are octopus enemies with the ability to traverse above water with a water bubble. As with most enemies in the game, they can be captured and used by Mario. Super Mario Odyssey has the Astro Lancer, who are moon-dwelling squids in space helmets. They also have the ability to shoot projectiles. In Yoshi's Crafty World, we see Teiko, who are squids that can be used as springboards. As these are necessary for beating the level, they can't be defeated by Yoshi. Speaking of the Teiko, we have the Teiko. This one is from Yoshi's Safari and has one less K. These are orange and weak squid enemies. Donkey Kong for the Game Boy has Auto. This is a strange enemy that will latch itself onto Mario's head, preventing him from swimming. So Genobai are octopus that live inside of a shell that use its rotating tentacles to attack. Yoshi's Story has Sea Anemone, which just sit on the bottom of the level and try and hit Yoshi with their tentacles. Next is Urchin, which are underwater spiked enemies that move extremely slow, but they are tough to defeat. They first appeared in Super Mario World, where they could be defeated by throw blocks. Urchins also come in big and small form. The big ones act the exact same as the regular sized ones, while the small ones don't move and can be defeated by fireballs. Super Mario Galaxy also has the ground urchin, which really isn't a water enemy, but it's a variant of the urchin. It just rolls around on the ground rather than in the sea. Yoshi's Touch and Go has the Breer. This is an enemy that sits still and extends its spikes in and out. Unibo is an enemy in Super Mario Land 2. They will move slightly up and down, making them slightly harder to avoid. Wario Land Sacred has Grunchin, coming in both the red and purple form. The red ones explode, and the purple ones can only be defeated by a red one exploding, but they will not explode themselves. Wario Land Master of the Skies has the Lurchin, who are very similar to urchins and cannot be killed. They also have the Robo Urchin, who isn't a robot at all and actually can be defeated. Alright, let's ship to a few starfish for a second. Starkiss is our first starfish enemy, seen in Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. These are really just a standard enemy, but there's a really cool Starkiss called Spangle. I mean, just look at him. That guy's cool. Super Mario RPG has Star Slap, who are pink starfish enemies that, you guessed it, slap to attack. Their stronger version is the Zeo Star. Super Princess Peach has Starfish, which is a star that randomly spawns and is extremely hard to find. Moving on, we have Clam, who's first seen in Super Mario 64. These are giant clam enemies that will open up periodically and often have items inside them, such as red coins or 1-ups. The updated version of Clam is Clampy, who, just like the clam, have hidden treasures inside, but they have eyes and are much cuter. Moving on from that, we have Clam yet again, but this time with eyes. When these ones open their mouth, they'll shoot jets of water that propel Yoshi in that direction. Mario & Luigi Dream Team has the Dura Pearl. The living part of it is actually the pearl inside. Shiraguchi is a large seashell that tries to eat Wario. Malabut is an enemy. I don't know what this is. I really don't. In Super Mario Bros. 2, we see the whale. These are only seen in Super Mario Bros. 2 and are used as platform, but they shoot water out of their blowhole. And if Mario runs into the side of the water, it will hurt him. Though if he gets on top of it, he can stand on it. Wario Land Master of the Skies again goes very weird. It has the Cyborca, which are robot whales that fire orange projectiles and have propellers for tails. Sticking with this game, we have Buffy the Dolphin, who is an absolutely jacked dolphin that shoots projectiles by flexing. He's also wearing a Speedo to cover up his dolphin privates. There's also Puffy the dolphin that attacks with hairballs from his afro. And last but not least is Fluffy the dolphin, which is a dolphin only seen in the boss fight with Stuffy the 64th. Sticking with weird aquatic enemies, we have Aquaman, which is just a man in a diving suit. Super Mario RPG has Bandana Red and Bandana Blue, which are sharks in bandanas, with the blue being the stronger of the two. Sushi is a shark from Super Mario 64 and New Super Mario Bros. They swim in set patterns and will hurt Mario if he runs into them. Rammerhead is from Super Mario 3D World. These are hammerhead sharks with spiked heads, and they can only deal damage with their head. There's a short and a longer version. Super Mario Land 2 has Shark, who are boxing glove wearing sharks. Sharks are already scary. Why would they need boxing gloves? Also, these have arms instead of fins just to wear the boxing gloves. Mario's Time Machine has Shark. These attack and swim at Mario, but you really only see their fins. Super Mario 64 has Manta. In almost all Mario games, Mantas are friendly, but they are able to hurt you in Super Mario 64, even though they don't actively try to. Wario World has Stingray. These fly on land and have sharp bodies. So is this even a water enemy? Mauray is a giant red eel that first appeared in Super Mario 64. This eel was originally named Unagi, but was later changed to Mauray. Super Mario 3D Land has spiked eel, who are pink eels that extend out of holes in the wall. Though they are extremely tough, they can be killed by 15 hits from a boomerang or fire flower. The Gringill has two variants, one that sticks its head out of a cave and attempts to bite Mario, and another smaller version that has the ability to swim around freely. There's also a big Gringill, which is big, brown, and extends from holes. Yoshi's Story has Mr. Eel, which are little eels that swim around aimlessly. Dragon Eel is an oversized eel that will chase Mario in underwater levels. Due to their massive size, they can be tricky to avoid. Something that acts very similarly is the Snorkel Snake, which, just like the Dragon Eel, will chase Yoshi. Yusutsubo are orange eels that hop out of holes. If you haven't noticed, eels love hopping out of holes in Mario games. Uririn is a seahorse enemy found in Super Mario Land. They also have their strangely named brother, the Uririn Boo, which isn't a boo or a ghost, but rather a fire-breathing seahorse. Sticking to seahorse, we have Pinwheel, which are spiked seahorses with the ability to curl themselves into a ball. You know, as all seahorses do. Piku is a leech, I think. To me, it kind of just looks like the cut off tail of something. And to round out our sea creatures, we have Gobatin, who are harpoon gun wielding seals. And also, thanks to their sprite, they seem to have crossed eyes, which makes them kind of look cuter. After another marathon of a category, let's go with a short one. We have Bullet Bill and the Silver Bullet Band. First in the Bullet Bill category is, of course, Bullet Bill. These are bullet enemies that are usually launched from Bullet Bill launchers. One shot out, they fly horizontally across the screen. Despite these being bullets, Mario can actually still jump on them to defeat them, which was always weird to me. The Bullet Bill's chunky friend is the Bonsai Bill. These are Bullet Bills, but larger. Because they are larger, they're not seen coming out of a cannon, and usually spawn off screen. Just like your smaller version, they travel horizontally and can be jumped on to be defeated. And if you thought Bonsai Bill was the largest Bill we were going to get to, you're wrong, because we also have King Bill, who is an absurdly large variant of the Bullet Bill. These also travel in straight lines, but will destroy blocks in their path. They look extremely jolly with their huge grin and chubby cheeks. They cannot be defeated by a jump, but they can be stood on and used as a platform by Mario. Next is the Bullseye Bill, which is a red variant of the Bullet Bill that homes in on Mario. Their first appearance was in Super Mario Bros. 3, where they had this seizure-inducing sprite. Very similar to the Bullseye Bill is the Cat Bullet Bill, who's an adorable bullet bill made to look more like a cat, and homes in on Mario exactly like the Bullseye Bill. In Mario Maker, we see Bullseye Bonsai, which simply breaks the naming scheme of Bullet Bill. These are Bonsai Bills that home in on Mario. And there's also the Cat Bonsai Bill, which does exactly what you think, but does have a cute underbelly to make it look like a cat. Super Princess Peach has Mad Bullet Bill and Mad Bonsai Bill. These are fast-moving bullet bills surrounded in flames, meaning they can't be jumped on. Tail Bullet Bill is from Super Mario 3D Land. These are bullet bills that travel like standard ones, but will slow down and attempt to swipe Mario with their tails. Gold Bullet Bill shows up in Sunshine and New Super Mario Bros. 2. If they explode in Sunshine, they award 8 coins. In New Super Mario Bros. 2, they travel in a straight line, leaving a trail of coins. Gold Bonsai Bill is bigger and leaves a trail of 2 coins. Very similar to the Gold Bullet Bill is the Bombshell Bill, which is the stronger variant of the Bullet Bill in the original 2 Paper Mario games. Make sure to kill these guys quick because they do a ton of damage. Super Mario Wonder has the Renketsu Search Killer. This is a long bullet bill with multiple segments similar to an insect. If I had to give this an English name, I'd call it the Killer Biller. Jumping into the water for a second, we have Torpedo Ted, who are bullet bills only seen in the water and are much longer. The weirdest thing about these to me is they're released by his weird Mickey Mouse looking hand. Their homing version is the Targeting Ted, which are obviously Torpedo Teds that home in on Mario. Super Princess Peach has the Glad Torpedo Ted, who is a Torpedo Ted happy to be alive that flies in a zigzagging pattern. Super Mario Land has Bullet Biff, which which is almost exactly a bullet bill, but smaller and jet propelled. The purple bullet bill and blue bullet bills show up in Super Mario Sunshine. The purple ones have the ability to adjust in the air, vertically but not horizontally, while the blue ones act like bullseye bills. Missile Mag is from Super Mario Wonder. These are long jet propelled missiles that travel like a bullet bill. They can be stood on by Mario, but once he stands on it for the first time, it'll slowly start descending. Bouncing bullet bill shows up in Yoshi's Island, and they're exactly what you expect, bullet bills that bounce off of walls. Bullet bill patch is from Yoshi's Woolly World. Once Yoshi unravels the patch, it will be freed and attempt to launch itself at Yoshi. Also in this game is Wollet Bill. These are gray bullet bills that leave a smoke trail that can be stood on. Sniper Bill shows up in Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. Bullet bills with sniper rifles that shoot out smaller bullet bills as attacks. Back to Wonder, we have Seeker Bullet Bill and Seeker Bonsai Bill. These are bullet and bonsai bills that suction cup themselves to the wall. They will aim at Mario and then shoot at him in a straight line. If they reach a solid wall, they will reattach and launch back at him. And in Super Mario Galaxy 2, we have Digga, which are bullet bills with drill noses that travel along the surface of planets. From one short category to an even shorter one, this one is Fuzzies, led off by the Fuzzy. These are black spiky hairballs with no arms and no legs. They are often seen moving on tracks, but when they're not on tracks, they are seen hopping around. There's also the Fuzzy Daddy, aka Big Fuzzy. The first two Paper Mario games have Green Fuzzy, who are fuzzies with the ability to duplicate themselves. Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door and Super Paper Mario have Flower Fuzzy, which are able to drain flower points in Thousand Year Door, but are just a stronger version of the standard Fuzzy in Super Paper Mario. The original Paper Mario has Jungle Fuzzy, which is a yellow Fuzzy that will drain health indefinitely until an action command meter is filled. If you're at full health and you don't push anything, this thing will kill you. There's also the Fuzzy Horde, and as you might guess, there are a large group of Fuzzies that attack as a group. These are also a Mario & Luigi Paper Jam, so we have a Paper Fuzzy and a Shiny Paper Fuzzy. My personal favorite is the Dark Fuzzy. In Paper Mario Color Splash, we see Fuzzy Stack, and the Fuzzy's only real relative is the Fuzz Ball, who comes in both regular and gold form. These little guys will clog Luigi's vacuum, and as you might suspect, the gold ones drop more treasure. That's the last Fuzzy, so next we have Scaly enemies, which includes dinosaurs, lizards, snakes, and so on. First up is Rex. This is a horned dinosaur with wings. When they are jumped on, they will squish down and move faster. When jumped on a second time, they will be defeated. Mario & Luigi Partners in Times has Shroob Rex. These are Shroob-infected Rexes, also with the ability to breathe fire. Super Princess Peach has Sad Rex, which will sit and cry until Peach gets close, then they will charge at her. Super Mario World introduced the Dino Rhino. These are large dinosaurs that will follow Mario around. They even have the ability to jump on small ledges. When jumped on, they won't be defeated, but will become a smaller version called the Dino Torch, which are smaller Dino Rhinos with the ability to spit fire. Weird how taking damage gives them the ability to spit fire. The fire-breathing variant of the large one is the Wild Rhino Dino, seen in Paper Mario Color Splash. Wario World's back with its weird enemies, and now it's got Clubosaur, a Triceratops with a club. Again, don't know why a dinosaur needs a club. Also in this game is Cractal. That is a pterodactyl that attempts to pick up and slam Wario. Let's stick with pterodactyls and move to pterodactyls. These enemies will drop eggs that Mario has to catch. Mario & Luigi Dream Team has Pyilodactyl and Pyilodactyl R. The R stands for stronger. Super Mario Odyssey has the T-Rex, which is literally a f***ing T-Rex. This thing does not look like it belongs in the Mario game. Shifting away from dinosaurs, we have Cobrat, who is a snake enemy from Super Mario Bros. 2. They will jump out of either pots or sand to attack Mario. Serpent is from Super Mario Wonder. This is a snake often found with a pot on its head. Once the pot is broken, the snake moves more quickly. Cobra is in Wario World. This is a large pink snake that pops out of a red pot. They sometimes have a snake charmer on their head. Histocrat is a boss in Super Mario 3D World, but his servants that have plates on their head are not a boss, and indeed regular enemies, known as Histocrat Servant. Nylon from Super Mario Land is a fire-breathing snake. Just what snakes needed, something to make them more scary. Mario Clash has Snake, which is a snake with its only defining feature being the spikes on its head. Wario Land 3 also has Snake, which are snakes in vases that shoot fire. These things are horrifying. And Luigi's Mansion also has Snake, which is simply a cobra that Luigi can vacuum up. Snake Yee is from Yoshi's Crafted World. These are snakes that act like the purple piranha creeper, extending all the way out of their holes, reaching their max distance, and then going back in. Super Mario RPG has Gecko and Gekit, with the Gekit being the stronger version of the Gecko. Wario World has Magan and Big Magan, which is the most basic enemy in the Wario World game. Obviously, Big Magan is bigger and stronger. Sticking to Wario World, we have Gator Baby, which is a baby alligator with a rattle that it uses as a club. Its swirly eyes also make it seem as though it's hypnotized. The original Wario Land had Ukiwani, which is a little gator in an inner tube. Tobawani is from Wario Land 4, and this is a snorkeling alligator that will jump out of the water to try and bite Wario. Yoshi's Island DS has the Snap Jaw, not to be confused with the Snap Jaw, all one word, that is later on this list. These are non-robot versions, making them just crocodiles. Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story has Quaffle, alligators with very large mouths and surprisingly few teeth. Seriously, based on the sprite, this thing has 10 teeth. A normal alligator has 80, so this has 70 less. Jawbiss is a pixel dragon from Super Paper Mario. Though it is quite large in stature, it actually only has 5 HP, but is immune everywhere but its tail. The stronger version of the Jawbiss is the Rawbiss, and even stronger than that is the Gawbiss, and even stronger than that is the Dark Jawbiss. Super Mario RPG has the Bahamut, which is a large red dragon, and this guy does follow Pokemon rules because he's weak to ice. Draglet is from Super Mario 3D Land, which is a cute dragon with the ability to breathe fire and probably bite your head off, but he's still cute. And Super Mario Galaxy 2 has Pupdozer. This is a spiky dinosaur that must be flipped over and then ground pounded to be defeated. Strangely, their stomach has the ground pound symbol on it. It seems like an evolutionary disadvantage to tell Mario how to beat you. Time for yet another new category, and this one is a big one. It's creepy Crawlies, which is mostly bugs and insects, but there's some spiders and stuff too. First up, we have Wiggler, who is an adorable caterpillar with shoes. These will walk from side to side and only turn around when they reach a ledge or a wall. If they are jumped on by Mario, they are made angry. Once they're angry, they turn red and chase Mario. And Wiggler is a Mario Maker enemy. The small version of the Wiggler is known as the Squiggler, who are just itty bitty wigglers who can be defeated by a jump. Tropical Wiggler is from Super Mario Odyssey. These are wigglers with the ability to stretch out and retract their bodies. These won't try to attack Mario, but will hurt him. They can also be captured by Cappy. Pokepeach shows up in Super Mario Wonder, in both the green and red variant. These are wigglers with spike shells on their back that travel on tracks. And the only difference between the green and the red one is the red one moves faster. Because wigglers are caterpillars, they can become butterflies. When they do, they're called flutter, which are literally just wigglers with wings. Just like the Wiggler, when you stomp on their head, they get angry. Fuzzy Wiggler is from Yoshi's Story. This is a green Wiggler with a mushroom growing on his head. They are defeated by jumping on each individual section of its body. Fuzzler is in Super Mario 3D World and is a combination of a Wiggler and a Fuzzy, but don't confuse it with the Fuzzy Wiggler that we just talked about. Yoshi's Story has a centipede, which is a long Wiggler-like creature with no legs and spikes on its back. The weirdest centipede creature in a Mario game has to be the Schlurp, and its stronger variant, the Schlorp, which are both from Super Paper Mario. And because they're in Super Paper Mario, we get Dark Schlurp. Now you can argue this next one's not a creepy crawly, but to me it just looks like the body segment of a Wiggler. This is the Cataquack. If these guys come in contact with Mario, they'll fling him high into the air. They come in both blue and red form, with the blue ones being scared of Mario, and the red ones aggressively charging. Very similar to that is the Plungello, who have suction cup feet, a stem on their head, and a shorter beak. Another classic Mario enemy is the Fighter Fly. These things have wings, but don't actually fly. They instead just do little hops. Fly was also in Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, and have a stronger variant in that game known as the Super Fly. Mario Paint for the Super Nintendo was a very strange game. It really didn't have many enemies, except for in the Gnat Attack minigame, where it had the Fly, which was the basic enemy, the Big Fly, who unlike the Small Fly actually attacks the player, the Fly Parent. These don't attack, but they spawn Fly children that are very annoying. Kaiotumbo is from Super Mario Land 2. These are dragonfly enemies that weirdly have their bodies vertical. I don't think they understand how to be a dragonfly. Super Paper Mario has Choppa. These are space dragonfly enemies. The stronger version of that is the Copta. There's also the stronger version, the Dark. Bee flies from Super Mario Land 2 and Wario World 1. As you might suspect, these are a combination of a bee and a fly, and they flee when Mario or Wario gets near. There's also Simply Bee, who are seen in many Mario games, but aren't often enemies. The first game where they were actually enemies was Yoshi's Story, where if Yoshi tries to walk past the nest, they will form a hand and swat him backward. To get by the nest, Yoshi must move slowly. Let's move to Super Mario Land, where there's a surprising amount of bee enemies. First is the BB, which is simply an oversized bumblebee. Weirdly though, they are immune to fire. The Big Bee pretty much acts exactly like a thwomp, falling down when Mario gets near and then slowly rising back up. There's also Tamara or BB eggs, which are eggs that sit inside pods and then get shot out at Mario like from a cannon. If they miss, they will slowly return to the pod and get shot out again. Unura are BB larvae, which are very basic and simple enemies to defeat. The tougher version of them is the Grubby, which is a spiked BB larva. Super Mario RPG's bee enemy is the Buzzer, and their stronger variant is the Stinger. The original Paper Mario has Bzap, which are pretty much just basic bees, but weirdly they have an attack where they shoot a projectile that is the Mini Bzap. Some Mario enemies really like using their children as weapons. Donkey Kong Kong 3 takes place in the garden, so it has a bunch of bug enemies, like the Attacker, which are very basic bug enemies that try and hit our strange protagonist, Stanley. The bee spies are enemies that will infinitely spawn from hives. Similar to the bee spy is the buzz bee, who are bee enemies that will also spawn from hives, but this time throw spears. There are actually two versions of these, the standard ones that spawn in early rounds, and the angry ones that spawn in later rounds. When a buzz bee grabs a flower, it actually becomes a different enemy, the super bee, which is a faster version of the buzz bee with the ability to dive bomb. The original Super Mario Land had Bun Bun, which is a bee carrying a spear that he will attempt to drop onto Mario. Even though their art shows them throwing spears, they really just drop them. Returning to Yoshi's story for bees, we have Bumblebee this time, which are giant cute bumblebees that can be defeated by a jump. Next we have the Beasley from Wario Land 2 and 4. If Wario touches these bees, he will get stung and turn into Puffy Wario, giving him the ability to float. Mario Pinball Land has the Bumbler, which actually looks a lot like the Zinger from Donkey Kong Country. Honeybee are from Virtual Boy Wario Land. These will fly overhead and either drop a watermelon or a bomb. I don't understand why they all just wouldn't have bombs. Also in that game is a Thorn Ball, who is a spike ball shooting bee pot. The Thorn Ball actually comes in big and small form. Sting Bee has become the bee enemy for the more traditional Mario games. It was first introduced in Super Mario 3D Land. These guys only hover at one height back and forth, making them extremely easy to avoid. If they see Mario, they'll get an angry look on their face and move slightly faster. The real question is, do these things have stingers on their face, or do they have eyes on their butts? And the Sting Bee can be found in Mario Maker. But obviously you can't give it wings. It already has wings. Super Mario Odyssey has the Urban Sting Bee, which is a mosquito. I honestly don't even know how this is related to the Sting Bee. Also in Super Mario Odyssey is the Urban Sting Bee larva, which if not defeated quickly will become an Urban Sting Bee. Mario and Luigi Dream Team has the Flibby and the Flibby R. These are strange bee-like creatures with stingers on top of their heads. And obviously the blue one is the stronger of the two. Alright, this next enemy does not look like a bug at all, but it actually is. It's the Roomba, which is a little bee-looking enemy without wings, but inside of a giant boulder. When defeated, you can really see how much these look like bees. Alright, I think we're done with bees. Let's move to butterflies, where we have the butterfly. These are enemies in Donkey Kong 3 that seemingly move around randomly, making them extremely hard to defeat. Returning to Yoshi's story, we have the Tee-Hee butterfly, which are cute chubby butterflies with extremely small wings. Their standard color is kind of a tannish red color, but they can change to blue or pink. Each color has a different effect when eaten by Yoshi. What actually makes these enemies is if Yoshi eats the blue one, he will lose health. Back to Donkey Kong 3 bugs, we have Kabuto Mushi. These are bugs whose attack is launching themselves in a straight line like a missile. These don't have an English name, but if they did, I'd assume it'd be something like beetle. Speaking of beetles, we have Battle Beetle. These are enemies that will walk back and forth on platforms. If they reach the end of a platform, they will slowly float down to the ground. Alright, let's move on towards spiders, and first we have Kumo. These are spiders that will hop toward Mario in an arc. They actually move very similar to fighter flies. Sticking with Super Mario Land, we have Sue, who is a spider that will drop down similar to a thwomp, but they can be jumped on to be defeated. In Super Mario 64, we first meet the Scuttlebug, who looks almost nothing like his modern design. These are four-legged spiders, sometimes with suction cups for legs, and sometimes they have boxing gloves on. Throughout the Paper Mario series, we see the big Scuttlebug and the tiny Scuttlebug as well. Spider shows up in Yoshi's story. These are kind of just spiked balls that hang from webs. For an actual spider, we can go to Luigi's Mansion, where we have a Black Widow that can be sucked up to gain a coin. And because this is Luigi's Mansion, we also have Gold Spider, who will drop gold bars instead of a coin. Super Mario RPG spider enemy is Arachne, that kind of look like a spider bee hybrid. Their stronger version is the Spinthra. Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door has Piter, who are spider enemies that will hang from webs and try to spit rocks at Mario. Their stronger version is Arantula. The Smooch Spider and the Little Smooch Spider are seen in Yoshi's Woolly World. Both attack by attempting to kiss Yoshi and hurt him. Honestly, Yoshi, just let him have a kiss. They're so cute. Super Mario Sunshine has Clamber. These are spider-like enemies that climb on fences trying to knock Mario off. Skeeter is a bug enemy that glides on water. These are reminiscent of the real-life Water Strider. Similar to the Skeeter is the Skeeter, who act pretty much the same, but also drop bombs, making them pretty different. Spangler is a spider from the Super Mario Galaxy series. These spiders hang down from their web and swing back and forth trying to hit Mario. Another enemy in those games is the Spoin, who as their name implies is a spider that uses its legs to spring itself in the air. Honestly, they can only move up and down, so they pose very little threat. Wario Land 3 has Weber, a spider with a surprising ability to shoot electric projectiles. Floatula is from Mario and Luigi Dream Team. These are spiders that will attach themselves to the top of the screen and attack by rolling. Garantula is from Partners in Time. These hide themselves in clouds so you can't tell if they have spikes or not, meaning there's really two versions of them, the spiked and the non-spiked. Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story has Fawflant, which is a fawful ant. They attack by using their little drill butts. The Fawflopper, which is a fawful grasshopper. Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga has Swarm. These are black worm enemies with the ability to dig underground. Even though these things are supposed to be worms, their head kind of reminds me of Daffy Duck. There's also a fawful version of this enemy that can be seen on a chain chomp in Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. Ickworm is from Yoshi's Story. It poses almost no threat, however they will deal damage to Yoshi if eaten. Silky is from Wario Land 3. This is a worm that will spit silk at Wario's shoes. If Wario walks into it, he becomes Ball of String Wario. Wario games really are strange. Inomushi is a weak worm enemy in Wario Land 4. In fact, they're so weak they can't even hurt Wario. Super Mario Land 2 has ants, which are very basic enemies that walk back and forth. There's also the spiked version that can't be jumped on. Worker Ant, an ant with a shovel that attacks by digging up rocks. And last but not least for this game is Bazooka Ant, who are ants with cannons on their heads. Super Mario 3D World introduced Ant Trooper, who are ants with the ability to walk on ceilings, walls, and floors. They cannot be defeated by a single jump, but can be defeated by a ground pound. Mario Maker 2 introduced the Horned Ant Trooper, which is an ant trooper with a red spiked hat on its head that can't be jumped on. Ant Trooper, Horned Ant Trooper, both in Mario Maker. Super Mario RPG has the Shogun, and when you hear Shogun, you immediately think axe-wielding ant, obviously, because that's what these are. The stronger version is the Armored Ant, which is a much more fitting name. Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story has Scutlet, which are flat cockroach-like enemies. The Swap Hopper is in Super Mario Galaxy 2. These are enemies with a spike on one side and a soft underbelly on the other. They can only be defeated by flipping the gravity and hitting their underbellies. Similar to that is the Flop Hopper. They are similar in design to the Swap Hopper, but move like a Bram Ball. Donkey Kong for the Game Boy has Sniper, which is a terrible name because it's just a spiky bug. This game also has the Scorpion enemy, who are indestructible and can walk on walls, ceilings, and floors. Wario World has Big Scorper. This is a scorpion that is pretty much 99% tail. Wario Land Shake It has the Flip Sting, which are golden scorpion enemies. There's also a red variant of this that can cling onto the ceiling. Hoopster from Super Mario 2. These are bugs that climb up and down on vines. Similar to that is the Kushimushi. This one's from Wario Land 3, and it's a spiky bug that climbs up and down vines. Speaking of bugs that climb up and down vines, we have Paydan, who are spiders. And last but not least, going up and down the vine is Vine Slime, who is a slug-like creature. Yoshi's Island has red spotted sluggy and blue spotted sluggy. The red ones will sit on the ceiling and try and fall on Yoshi, while the blue ones will crawl on the ceiling. Back to Yoshi's Story, we have Slug, who's kind of just a colorful pile of goop with eyes. Snailicorn has a pretty good name. It's a snail with a horn. Super Mario Galaxy 2 has Spine Cone, spike-shelled snails that walk back and forth on ceilings, walls, or floors. Super Mario Wonder introduces Swirly Pod, who act a lot like Koopas from Super Mario World. When they are jumped on, they will lose their shell and be sent out. They come in big and small form, and I consider them being shellless different enemies. Flopter is an enemy with a propeller around its neck. It also has a bee-like body. Remember the spiked fungi from Yoshi's Island? Well, here's the spiked fungi from Yoshi's Story. These are little bug-like creatures that will roll themselves down slopes. They don't really look like bugs, but their Japanese name indicates that they are. Flipbug is from the Super Mario Galaxy series. These little bugs will run away from regular Mario, but will attack Bee Mario. Also in Galaxy is Mandabug, robotic beetles with giant pincers that they attempt to use as weapons. These robots have very poor design, as the ground pound symbol on their back tells you how to beat them. Luigi's Mansion 2 has the beetle and the gold beetle. Master Mosquito is a big mosquito that shoots sharp projectiles. Hotaru are lightning bug enemies that only show up in the Cractus boss fight. They serve as a way for Wario to transform back into regular Wario from Zombie Wario. Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story has Dark Saddlemite and Dark Saddlemite X. These are little mite creatures only seen in the Dark Star boss fight. And obviously the X indicates the one that is stronger. Bittybuds are little ladybug-like enemies. They come in multiple colors and walk on a set path following each other. There's also the Parabitties, which are flying ones and also fly in set patterns. And the Pittybud Tower. And to round out our creepy crawlies, we have Dottie. You got another enemy from Donkey Kong for the Game Boy that can walk on ceilings, walls, and floors. There really are so many of these. Alright, now that we're done with creepy crawlies, let's get to something even spookier. Boos and other ghosts. First up in the Boo category is Boo. Boo is seen in almost every Mario game. Their main mechanic is moving slowly after Mario when he isn't looking. But if Mario looks at a Boo, they will cover their face and not move at all. In Mario Kart, Boo has been a driver and an item. And in Mario Party, they are NPCs that steal coins or stars. These little ghouls are everywhere, including Mario Maker. Boos also come in mini form. These first show up in Yoshi's story and come in a large group that will attack Yoshi one by one. But if Yoshi defeats one, all will attack him. Super Princess Peach has Mad Boo and Mad Big Boo. These Boos act the opposite of standard Boos. When you look at them, they will attack, and when you're not looking, they will not attack. Yoshi's Woolly World has Frame Boo and Big Frame Boo. When a Frame Boo is hit with yarn, it will turn into a balloon and slowly float upward. There's also the Big and Little Boo, which is one enemy. This is one large Boo being followed by small Boos. In place of one of the Boos is usually a melon. Very similar to that is the Boo Buddy Train, who is also one big Boo leading several small Boos. These show up in the original Yoshi's Island. Super Mario Sunshine has Sleepy Boo. These Boos will sleep in front of doors in order to block them. They can be defeated by eating them with Yoshi. Back to the Golden Ring, we have Gold Boo and Big Gold Boo. As the Boos flee, they will leave a trail of coins, with the big one leaving more. Sticking to New Super Mario Bros. 2, we have Boo-Hemoth. This is a Boo that will chase Mario through auto-scrolling levels. Like most Boos, if looked at, it will cover its face and stop moving. However, in the level, this will prevent the screen from moving as well. Unlike normal Boos, after a few seconds of being looked at, he will peek through his hands and slowly start moving forward. There's also the Boo Buddies, better known as the Boo Ring, who are a ring of Boos that move around in a circle. There's always a gap in the Boos to make them possible to get by, and Boo Buddy is a Mario Maker enemy. Super Mario World has the Boo Buddy Snake, which is a large group of Boos that move together in diagonal lines bouncing off of walls and ceilings. There's also Disappearing Boo Buddy. These are Boos that will disappear and reappear randomly on screen. They always leave room for Mario to get through. The Boos are Mario's friends. Boo Crew is a large group of Boos that will hang out above a level. They will all mostly be transparent and harmless, but one at a time they will dive down at Mario and try and hurt him. Galaxy 2 has Octoboo, who are white Octo-Oombas that often travel in packs and act like Boo Rings. Because of Mario & Luigi Paper Jam, we have the Paper Boo and the Shiny Paper Boo, and Paper Mario, the Origami King, gives us Paper Macho Boo, who act exactly like normal Boos but are bigger and are defeated by hitting the sticker on their back. These next two are different enemies, believe it or not. We have Balloon Boo and Boo Balloon. The Balloon Boo are Boos with balloon knots that when they're looked at will fill up with air, and when you look away they will slowly lose air as they approach Mario. The Boo Balloon is, well, a Boo Balloon that floats around and tries to hit Yoshi. When hit with an egg, it will inflate. Once hit 4 times, it will pop. Blindfolded Boos, as you might expect, can't see, but they will move towards sound, such as coins being collected. Block Boo acts mostly like a standard Boo, but when looked at they become solid blocks that can't be stood on. In Super Mario Sunshine they need to be sprayed with FLUDD to be stood on. Mario Party has a unique Boo known as the Red Boo, taking on roles in both mini-games and on the board. There's also a Big Red Boo exclusively in Mario Party 8. Bomb Boo, these are explosive Boos that aren't shy like normal Boos. They will continue walking at Mario even when they are looked at. In Super Mario Galaxy you can grab them by the tongue and spin them around. Mini Mario and Friends Amiibo Challenge, a rather obscure game, has Toy Boo. These are Boos that move in straight lines and will become shy if they move into candlelight. The Boos come in the 10 stack and the 82 stack, which is kind of a silly big stack. In some of the Super Mario role-playing games, the stronger version of the Boo is the Dark Boo, who are purple and have sharp teeth. And this next enemy's name is not a joke. This is the Dark Boo. Yep, 2 darks. Creative name. Fishing Boo is the ghost version of the Fishing Lakitu. At the end of their fishing poles is a flame rather than a 1-up. These things move in erratic patterns, making them hard to predict. In Super Princess Peach, there's the Calm Fishing Boo, which like most calm enemies are always found sleeping. If they wake up, they'll act like normal fishing Boos. Super Mario RPG has High Boo, which is a stoned Boo that is stronger than the normal Boo. Paper Mario Sticker Star has Crumpled Boo, which is an already damaged Boo that only has 1 HP. Stretch was introduced in Super Mario Bros. 3. These are Boos that hang out on floors and ceilings and will pop up and move back and forth periodically. In Super Mario Bros. 3, they seem to be one with the platforms you find them on. Though these are found in Mario Maker, the only variant they get is Wing Stretch, which moves faster. Yoshi's Island and Yoshi's New Island have Boo Blah. These act very similar to Stretch, but can be jumped on to stun them. Sticking to Yoshi games, we have Jelly Ghost, which don't really look like Boos to me, but are listed as a variant of Boo on the Mario Wiki. These hide on floors and ceilings and try to surprise Yoshi, similar to Stretches. The Boo can be given a tail, making the Tail Boo. When Mario looks at them, they will stop moving and do a tail swipe. Invisighouls are Boos that can only be seen in reflections. They are seen moving chairs, tables, and flower pots. Bruiser is is a Boo in boxing gloves. These walk on the ground and will walk at Mario trying to punch him. They actually move pretty erratically, meaning you can get them to break blocks that you couldn't normally break. Because of their erratic movement, you can also easily make them fall off of edges. The Boozer comes in paper and shiny paper form. Yoshi's Island DS has Potted Ghost, inspired by the boss Roger the Potted Ghost from Yoshi's Island. These are ghosts that will extend out of their pots periodically. The cutest Boo is perhaps the Peepa. They move in predetermined patterns, most often in circles, similar to a Boo ring, but there could easily only be one of them. Oh yeah, Peepa's in Mario Maker too. Super Mario World has the Eerie, which are ghosts that look like baby Yoshis. These weird ghosts move from right to left, or sometimes left to right, but mostly right to left. And for some weird reason, Mario can spin jump off of them. Phanto is a ghost that takes the form of a mask. When Mario picks up a key, they will chase after him until the key is used. In the Japanese exclusive release, BS Super Mario USA, we actually see Giant Phanto. Super Mario RPG has the Ha-What, which is a mimic enemy that's actually a ghost inside of a box. The Please No from Super Mario RPG is a bigger ghost enemy in a chest as well. The original Wario Land had Yari Kuri Obake, which were ghosts wielding spears. This is definitely the ghost of the Pirate Goom. Dovo is a cute ghost from Wario Woods. Much like the people, they look like the classic sheet ghost. Yoshi's Island has the Cage Ghost. These grow out of drainage grates in the floor and attack by spitting out Shy Guys at Yoshi. When hit with eggs, they will slowly shrink until they are nothing. There's also a long version that slowly retracts as it's hit. The Cage Ghost is closely related to the Dango Ghost, which is a ghost that will hang from the ceiling and swing back and forth trying to hit Yoshi. Yoshi's Story simply has Ghost, which is the long green ghost that Baby Bowser rides on in the final boss fight with him. Wario Land 2 also has Ghost, which looks exactly like, well, a ghost. Wind Spirit is from Super Mario Sunshine. This thing is a weird gust of wind that tries to push Mario off the edge. And the only reason I know this thing is living is because it has eyes. And as I said earlier, things with eyes in the Mario universe are alive. Super Mario RPG has a couple of ghost enemies. First is the Hobgoblin, which might be more of a ghoul than a ghost, but honestly close enough. And its stronger version is the Straw Head. Sticking to RPG, we have Shadow and Dupo, with Dupo being the stronger one. And honestly, if I saw this thing, I would just think the contrast on my TV was off. The original Paper Mario has Dupla Ghost, which are ghosts that can turn into Mario's partner. Teru Teru is from Wario Land 3. These are ghosts that will use their sheet-like body to try and cover up Wario's head. If they land on Wario's head, they will make the screen pitch black. Wario Land 4 has Ghost. This is a pirate ghost with a hook hand that tries to steal coins and other items off the ground. Gooey is from Wario Land Master Disguise. As an attack, they show little versions of themselves as projectiles. Now, when I mentioned Ghost earlier, I'm sure all of you immediately thought of Luigi's Mansion. Let's start with Luigi's Mansion 1, where we have Gold Ghost. These are the most basic enemy in the game, kind of like the Ghost Goomba. They have a stronger variation called the Tempered Terror, whose heart is surrounded by fire and must be put out with water. Purple Puncher is a ghost that, you guessed it, will try and punch Luigi. The stronger version of this is Flash, whose heart is protected by ice. Blue Twirler is a large ghost in Luigi's Mansion and has more health than most ghosts in the game. Its stronger variant is the Blue Blaze, who very confusingly has a heart protected by water. Speedy Spirits are ghosts that can only be found inside objects. As soon as they are found, they will attempt to flee immediately. If caught, they will drop a large amount of treasure. Mouse Ghost comes in 3 color, blue, purple, and gold. The blue ones stay on the floor, the purple ones crawl on the ceiling, and the gold ones move fast and reward extra treasure. Bat Ghost comes in 2 colors, purple and yellow. The purple ones swoop down to attack, and the other ones are found sleeping but will attack if they're woken up. There's also the Flying Fish that comes in 2 colors, the pink, which is the standard one, and the green, which is the faster one. Spark are explosive red ghosts that can't be vacuumed up by Luigi. Grabbing Ghost comes in white and red. The white ones will grab onto Luigi, slowing him down, but won't hurt him. The red ones will also grab on, and this time they hurt. Mirror Grabbing Ghosts act the exact same as other grabbing ghosts, but can only be seen in the mirror until they are stunned. And Cinema Grabbing Ghosts are very similar to the mirror ghosts, but can only be seen through their shadow on a projection screen. The Waiter is a ghost that actually can't hurt Luigi, but will constantly bring the boss Mr. Lug's food. And unless Mr. Lug's runs out of food, you can't vacuum him up. Ceiling Surprise are ghosts that jump out of the ceiling as Luigi walks by. They will stun him for a brief second, but don't actually hurt him. The Purple Bomber is very similar, but they will drop a bomb when they scare Luigi. Bowling Ghost is a ghost that rolls a bowling ball at Luigi. Garbage Can Ghost will stand there eating bananas. As he finishes the banana, he will throw banana peels down for Luigi to trip on. Greenie, who is the weakest ghost in Luigi's Mansion 2. They're essentially the same thing as the Gold Ghost from Luigi's Mansion. Their stronger variant is the Strong Greenie, obviously. Gold Greenies act just like the Speedy Spirit from the first game, fleeing as fast as they can, but dropping lots of treasures if defeated. Sneaker and Strong Sneaker are ghosts that will sneak up behind Luigi and attempt to scare him. If Luigi becomes scared, he will stop vacuuming, letting all ghosts free. Slammer and Strong Slammer are ghosts that attack by pounding the ground and sending out a shockwave. Hider and Strong Hider will hide inside of objects until they are found. Once found, they will attempt to flee. Gobber and Strong Gobber are large ghosts that will attempt to throw goop at Luigi, or I guess, paranormal goop. Ooh. Creeper is a ghost that attaches itself to the ground. Because of this, Luigi cannot simply pull it off. He must use a more powerful attack to split it into many ghosts and then vacuum it up. Polterpup is a ghost that is mostly friendly toward Luigi, but he definitely becomes an enemy when he steals keys, forcing Luigi to defeat him in order to get it back. There's also Big Polterpup, who is a bigger Polterpup with more health. Alright, onward to Luigi's Mansion 3, we have Goob. And like the Gold Ghost or Greenie from the last game, this is the Goomba of this game. Goob is actually a very common enemy and fills a lot of different roles in the game. My favorite of those roles being playing a fake kaiju in a boss fight. Genius. Golden Goob is a version that will flee but drop lots of treasures if defeated. Gem Goob is the same exact thing but drops gems instead of treasures. Mini Goob is a small goob that travels in packs and can be defeated extremely easily. Bomb Goobs are yellow goobs that will use bombs to defend themselves. Defusing Goob is an orange goob that will summon mini goobs to attack for him. Lethal Goob, as its name implies, can one-shot Luigi. Medic Goob will heal other ghosts. Regen Goob will regenerate its own health. And Speed Goob is a red goob that will move faster. Offer Goobs and 2, Hammer. These are red ghosts that will charge at Luigi and slam to attack. Bomb Hammer is a yellow exploding version of the hammer. Diffusing Hammer are orange and summon mini hammers. Lethal Hammer, just like the Lethal Goob, is an insta-kill. Regen Hammer regenerates his own life. And Speed Hammer is the faster red glowing hammer. Oozer is a ghost that hides inside of furniture, but will pop out to throw stuff at Luigi. They're cowardice, so you'll have to get them out of the furniture to defeat them. Bomb Oozer, who is yellow and explodes. Lethal Oozer, who gets a one-shot kill. Speed Oozer, who is extremely fast. And Electric Oozer, who is blue and throws electricity balls. Slinkers are ghosts that will attempt to sneak up on Luigi and scare him. They're also known to use toads as shields and literally strangle Luigi.
You little jerk!
The Thieving Slinker is a variant that can steal the Poltergust. Once you defeat them, you will get your Poltergust back. Regen Slinkers regenerate health. Warp Slinkers are a unique enemy that grab onto Luigi and teleport him to a different room. The Lethal Slinker, much like all the other lethal enemies from Luigi's Mansion 3, are one-hit KO Slinkers. Trapper is a ghost that has a long tongue that forks at the end. You need Luigi and Gooigi to vacuum up both halves of its tongue in order to defeat him. Moving to a sort of subcategory of ghost, we have Mummies. And first in the mummy category is the Mummy from Luigi's Mansion 3 and 2. These are actually ghosts disguised as mummies. Wario World has Mummy and Big Mummy, which is a variant of the standard Magan enemy from earlier. And obviously the big one is just bigger and stronger. Sticking to Wario World, we have Club Mummy, who is a mummy carrying a club. Ho-Ho is a mummy bird that drops spiked balls. And Mummy Anchorin, who is a mummy cannon turtle. Switching Wario games, we have Wario Land Shake It, where we see Mummer, who is an enemy invulnerable to damage until his bandages are removed. Captain Toad as Mummy Me. These are mimic versions of Captain Toad that follow him around and mimic his movements. Mira is the mummy enemy from Donkey Kong for the Game Boy. These simply walk back and forth and Mario can stand on their heads. Onami from Wario Land 4 are axe-wielding mummies. Sarcophagi is from Wario Land Master Disguise, and I promise this is the last mummy from a Wario game. These are sarcophagus that contain mummies. Chincho is from Super Mario Odyssey. These are small mummies usually found in large groups. These appear to be undead versions of the Toastarian people. Mumsy comes from Super Mario Wonder. These mummies will damage Mario if he runs into them, but he can't jump over them or bounce off their heads. However, this will not defeat them. The only way to defeat them is by pulling the handle on their back to unravel them. Some of these are short and some are very tall. Okay, it is time for another really big category, and this one is Shy Guys, which is led off by Shy Guy, who has been around since Super Mario Bros. 2. Though I think a lot of people think of these as quintessential Mario enemies, they actually only show up in one mainline Mario game, and that is the aforementioned Super Mario Bros. 2. Despite not appearing in many mainline games, they appear in almost every single non-mainline Mario game, like Mario Party, Mario Kart, Yoshi games, the Paper Mario series, and so on. Mega Shy Guy is a very big Shy Guy. It's actually first seen in the Froggy boss fight in Yoshi's Island. Fat Guys are large, chubby fat guys that can be eaten by Yoshi. Because they are so big, eating them will produce a big egg. King Fat Guy is actually an even bigger version of the Fat Guy. They cannot be defeated, however, they can be bounced off of like trampolines. Zombie Fat Guy is a zombie version of the Fat Guy. They're usually found sitting, but when they actually walk on the ground, they shamble very slow, even slower than the normal Fat Guy, who is already a pretty slow enemy. Shy Guy Toy is from the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series. Despite being toys, they pretty much act exactly like regular Shy Guys. Thanks to Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, we get Paper Shy Guy and Shiny Paper Shy Guy. Blue Shy Guys are from Mario vs. Donkey Kong. These move identically to the red Shy Guy toys from the game, but they breathe fire at Mario also. There's a band of Shy Guys formed by Sombrero Guy, Maraca Guy, and Accordion Guy. All three of these act as support characters in battle. Despite all three of these going together, only the Sombrero Guy has a shiny form. Medi Guy comes from Paper Mario. These are Shy Guys that fly in vehicles that look very similar to clown cars. However, they're marked with a heart, denoting that these are indeed healers. One of the most standard variants of the Shy Guy is the Fly Guy, who is pretty much a standard Shy Guy but with a propeller on his head. When they first appeared in Yoshi's Island, they were seen carrying things like red coins, extra lives, and bombs. For some reason, in Super Mario 64, the Fly Guy has the ability to spit fire. Mario vs. Donkey Kong has the Toy Fly Guy, who I don't understand how he is different from the Mecha Fly Guy, so let's just put them together here. Mario and Luigi Dream Team has Fly Guy R, and like all the other R enemies, these are just a stronger variant. Black Shy Guy is a stronger version of the Shy Guy. The only game where they actually show up as enemies is Paper Mario Color Splash and the Origami King, but they do make many appearances in Mario Kart and sports games. Paper Mario is a very special version of the Black Shy Guy called Anti-Guy. These are actually absurdly strong enemies in Paper Mario. They're actually the second strongest enemy in the whole game, only behind Amazy Daisies. Mario vs. Donkey Kong has the Wrench Guy, who are Black Shy Guys whose primary mode of attack is throwing wrenches. Black Fly Guy is seen in Yoshi's story. These are extremely aggressive Fly Guys that will actively drop bombs on Yoshi. The next two enemies are Spy Guy and Spy Guy, who despite having the same name are completely different enemies. The first is a Shy Guy with the ability to hover with jets that come out of their feet. The other is a Shy Guy in camouflage that can either use a hammer or a slingshot to attack. Leaf Guy are a variant of Fly Guys, but instead of having normal propellers on the head, they have plants that they use to fly instead. They are seen during the Wiggler boss fight, where two of them will carry a giant turnip that they will drop on Bowser's head. There's also the Mock-Up, which looks like a balloon that would usually carry an extra life. If Yoshi gets too close, it'll actually pop and reveal that inside was a Fly Guy the whole time. Whirly Fly Guy is a variant of the Fly Guy that is flashing many different colors. They are fast and attempt to flee from Yoshi, but if defeated they will drop awards such as 1-ups. Glide Guy are Shy Guys with umbrellas. Unlike normal Shy Guys, when they reach ledges, they will jump off and slowly glide to the ground. Sky Guy is seen in Paper Mario. These are Shy Guys that use balloons to float in the air. Their main attack is using a slingshot. Spike Guy is a pretty simple enemy to explain. This is simply a Shy Guy with a spike on its head, which, as you might guess, prevents it from being jumped on. Metal Guy is from Yoshi's New Island. These are giant metallic Shy Guys that can be swallowed to make giant metallic eggs. Autobomb Shy Guys are Shy Guys that ride on top of a cannon and shoot at Mario. There's also the Ostro Rider Shy Guy. These are Shy Guys that ride on top of a different enemy named Ostro, who is coming up in the bird section right after this. Next is a Shy Guy that I have named for myself. I call him the Gotcha Guy. This is a Shy Guy that will hide in a bush and peek out to see if Yoshi is nearby. If Yoshi walks past, a bandit will take Mario and leave a Shy Guy on his back in his place. Honestly, I want to petition for this guy to be the Gotcha Guy. It really is the perfect name for this Shy Guy. Spooky are little enemies with the ability to fly around, and though they look a lot like Ghost, if you remove their disguise, it actually reveals that a green Shy Guy was under there the whole time. Though weirdly, if Spooky steals Mario, then it will be revealed that it was actually a bandit the whole time, making this Schrodinger's Spooky. Lantern Ghost, despite his name, is actually not a ghost at all, but rather a Shy Guy in a sheet. There's also a bigger version known as the Mega Lantern Ghost, and the metal version known as the Metal Lantern Ghost. Alright, it's time for the Shy Guys to start getting a little sillier. First we have Stilt Guy, Shy Guys who walk on stilts. Hitting them with eggs will not defeat them, but rather just knock them back, and then they will continue moving forward. If Yoshi jumps on them, however, they will become regular Shy Guys. Tuber Guy is a Shy Guy with an inner tube found in the water. Pirate Guy are white Shy Guys with purple shoes that wear colored bandanas. And there's Pirate Tuber Guy, who is a combination of the Tuber Guy and the Pirate Guy. These are only seen during the boss fight with Bessie Bass. Shy Guy Tower is pretty simply a stack of Shy Guys. They are first seen in Paper Mario during the General Guy boss fight, but would become a recurring enemy in the Yoshi series starting with Yoshi's Island DS. Oh yeah, and the Pirate Guys like stacking too. Door Guy are Shy Guys that will run away carrying doors. They will flee from Yoshi to stop him from getting to the door and sometimes fall in pits. Tree Guy is a guy who acts like the Door Guy, but with a tree. The weirdest Shy Guy is the fake Yoshi, a Shy Guy that disguises itself as Yoshi and Baby Mario, and then mimics their movements. You must lead this fake Yoshi in the spikes where it will be defeated. What's really weird about this is that Shy Guys can normally just stand on spikes. Bomb Guy is from Yoshi's Woolly World. These are stationary Shy Guys that will throw an unlimited supply of bombs at Yoshi. Pharaoh Guy is also from Yoshi's Woolly World. These act like normal Shy Guys, but can regenerate just like Dry Bones. There's also Mummy Guy, who is essentially the same exact thing. Yoshi's Crafted World has Bazooka Guy. These are Shy Guys with bazookas that shoot cannonballs. There's also Acorn Guy. These are Shy Guys that have acorn hats and roll to attack. There's also Flying Guy, not to be confused with Fly Guy, who is completely different. These are Shy Guys that have leaves that they use as wings. There's also Flying Shy Guy, who is completely different, which is a Shy Guy flying on a magic carpet seen in Mario Kart 7. Back to Yoshi's Crafted World, we have Vampire Guy, which are black Shy Guys with a red cape that swoop down at Yoshi. Ninja Guys are Shy Guys that throw shurikens at Yoshi. Much like the Bomb Guy, they stand still and have an endless supply of weapons. Rush Guy are Shy Guys with swords that will charge at Yoshi. In their space levels, their swords are replaced with lightsabers. Zombie Guy is a Shy Guy that shambles like a zombie. Often they will pop out of the dirt to try and attack Yoshi. Because they are slower, they're mostly just worse Shy Guys. Juggling Shy Guy is a Shy Guy dressed like a jester that juggles explosives. Unicycle Guy kinda comes in two forms. One is just a single Shy Guy riding a unicycle, and the other is a stack of Shy Guys riding a unicycle. Even though they're both called Unicycle Guy, they're different enemies. Groove Guy is also dressed like a jester, but instead of juggling, he is dancing. They actually use their dance moves to call in reinforcements. Super Mario RPG has the Sling Guy, who is the stronger variant of the Shy Guy in the game. Shy Moore are Shy Guys on pogo sticks that are the minions of Clay Morton. Bodyguards are Shy Moors that are personal bodyguards of Clay Morton. They look exactly like standard Shy Moors. And the strongest version of the Shy Moor is the Springer. Actually, I lied. The Shyper is the strongest version of the Shy Moor. Why are there 4 variants of this very specific Shy Guy? Yoshi's Story has an enemy very similar to the Shy Moor. It's called Shy Guys on Pogo Sticks. These are Shy Guys that hop up and down on pogo sticks. Honestly, I don't know why these aren't called Pogo Guys or Hopping Guys or anything creative. Nope. It's Shy Guys on pogo sticks. Super Mario RPG also has the Shy Ranger, which are extremely fast Shy Guys that will usually move first. If given the chance, they will flee battle, but if they are defeated, they will reward a ton of XP. Pyro Guy, originally known as Flamer Guy, are Shy Guys that are on fire. They move faster than regular Shy Guys, probably because they're on fire. Shy Guy comes in the 4 and 5 stack. Soggy Guy is a Shy Guy that's gotten wet. Because they are wet, their color is bleeding and faded. Animal Trainer Shy Guys are green Shy Guys seen in the battle with the wild Dino Rhinos. Trampoline Shy Guy is a stack of 15 Shy Guys encountered jumping on a trampoline. Mario can hit the trampoline with a hammer to knock them down. Coal Guy is a stack of 5 Shy Guys holding coal. The coal actually protects them from both jumps and hammer attacks. Their main attack is throwing coal at Mario. There's also Silver and Gold Shy Guy. Both must be hit with specific attacks that turn them into regular Shy Guys in order to defeat them. Roller Guys are Shy Guys inside of hamster wheels. Once the hamster wheel's broken, they act like standard Shy Guys. Shield Guy is a Shy Guy with a shield. They use it both for defense and offense. Boom Guys are Shy Guys with bullet bill blasters on their heads, which they will use to shoot Mario with bullet bills. There's also the Elite Boom Guy, who is blue and stronger. Fawful Guy and Dark Fawful Guy are from Bowser's Inside Story, with the dark variant being the stronger of the two. Shy Guy R is a stronger version of the Shy Guy in Mario & Luigi Dream Team. Sticking with Dream Team, we have Walker Guy, who is a Shy Guy walking a Chain Chomp, but the Chain Chomps are so big they actually walk the Shy Guy. Dreamy Shy Guy is a variant of the Shy Guy only seen in the Dreamy Bowser fight. There's also the Shy Guy Air Tub, which is a ship with cannons filled by Shy Guys. The stronger version is the Shy Guy Tub R, and the strongest version is the DX, which is the version seen during the Dreamy Bowser fight. Mario Kart Double Dash introduced the Skating Shy Guy, which are Shy Guys on ice skates that act as obstacles for the player. Mace Guy is a Shy Guy wielding a ball and chain. Notably, these are not maces at all. This is what a mace looks like. This is a ball and chain. Pedal Guys are Shy Guys that disguise themselves with flowers. Other than being disguised, they're pretty much the same as normal Shy Guys. Rocket Guy is a Shy Guy that is holding onto the side of a rocket. Touching them will cause the rocket to explode and hurt Yoshi. Submarine Guy is a Shy Guy driving a submarine in Yoshi's Story. These Shy Guys and their subs are completely indestructible. They will chase after Yoshi and launch torpedoes at him. Chandelier is a Shy Guy holding up a chandelier. Though he can't be attacked and doesn't damage Mario, he is holding up the chandelier that supports your enemy. Therefore, he is evil. Skull Guy is a Shy Guy wearing a skull on his head. The skull has a horn preventing Yoshi from jumping on top of it. Snow Guys are Shy Guys that throw snowballs in both Yoshi's Story and Yoshi's Woolly World. In Yoshi's Story, they throw snowballs from the background, but in Yoshi's Woolly World, they are standard enemies in the foreground throwing snowballs. Snowboarding Shy Guy is seen in Mario Kart. These act as obstacles that will spin out the driver if they run into them. Stretch or Stretch Guy is an elongated Shy Guy. One of the weirdest things about these Shy Guys is they have little hairs. When jumped on, they will not be defeated, but rather spit out watermelon seeds. Train Bandit is a Shy Guy painted onto the wall in Yoshi's Island. They come to life and move along the wall while Yoshi is in train form. Woozy Guys are Shy Guys that look exactly like normal Shy Guys, but instead of doing normal walking, they do little flips. The Yoshi series has a recurring enemy named Spear Guy. They carry a shield that prevents them from being eaten from the front, and their spear prevents them from being jumped on. In order to defeat them, you must sneak up behind them and then eat them. In Paper Mario, these guys either hold their spears up or down. If the spear is up, Mario can't jump on him, and if the spear is down, Mario can't hit him with the hammer. Dancing Spear Guy is very similar to the Spear Guy, but they dance around without shields, meaning you can just eat them from any angle. Bamboo dancers from Yoshi's story come in pairs. The pair is holding a limbo stick, attempting to trip Yoshi. These enemies are often referred to as the limbo guys as well. Toy Spear Guy is a shy guy usually found sleeping. When Mario walks onto the platform with the Spear Guy, he will wake up and charge him with his spear. Once he reaches the end of the platform, he will stop and go back to sleep. Mario and Luigi Paper Jam gives us Paper Spear Guy and Shiny Paper Spear Guy. Another variant of the Spear Guy is the Chuck Guy, and their stronger variant, the Elite Chuck Guy. As their name suggests, this variant actually throws spears at Mario. Warland 4 is an enemy that's not quite a shy guy, but is very similar, called Spear Mask. They come in 3 different colors and move differently based on their color. Therefore, I'm counting these as 3 different enemies. Very similar to the Spear Guy is the Hook Guy, who's actually the Spear Guy from Yoshi's Woolly World. But instead of spears, they have crochet hooks. Clip Guy is a shy guy whose main weapon is a paperclip. Their main attack is, of course, using the paperclip. Paint Guy is a shy guy with a bucket of paint that will try and run into Mario. If he does, he will spill paint on the screen, making the game harder to play. Paper Macho Shy Guy shows up in Paper Mario the Origami King, where they act exactly like Paper Macho Goombas, but are faster. The Mini Paper Macho Oil Guy, these are small versions of the Paper Macho Shy Guy with buckets of oil on their head. They'll attempt to spill the oil on Mario and set him on fire. Slurp Guy is a shy guy armed with a straw. He uses a straw to try and suck the color out of other people. They come in 3 colors, red, yellow, and blue, but they are all exactly the same. Shun Guy is a slurp guy that moves by inching itself along the floor. Unlike most paper enemies, it shows the ability to be able to fold itself. Boo Guy is the combination of a boo and a shy guy. Rather than walking, these float from side to side. But they are just as weak as normal shy guys, being able to be eaten or jumped on. A variant of the Boo Guy that I call the Ball and Chain Guy is a Boo Guy working a wind-up ball and chain. He will try and drop this on Yoshi's head to hurt him. In Mario and Luigi Partners in Time, the stronger version of the Boo Guy is the Ghoul Guy, who has a gray body instead of a white body. Another variation of the Boo Guy is the Relay Guy, who are a group of Boo Guys that will pass a bomb along until it is above Yoshi. Then they will try and drop it on his head. The toy version of the Boo Guy is the Polter Guy. These only show up in the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series, and if you hit a switch matching their color, they will turn into a block. Yoshi's Crafted World has Attack Ghost. These appear to be larger versions of the Boo Guy that chase Yoshi around with a golden scythe. Luigi's Mansion has Ghost Guy and Dancing Ghost Guy, who are ghost shy guys wielding bidents that must have their mask removed first in order to be defeated. The regular Ghost Guy moves around like normal enemies, while the Dancing Ghost Guys dance in pairs. Super Mario RPG has Creeper and Glum Reaper. These are Grim Reaper-like shy guys that wield scythes. The stronger of the two is the Glum Reaper. Grim Leecher is an enemy that just wants to ride on Yoshi. If he comes in contact with Yoshi, he will knock Baby Mario off and ride him. While he's riding, Yoshi's controls are reversed, making this guy a real pain in the tuchus. Burner Guys are shy guys that come in pairs that push burners. Yoshi gets trapped between the 2 burners, making a pseudo auto-scroller section. Exploring Shy Guys are only seen in Mario Kart Tour and Mario Kart 8. These are Shy Guys with lighted Explorer helmets and a pickaxe. Much like other Shy Guys in the Mario Kart games, they act as obstacles. Sniffit is a Shy Guy with a snout that shoots projectiles out of that hole. They come in a lot of different colors, but they are most commonly red, just like Shy Guys. Super Mario RPG has a strong Sniffit. Paper Mario Color Splash has Slurp Sniffit, which is exactly like the Slurp Guy, but a Sniffit. Super Mario 64 has a weird version of the Sniffit called the Sniffit or Snuffit. They appear to be ghost versions of Sniffits and fly around shooting at Mario. Sniffit toys from the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series. These little guys will stand in one place winding up and then shoot 5 bullets. Ice Sniffits are Sniffits that live in cold areas. Because of this, they dress in warm outfits and attack with ice attacks. The Propeller Sniffit actually only shows up in one game, Yoshi's Touch and Go. These are Sniffits with propellers like Fly Guys. Scorch It is a Sniffit with the ability to breathe fire. These are seen in Yoshi's Island DS. Fliff It is a combination of a flower and a Sniffit. Just like a Sniffit, they shoot projectiles out of their snout, but because they're plants, they're seeds instead. Sneeds are seeds that will glow into Fliffits if not defeated. Similar to the Fliffit, we have the Spiky Sniffit, who is a cactus wearing a Sniffit mask. They attack just like every other version of the Sniffet by shooting projectiles. Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story has the Flying Sniffet, which are blue Sniffets with purple butterfly wings. The Snifster and the Strong Snifster are black and white variants of the Sniffet. They are minions of the boss Booster. Laser Sniffet is a Sniffet with a laser attached to the front of their nose. They are wearing oversized lab coats and have the ability to, well, fire lasers. Gunner Guys are Sniffets with extra large snouts. Because they're so long, they have little legs at the end to hold them up. Because their nose is so big, they can't really move by themselves, but other Shy Guys will pick them up and move them. Sniffero is two Sniffets standing on each other's shoulders inside of a sarcophagus. Once the sarcophagus is destroyed, there will be normal Sniffets with headdresses. Spike Sniffet is pretty simply a Sniffet with a spike in his head that can't be jumped on. Whistle Sniffet is a Sniffet with a whistle. They use this whistle to call other enemies into battle to aid them. And Chariot Sniffet is simply a Sniffet in a chariot. An enemy that is similar to the Sniffet but not quite a Sniffet is the Crackpot, which are little enemies that poke their heads out of pots and shoot spike balls. Another relative to the Shy Guy that I actually didn't even know was related to the Shy Guy until making this video is the Bandit. These little Shy Guys have a more humanoid type body and love to steal things. In Yoshi's Island, they will steal Baby Mario off of Yoshi's back. Yoshi's Island also has the Coin Bandit, who is a pink bandit that is always seen carrying a red coin. It'll run away with the red coin trying to get away from Yoshi. Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door has Big Bandit, which despite his name is actually just a normal sized green bandit. They are both stronger than the normal bandit and have the ability to steal items and not just coins. Badge Bandit is the strongest version of the bandit in the game, and as their name implies, have the additional ability of being able to steal badges as well. Green Glove is a green bandit that wears a baseball glove and a catcher's mask. If an egg is thrown at them, they will catch it with their glove and throw it back at Yoshi. Sluggers are yellow bandits with baseball bats and the same mask as the green glove. If an egg, seeds, or a chomp rock are coming towards us, they will hit them back using the bat. Grunt is similar to the bandit, but isn't actually a bandit. These little enemies wear spiny helmets on their head and can be eaten unlike normal bandits. The final bandit we do have though is the Zeus Guy, who are bandits wearing karate robes. They can charge and attack with their hands that is similar to a Hadouken. If Yoshi gets close to them, they will attack with kicks and punches. This little bandit character seems to take inspiration from Ryu, the Street Fighter character. Time for the four strangest Shy Guys we have. First is the Bezo, who are little insect-like Shy Guys that run around with Bidens. These are extremely annoying enemies that will spawn infinitely. Sticking to Super Mario Bros. 2, we have Tweeter, who are masked Shy Guy-like birds that can't fly but do hop around. Alright, and these enemies are the perfect enemy to bridge the gap between Shy Guys and our next category, birds. The Birdie and the Bluebird from Super Mario RPG. These are weird humanoid creatures in bird costumes wielding a spear. The stronger of the two is the Blue Bird. Continuing on into the actual bird category, we have Bird, which are very basic bird-like enemies in Donkey Kong for the Game Boy. There's also Bird in Wario Land 2 and 3, which are birds that will launch themselves at Wario and get their beaks caught in walls. And third for the bird is the Bird from Mario Time Machine, which will steal Mario's artifacts if he puts them in the wrong place. The Mario vs. Donkey Kong series has Bird Toy. These birds will attack by dropping eggs on Mario. Also in Mario vs. Donkey Kong is Fire Bird, which are fiery versions of the Bird Toy. These will spawn out of fire rings and drop fire eggs. The Nitpicker is a bird originally from Donkey Kong Jr. These birds have the ability to both dive bomb and drop eggs. Donkey Kong for the Game Boy has Hawk, which is a bird that will spawn infinitely from a nest, and does the bird's patented attack, drop an egg. Kaibato, yet another bird that drops eggs. Luigi's Mansion 2 and 3 have Crow and Gold Crow, both of which can be vacuumed up by Luigi for money, with the Gold Crow giving more. Similar to the Crow is the Crow Burr. These are bird enemies that come in both purple and black. These will fly around in circles and try and dive bomb Mario when he gets near. Pidgeot is a flightless bird that flies on a magic carpet. They first appeared in Super Mario Bros. 2, and if you throw the bird off, you can ride the carpet yourself. Pidgeot Jr. shows up in Mario and Wario. They look exactly the same as normal Pidgeots, but don't have magic carpets. Ninja Crow is in Wario World. These are giant birds in Ninja Mask and attack by trying to kick Wario. Raven is an enemy that shows up in the Yoshi series. This is a completely black bird with no wings. They originally couldn't be eaten by Yoshi, but in later games Yoshi could eat them. These little guys have the ability to walk on both ceilings and walls. There's also the Raven Chick, who are smaller versions of the Raven. Super Princess Peach has Sad Raven, which is a blue raven that is always crying. While crying, they will get periodically bigger, which will stun Peach. Goonie are bird enemies in Yoshi's Island. Sometimes when they fly by, they will try and dip down and hit Yoshi. Some carry Shy Guys that they will try to drop on Yoshi. Flightless Goonies are Goonies without wings. These run quickly along the ground, often in packs. Hefty Goonie is a bigger sized version of the Goonie that has the same size wings as small Goonies. Because of their small wings, they struggle to fly. If you hit them with an egg, they will become the bowling goonie, which is a goonie without the ability to move itself at all. But Yoshi can push it to defeat enemies in his path. Similar to the bowling goonie is the rough and tumble, which acts almost identical to bowling goonies except for the fact that they can be bounced off of. There's also the rough and tumble patch that when untied will roll at Yoshi. Going back to Super Mario Bros. 2, we have Albatos. These are birds that fly across the screen and attempt to drop bombs on Mario. Wario Land 2 has Seagull, which are actually completely harmless enemies, but can be used as platforms. Ostro is an ostrich-like enemy seen being ridden by Shy Guys. Peepers are absolutely adorable yellow chick enemies. If you hit them with their egg, they will lose all their feathers and tumble to the ground. Alright, let's get into a little subcategory of the birds real quick, the penguins, who are led off by the penguins, who are almost always friendly creatures to Mario. But sometimes they are obstacles, such as in Mario Kart and Mario Party. Just like the big penguin, the baby penguin is also an obstacle in Mario Kart. Bumpty is a recurring enemy in the Yoshi Island series. These things will slide along icy grounds and bump into Yoshi, trying to knock him off edges. Pendrill is a version of the Bumpty with a drill beak. This makes them actually able to do damage unlike normal Bumpties. New Super Mario Bros. Series has Cooligan, who are penguins wearing sunglasses that slide on their bellies. These will deal damage to Mario if they hit him. Pengoon is from Wario Land Shake It. They come in both blue and pink. The blue ones will spit 1 ice chunk at Wario, while the pink ones will shoot 3 ice chunks. The original Wario Land had Pencoon, who are big penguins with spikes on their bellies and horns on their heads. For some reason, they are listed as a combination of a raccoon and a penguin, but they really only look like a penguin to me. Maybe I'm missing something. Pen Pen is from Donkey Kong for the Game Boy. These are yet another enemy that Mario can stand on while they walk around. Alright, no more penguins. Next is Pigeon from Wario World. These are giant pigeons that will try and pick up Wario and slam him into the ground. They also have the ability to drop bombs. Also in that game is Hawk, which is the exact same thing as the pigeon, but they drop spike balls instead of bombs. And last but not least for these is the Hippo, who is a bird with a bag over its head that is a clone of both the hawk and the pigeon. The original Mario Land has Chicken, which is this bird enemy that flies around that looks almost nothing like a chicken. Super Mario Sunshine has Plurp, who are chickens that will try and drop goop on Mario. There's also the Cluck Boom from Super Mario Galaxy, but instead of dropping goop, they drop bombs. Peeply is from Yoshi's Woolly World. These are very small chicks that walk around and try and hurt Yoshi. There's also Miss Cluck, which is the cardboard head of a chicken that is being carried by 3 Peeplies. I know I said a lot of enemies are cute in this, but these are really cute. Roosters are enemies of Wario that won't usually attack him, but if he runs into them, they will hurt him. They're rather large, being the same exact size as Wario. Ohoji comes in 2 forms, the fire version and the electrocuted version. Both are panicking because they're either on fire or being electrocuted. Virtual Boy Wario Land has Flying Fowl, which are chicken-like enemies with spear beaks. Wario Land Shake It has the Turkey Jerk, coming in both brown and green. The green ones sit still, while the brown ones fly around. Flaptack is from Super Mario Galaxy 2. These are birds that will try to slam their giant spike on their head down into Mario. If they miss, they will get stuck on the ground, meaning Mario can jump on them to defeat them. Flaptor is an enemy only seen in Captain Toad. Similar to the Flaptack, they will try and slam down into Toad after he walks under them. Conkdor is a giant bird that will try and peck Mario as he passes by. If they miss, their beaks will get stuck in the ground momentarily. Super Mario Wonder gives a couple cool birds in Bluebird and Condart. The Bluebird will shoot its beak into walls, making platforms for Mario to walk on. The Condart will try and launch itself at Mario, and if it misses, will get stuck on the wall. Don Don are birds from Super Mario Land 2 that fly in straight lines, and much like other birds, try to dive down when Mario gets near. Dangerous Duck is a boomerang throwing duck that is very similar to a boomerang bro. Pecan is an enemy that will either shoot out spiked balls or spiky fish. Watch is a bird that, like many other bird enemies, has the patented swoop attack. Cuckoo are featherless birds that lay eggs that will hatch into bombs. Wario Land 4 is the duck and the black duck. Both only show up in boss fights, and they are both time bombs that will explode. Hootlet is a baby owl from Super Princess Peach. These hatch out of eggs and waddle toward Peach. Fleeper is a wingless bird with the ability to jump. To be 100% honest, I'm not even sure this thing's a bird. Squabble are seagulls that travel in large groups. They attack by attempting to peck Wario. Super Mario Odyssey has Pokio, which are birds in spiked hats that have the ability to extend their beak. These can be controlled by Cappy and used to climb certain surfaces. Now this next one I wasn't too sure about, but I decided to put it here anyway. It's Klepto, who is a bird that will fly around and try and steal Mario's hat. Now is this one bird named Klepto, or is this a species of bird named Klepto? I decided based on the many different locations we see it in, it has to be a species of bird. But I could be wrong. Nose is a chicken-like bird that also looks like Mario and Luigi's noses. This is one enemy that has the ability to switch back and forth between forms. Back to Super Mario Wonder, we have Condrop. which are birds with plungers on their feet that carry items. When Mario gets near them or hits them with a projectile, they will drop their item. Also in Super Mario Wonder is Hoo Hoo, which are owls with the patented swoop attack. Rob Bird is a bird in goggles that also swoops to attack, but these guys can swoop into water and back out of water. And last but not least in our birds, we have Cheep Cheep, who is a cuckoo clock bird, and not actually a Cheep Cheep at all. From one flying type of enemy to the next, we have bat enemies. And the main bat enemy in all of Mario is Swoop, who, as you might have guessed, the main attack is swooping. In their first appearance in Super Mario World, they look more like birds than bats, but have since become a more bat-looking enemy. In Paper Mario, their stronger version is Swoopula, and in Thousand Year Door, their strongest version is Swampire. These enemies also make an appearance in Mario & Luigi Paper Jam, so we get Paper Swoop and Shiny Paper Swoop. The Super Mario Galaxy games have simply Bat, who are mostly normal-looking bats, but with pig noses. Mario Kart 64 also has the Bat, which is distinctively not a swoop, but would be replaced with a swoop in later iterations of these tracks. Back to Super Mario Galaxy, we have Ice Bat, who is an ice version of the normal bat from the game, intact with a pig nose and all. The Yoshi's Island series has Fang. Despite the nickname Fang, they actually don't have mouths at all. Super Princess Peach has the Glad Fang. These will fly around aimlessly, not attacking Princess Peach. Yoshi's New Island has Slave Bassa, which is a group of fangs that circle around the boss, Count Fang. Back to Super Princess Peach, we have Mini Fang Swarm, which is a large group of fangs that will block Princess Peach's path. They can be dispersed by using the Rage ability. Donkey Kong for the Game Boy has Dorakyu, which are pretty basic bat enemies that simply fly back and forth. Pat the Bat is an enemy unique to Hotel Mario. They can be defeated by both jumps and fireballs. Komoran is another basic bat enemy, this one from Mario and Wario. Much like the Fang, they only have wings and a head, but unlike the Fang, they actually have fangs. Combat is a weird bat from Yoshi's Story, and if it wasn't named the Combat, I would not have put this in bats, because I really would not have known what this thing is. Flying crystal creatures are enemies that spawn during the crystal entity fights in Wario World. Though not specifically said to be bats, they look a lot like them. Spin Bat is from Wario Land Shake It. These are bats that hang from the ceiling and will attempt to fall on Wario. If they miss, they will get stuck in the ground. Mini Kyura are bats spawned by a very specific vampire enemy in Super Mario Land. The vampire enemy we'll see a little later. The original Wario Land has Demon Bat, which is a pretty standard bat enemy for Mario games, but has a devil-looking tail. D-Bats are bats that fly around carrying weights. When they get near Wario, they will try and drop these on his head. Bomb Bat is a bat that carries spiked bombs in his feet. Much like the last bat enemy, he also tries to drop these on Wario's head. Bomb Bat is a combination of a bomb and a bat. They have a wick and will explode if they make contact with Wario. Kobato are strange bat enemies that always travel in groups of 4, but other than that are pretty standard bats. Manicula is from Wario Land 4, and these little guys will transform Wario into Bat Wario. The weirdest looking bat for sure is the Mayu bird, which is a bat with a large nose, large fangs, and lipstick on. And last but not least for the bats is, well, Bat and Gold Bat from Luigi's Mansion. The standard bat can drop either a heart or money, and the Gold Bat will always drop large amounts of money. Up next is another Mario enemy almost everybody knows, the Chain Chomp, led off by the one and only Chain Chomp, who first appeared in Super Mario Bros. 3. Most Chain Chomps are tied up to blocks, posts, or other objects. Periodically they will lunge at Mario but be stopped by their chains. When Chain Chomp's chain isn't attached to anything, they become the Unchained Chomp. They will hop in a straight line and not attack Mario. Both the Chain Chomp and the Unchained Chomp are seen in Super Mario Maker. A really weird variant of the Chain Chomp is Flame Chomp, who was actually introduced in the exact same game as the original Chain Chomp. These are flying bowling ball looking creatures that have a chain of fire behind them. They can shoot the fire at Mario to attack and can be defeated in one jump, unlike a standard Chain Chomp. There's also the Flamethrower Flame Chomp, seen in Super Mario 64 and its remake on the DS. In the original game, they were just black balls that released fire, so they didn't look very alive. But in Super Mario 64 DS, these were given faces to show that they were indeed alive. Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 has Mini Chomp, which is a very confusing name considering it looks like a standard sized chomp. Though it does appear next to bigger Chain Chomp, so I guess that's the difference. Stomping Chomps are large chomps that will jump up and down in place. Chain Chomplets are chain chomps that look a lot more like standard dogs, having a collar and all. They are often found on fire and must be put out with flood. Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 have Gold Chomp, who are golden variants of the chomp that roll around like the normal ones in Super Mario Galaxy, but these ones contain a power star. Homing Chomp is a version of the chomp in Super Mario Galaxy 2 that, instead of rolling in a set pattern, will roll after Mario, or Luigi in this case. Yoshi's Island and Yoshi's Island DS have Incoming Chomp, aka Shark Chomp. These are chomps that show up in the background and then jump towards Yoshi and break the ground on the way down. Yoshi's New Island has an enemy very similar called the Flaming Incoming Chain Chomp, who act the exact same, but are also on fire. Chomp Chomp is a stronger version of the Chain Chomp in Super Mario RPG. They are gold rather than black. Frame Chomp is from Yoshi's Woolly World. This is a chain chomp that looks like a wire frame. If Yoshi hits it with yarn, it will turn into a ball that Yoshi can then push and defeat enemies in his path. Chandelier is much like the Chandelier from earlier. This one is seen in the beginning of the game, holding up a chandelier in the Bowser fight. The way to beat Bowser in this fight is actually to jump on the chandelier and make him drop the chandelier so Bowser falls. Stone Chomp is a weaker variant of the chomp made out of rock in Paper Mario. Red Chomp serves the same purpose as the Stone Chomp of Paper Mario, but in Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door. They're simply weaker chomps. Even though I would assume the red ones would be stronger. Oh yeah, these are in Super Paper Mario, so we get Dark Chomp. It's kind of been a while since we've had one of those. Paper Macho Chain Chomp is a large chain chomp made out of paper mache. You can't really engage with them in combat, but they will chase Mario and his partners throughout the Spring of Jungle Mist level. Mecha Chomp is a robot chain chomp that is more like a dog than most variations of the chain chomp. Shroob Chain Chomp is a purple Shroob infected chain chomp. It is only seen during the Elder Princess Shroob boss battle. Chain Chawful is a hypnotized version of the chain chomp. They appear to have little swarms on their head controlling them. Calm Chain Chomp, like most calm enemies, is also found sleeping. Mario & Luigi Paper Jam gives us Paper Chain Chomp. These are actually the only basic paper enemy in the whole entire game without a shiny variant. Super Mario Wonder has the Nosher coming in both red and black. The black ones will move in a straight line and eat anything in their path, while the red ones will chase after coins, Mario, and enemies to attempt to eat them. The Wonder version of this is the Nosher Horde, which is a wall of black Noshers that eat everything in their path. They can be slowed down and stunned by POW blocks. To finish out the Chain Chomp category, we have an enemy that's maybe a Chain Chomp, maybe not, but I thought it fit here. It's the Bristol, and its stronger variant, the Dark Bristol, which are metal chomp-ish enemies with spikes on all sides. To follow up Chain Chomps, we have another rather large group of enemies. This is robots. Leading it off is the Snapjaw. The Snapjaw made its first appearance in Donkey Kong Jr. These are crocodile-like robots that climb up and down vines. The way to defeat them is by dropping fruit on their head. Vine Eaters are a lot like Snapjaw, but they act like timers for the end of the level. As time runs out, they will eat the vine, suspending Donkey Kong above the garden in Donkey Kong 3. Once they completely devour the vines, the level will be lost and Stanley will lose a life. Mecha Koopa is an enemy that first showed up in Super Mario World. These are robot versions of the Koopa that walk from side to side. If they are jumped on, they will be stunned and can be picked up and thrown. However, after a few seconds, they will wake up. In Super Mario Galaxy, these are shown to have the ability to breathe fire. And Mecha Koopa is a Mario Maker enemy. Introduced exclusively to Mario Maker 2 are Blasta Mecha Koopa and Zappa Mecha Koopa. Blasta is a pink version of the Mecha Koopa that shoots bullseye bills out of its mouth. And the Zappa Mecha Koopa is a blue version that shoots lightning that destroys blocks in its path. And as I mentioned, both of these are Mario Maker enemies. Super Mario Wonder introduced the Flying Mecha Koopa, which are Mecha Koopas with propellers that can float in the air. Other than their ability to fly, they act exactly like normal Mecha Koopas. Mario & Rabbids Spark of Hopes gives us the Rabid Mecha Koopa, the Darkness Rabid Mecha Koopa, and the Fire Rabid Mecha Koopa. These are Mecha Koopas that attempt to explode to deal damage, with the Darkness and the regular one being pretty much the same, and the Fire one applying the burn status. Now, I'm not 100% sure this next one is a robot, but I'm counting as a robot. This is Tap Tap. He's a common enemy throughout the Yoshi games. These are enemies that Yoshi cannot eat or destroy with an egg. Most often they are seen hopping up and down. They also come in the super big form, which are oversized golden versions that roll after Yoshi. They are so large they will destroy almost anything in their path. Spike is an enemy in Yoshi's story that acts very similar to Tap Tap. They're made out of bronze, have a spike on their head, and hop up and down in place. Wrecking Crew 98 had a bunch of robot enemies. They were the Blanya, the Burnya, and the Genya. One is a robot with a cinder block, the other has a blowtorch, and the third has a girder and jet boots. Now these might not be robots, but they're completely covered up, so they could be. Heave Ho is from Super Mario 64. These are wind-up robots that have little plates with feet marks. If Mario walks onto the plate, they will fling it backwards, sending Mario flying. Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story has Mechawful and Dark Mechawful. Both are robot Fawful enemies, and the Dark is the stronger of the two. If their bodies take too much damage, their head will separate. If the head isn't defeated in time, it will call in a new body, which will be stronger than the last. Back to Super Mario 64, we have Chuckya. These are strange purple enemies that have a striking resemblance to Bob-ombs. These little guys will run at Mario and try and grab him. If they get a hold of him, they will spin around in a circle and then toss him. Hammerbot is from Wario Land 3. Pretty simply, this is a robot with hammer arms. Robot number 1 is from Donkey Kong for the Game Boy, and this is just another version of an enemy that can walk back and forth, and Mario can stand on its head. Back to Wrecking Crew 98, we have Forkin, Baraku, and Dumpty, which is a forklift, a bulldozer, and specifically a dump truck with sunglasses. La Bomb and La Bomb R are from Mario and Luigi Dream Team. These are yellow cube-like enemies that lob bombs at Mario. Though the name does imply they are bombs, they don't look anything like bombs and don't actually explode at all, but rather lob bombs as an attack. Bill Blaster is something I would normally not consider an enemy, but it is fought as an enemy in many Mario RPG games, where it is given HP and dies like every other enemy. Super Mario RPG also has Big Blaster, which are actually the same exact size as the regular Bill Blaster, but stronger. The stronger version for Paper Mario is the Bombshell Bill Blaster, which are golden variants of the Bill Blaster. Torpedo Base and Red Torpedo Base are definitely weird enemies. They're boxes that launch torpedo Teds. And now, like I said, I wouldn't normally count this as an enemy, but a hand comes out and lets go of these, so something has to be alive in there. Mario Clash has Lob, which is a little box-like enemy with wheels. It also has a single hand that it uses to lob bombs. So again, something must be living inside there. Spike Cannon is from Wario Land 4. These are red, blue, and green cannons that shoot spike balls. The 3 different colors and faces are purely aesthetic. They have absolutely zero effect on gameplay. To summon is from Mario and Wario. These are cannon-like enemies that hang from the ceiling and shoot down fireballs from above. Yoshi's Island has the Kaboomba, who is just a walking cannon with legs. As you would expect, they shoot cannonballs. Calm Kaboom comes from Super Princess Peach, and this is a sleeping version of that cannon. Bamu Bamu are also walking cannons, but this time in the shape of a pig. Instead of a snout or mouth, it just has a giant cannon hole. Wario Land Shake It has a short fuse, coming in both brown and red. These are barrel-shaped enemies that will shoot spiked balls. Freeze Cannon is from Wario World. This is some sort of unspecified creature that is shooting a frost ray gun at Wario. Also in Wario World is Crystal Entity, who are giant crystal enemies that come down and trap Wario in a ball. They will summon the flying crystal enemies from earlier and the ground crystal creatures, which are their own enemy. The Machine Maid are from Super Mario RPG. These are 9 boss enemies from throughout the game that are seen as you make your final trek towards Smithy. They include the 5 Axum Rangers, Clay Morton and his bodyguards, Bowyer, Yardovik, and a completely new enemy, Drillbit. Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door has the Yucks, X-Yucks, and Z-Yucks. And for some reason, no Y-Yucks. Each of these has the ability to make a mini form of itself that can form a shield to protect it. Grotus also produces Yucks-like creatures. They are called Grotus X, which, just like the mini Yucks, will form a shield around him. Super Paper Mario is an enemy based on the Yucks called the Berry Bad, but instead of producing mini versions, they can just shield themselves. Their stronger version is a So Berry Bad, and the strongest version is the Dark Berry Bad, which is literally just a black circle. Back to Thousand Year Door, we have the Dark Wizard, which is a purple cyborg enemy with 4 floating hands. Weirdly, their stronger version is just called Wizard, which you would think would be weaker, but they have 1 more attack and defense. And their strongest version is the Elite Wizard, who is gray with blue hands. Alright, let's flip back to Super Paper Mario again, where we have Patrol Meow, which is some sort of weird robot cat in a skirt. The flying version is the Air Meow, which in addition to flying are also yellow. Big Meow is a large indestructible version of these. Meow Bomb is a small white explosive one. And the Surprise Meow are red ones with cannons in their mouths. They're also wearing a visor for some reason. Super Mario Galaxy has Eye Beamer, whose name is pretty dead on. This is a robot eye that shoots a beam that hurts Mario. Names can't get much more descriptive than that. Spring Volt is an enemy that pulses out laser rings. They're spring loaded, so when Mario jumps on top of them, he will be launched up in the air. Century Garage houses Top Minis, who are little robot tops that attack Mario. The Century Garage itself is very similar to the Spring Volt, having a spring on top that Mario can jump off of. The larger version of the Mini Top is the Spring Top Min, who is kind of a combination of the Century Garage and Top Mini. They're spinning top enemies that will try and hurt Mario, but have a bouncy head that Mario can jump off of. Last but not least for these top enemies is Spiky Topman, who, as you would suspect, have spikes and cannot be jumped on. Century Beam are little robots that look like trash cans. When they open their mouth, they will fire a laser beam at Mario. These enemies are completely indestructible and can't be defeated. Mikey Mine is very simply a mine that floats in space or underwater. If Mario runs into them, they will explode. Let's hop over to Wario Land Shake It, where we have Tub Sub, coming in both the brown and gray versions. The brown ones will move vertically to try and shoot missiles at Wario, while the gray ones only move from left to right. Those Dozer is also in the game. These are robots with drills in their front that must be jumped on or attacked from behind. Robo Kiki is a monkey from Mario vs. Donkey Kong. They're robot monkeys with long tails that Mario can hang on to. Sir Shovelot is a robot with a shield. He'll try and push Mario into the wall and crush him. Mechabon is from Super Mario Land. These are robots that throw their head and have it return like a boomerang. Chikaku are little spark robots with faces, but they only have a face in their art and not their sprite. If not for the art, I would have assumed this was an obstacle rather than an enemy. Number 48 is from Super Mario Land 2, are flying saucer-shaped robots that shoot star projectiles out of their head. And very strangely, they appear to be wearing shoes. Like, those aren't his feet, those are actual shoes. A similar enemy to that is the Fallful Copter, who is a Fallful flying saucer-shaped enemy. Sticking with the spaceship theme, we have Poro, who are robot enemies that look like little lunar landers. Virtual Boy Wario Land has Thorn Rocket, which is a spiked enemy propelled by a rocket jet. Wario Land 3 has 3 very similar looking robots: the Spearbot, Beam Robota, and Fire Robota. The Spearbot obviously shoots spears, the Beam Robota shoots a wave, and the Fire Robota shoots fire. Sticking to Wario Land 3, we have the Omadon Mecha, which also comes in 3 colors: blue, green, and red. The blue ones will try and pick up Wario, the green ones will try and drop Omadons on Wario, and the red ones will also try and drop Omadons on Wario, but these will shake the ground when they hit. There's actually only one red Omadon Mecha in the entire game. Robo Mouse is not a robot mouse like you would think, but rather a robot mole. They act as patrol officers in an area, and if they catch Wario, they will send him back to the beginning of it. Going to Wario Land 4, we have Toad Robo, which are spiked robot enemies that can use their head like a spike ball. Also in that game is the Pep Bottom, which are robots that look like bottles with legs and a spear for the top. Continuing on, we have Robo Bird, who is a robot bird that flies with a jetpack. There's also Toy Car, which I assume has to be a robot because I don't think these are little clones of Wario, but they are little copies of Wario that drive cars with spikes in the front of them. Mechanical Fish is a robotic submarine with a spiked nose. It is only seen during the Cat Bat boss battle. Shroid is from Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. It is simply a robot shroob enemy. Also in that game is Snooze Orb, who are round robots that start the battle sleeping. I'm really not sure why a robot has to sleep, but I nap like 3 times a day, so I can't judge. Amphimagun is from Wario Master of the Skies. These are robots that attach to walls, and obviously, they're guns, so they shoot at Wario. Sir Lancelot is a robot wielding a lance. His stronger version is Sir Worthalot, who is a gold version. The version that uses this lance like a pogo stick is Sir Hopsalot, and the version that will flee from Wario but has lots of rewards is Sir Steelslot. There's also Sir Flapalot, but he looks nothing like all the other ones and breathes blue fire. I'm not sure why he follows their naming scheme at all. The vacuum helmet is from Bowser's Inside Story. It's used by Fallfuls to fly, but it has its own health bar and everything, so we count it as its own enemy. Their head also appears to be a reference to the Nintendo robot Rob. Robomb and Gold Robomb are from Luigi's Mansion 2. These are little bombs that'll chase around Luigi. The gold ones are faster, but drop more money. This stock image with a watermark is the best I can find for anything that looks remotely close to the Golden Robomb. Flaming Etasmaton is from Mario and Luigi Dream Team. This is a robot with bat wings that spits fire to attack. Propellion seems to be a robot dragonfly propeller type thing. Super Mario Odyssey has Sherm, who are literally just tank enemies. Like many other enemies throughout the game, they're sometimes seen wearing hats for apparently no reason. The name is also a reference to the famous American tank M4 Sherman. Odyssey also has Trapedal, which are little robots that will just walk around. But if you throw Cappy at them, he will catch it and then launch himself back at Mario. Whenever he makes contact with anything, he will explode. Saibo are little robot enemies that are usually friendly in Yoshi's Crafted World, but sometimes these little robots panic and can hurt Yoshi. And the final robot we have is Bowser Cannon. This is a giant Bowser head that floats around in the background and shoots a giant cannon out of its mouth. If the cannon hits certain things in the environment, it will destroy them. Okay, it's time for our final category. And this one is a rather long one because it is miscellaneous. This is all enemies I couldn't fit in other categories, or in very few cases forgot to put in other categories. Cut me some slack. This was an extremely long video to make. Let's jump into it with Ghost Block, which is a haunted block possessed by a ghost that tries to attack Mario. They are seen in Ghost House levels of New Super Mario Bros. Very similar to the Ghost Block is the Fake Block, which is a block that appears to have the Super Leaf power-up. It has a tail and can jump after Mario. Their color is slightly different from a standard brick block, so if you're really paying attention, you can see them coming. Block Hopper is also from New Super Mario Bros. These are some weird enemies that disguise themselves as blocks and act very similar to the Pile Driver Micro Goomba, hopping towards Mario and trying to squish him. Block is a living snake block enemy covered in spikes. Their eyes look very similar to that of a Bullet Bill. These move around in a set pattern and don't actively try and hurt Mario, but simply float around. Block Stepper are little red blocks with hats on. They march in straight lines, but if one is killed, the rest will scatter. The Blurker is a large cloud-like block that acts as a barrier to hidden areas. They can be destroyed by most attacks besides jumps. Dark Block is a living block enemy that has a face. When hit, it can either be sad or angry. Yoshi's Safari has an Anvil enemy, which is a living anvil that shoots horseshoes in order to to attack. Tracks is from Super Mario Galaxy. They are money bag shaped enemies with feet and blooper eyes. They turn completely invisible if Mario is moving, but if Mario stands still, they will become visible. Wrecking Crew has the Gotcha Wrench, which is a TV wrench enemy. For some reason, one of the variations of the Gotcha Wrench is a hatchet, which I'm going to call its own enemy because it's not a wrench at all. This must be the Gotcha Hatchet. Out Your Glass is from Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, and can only be battled by Luigi. Pretty simply, they're just hourglass enemies. Super Mario RPG has the Orb User, and its stronger variant, the Orbisin, which are a blue and a red living wizard staff. Sticking with Super Mario RPG enemies, we have the Pinwheel, which is a purple-faced fan with white propellers. Daleks and Pupox are both marionette puppets with hammers. The Daleks appears to be made of wood, and I guess the Pupox is purple wood? Either way, it's stronger. Jabbit is a green drill bit enemy. It's similar to the machine-made drill bit enemy. These enemies are only seen in Smithy's factory. The Mad Mallet, the Pounder, and the Poundette are all hammer-based enemies. The weakest is the Mad Mallet, and the strongest is the Poundette. Egg Bird is an egg enemy created by Birdo. If the egg is defeated, it will explode and deal damage to Birdo. Bookend is a haunted book from Super Mario 64. These are haunted books that fly off the shelf and try and bite Mario. There's also the Haunted Chair, which is possessed by a ghost and tries to fly and hit Mario. And to finish out this trifecta of weird inanimate objects from Super Mario 64, we have Mad Piano, which is a possessed grand piano with teeth. Every single person who played Super Mario 64 as a kid was scared by this piano. Mr. Eye is an eyeball enemy that shoots bubbles as an attack. They are defeated by running around them in a circle. Red Eye is a faster shooting version of the Mr. Eye with a laser attack. Super Mario Land has Tammo, which are also eyeball enemies, but these ones bounce up and down. Airbag is from Yoshi's Story. These are balloons that pop out of boxes and blow air to try and push Yoshi backward. Snoot are adorable balloon-like enemies that attack by shooting buttons. Baron Von Zeppelin, aka the item balloon, is from the Yoshi series. These are living balloons that sometimes carry very useful items, but other times carry harmful things like Shy Guys. Yoshi's Story has a Tack Sack. These are balls that bounce around off of walls and ceilings. If you were worried Wario World was out of weird enemies, well, they're not, because we have Door Spirit and Silver Door Spirit, which are living door knockers that shoot electricity at Wario, with the silver one being the stronger of the two. Also in this game is Monstrous Magnet, which are magnets that shoot electric bolts at Wario. This can be picked up and thrown at metal walls to create platforms. Flying Spade is a shovel that can fly around and shoot beams at Wario. Super Paper Mario has the Sproyoing, which are spring enemies colored like Slinkies. When a Sproyoing is defeated, it will turn into a mini Sproing. The stronger versions are the Boyoing, Zoyoing, and Dark Spoing-Oing, which each also break into mini versions when defeated. Treasure Chomps are from Wario Land Shake It. These are mimic enemies that can only be killed by feeding it a bomb. Treasure Pest is also a mimic enemy, this time from Wario Land Master of the Skies. These are mimics that randomly appear and prevent Wario from getting whatever treasure is inside. The mimic enemy from Bowser's Inside Story is Trasher and Dark Trasher, with Dark Trasher being the stronger of the two. Luigi's Mansion 3 has Takarabako Obake, which is also a mimic-like enemy, but this one is possessed by ghost orbs. Ghost Face is from New Super Mario Bros. Wii. This is a vase that spins in the air and then flies at the player. Virtual Boy Wario Land simply has the Vase, which is a living vase enemy that can either release an enemy or a big coin. The enemy that it releases is called Vased Based, which is a jumping enemy with a pointy bottom and two spears. Pinhead is from Super Mario Galaxy 2, and this is a bowling pin. The bowling pin can only be knocked over by Rock Mario. Hop Chops are carnivorous spring enemies. Just like normal springs, they can be bounced off by Mario. These little guys are also a Mario Maker enemy. Super Mario Galaxy 1 has Spring, which is an enemy with a spring on the top, bottom, left, and right. These are an enemy that acts as an obstacle for Boo Mario. Captain Toad has the Stumper, stumps that are often stacked on each other's heads and can move back and forth. They have flat heads so they can also be stood on. Bucket Man is an enemy that hides in the trash can. He moves back and forth and can be stood on. Jumping to Super Mario Land 2, we have a bunch of strange enemies. First is Biro, which is a living Japanese lantern. I imagine when Super Mario Land 2 first released in the West, this enemy must have been very confusing. Jack in the Box is exactly what it sounds like, a Jack in a Box that comes out of blocks and hops after Mario. Kara Kara is a very specific enemy that is a reference to Japanese folklore. The creature is based on is a spirit called Kirakasa Obake. Kiddo Kato is very simply a toy soldier. The Broom is simply a living broom. It sweeps back and forth and will hurt Mario if he hits it. Screw is a living screw. These will wind themselves out of the ground and then hop at Mario. Star is a space enemy that acts more like a spike than a regular enemy, but thanks to those angry faces, we definitely know they're alive. Moving from Mario to Wario games, we have the Hell Mutt, which appears to be a spike helmet that hops up and down. Haridama are yellow spike balls with faces. They act like every other spike ball. Same with Tobomasuku, which are also living spike balls. Speaking of living spike balls, we have the Mine, which are seen during the Cat-Bat boss fight, and will turn Wario into Puffy Wario. And to round out the spike ball with faces, we have Igashira-kun, which is a red spike ball with a face that is usually found sleeping. Seeing eye doors from Wario Land 3, these are doors with eyes that won't let Wario by. But if he is invisible, they can't see him and they will open up. King Tsuba in Wario Land 4 is a walking burner enemy. He also looks to be very sad and crying, most likely due to the fact that his head is on fire. Dice is from Wario Land 4 and is a living 6-sided die. They appear to be robots that carry harpoon guns. Also in that game is the pin enemy, which are pins that parachute down from above. They are only seen in the Aerodance boss fight. Speaking of enemies only seen in boss fights, we have Teddy Bear. This is a pink teddy bear inside of a blue orb used by the boss Golden Diva to try and hurt Wario. Also in that battle is the Hammerbot, which is a spiked hammer with an eye that will try and pound on Wario. If it misses, the spikes will retract and Wario can attack it. Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga has Eeker, which is a beaker in a hula skirt with angry eyes and fire in his hands. Wario Land Master of the Skies has 3 enemies called Jack the Knife, Slaughter Fork, and Spoonatic, which is a living knife, fork, and spoon, respectively. Also in that game is the Roltergeist, which is a living bread roll. Because of the Geist on the end, I assume that these are also ghosts. Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story has Tenderling, which is a living piece of meat found inside of Bowser's body. The more you think about this enemy, the grosser you realize it is. Back to trash cans for a second, we have Junker Can and Junker Can X, which are trash can enemies only seen in the boss fight with Junker. Krubbish is another trash can enemy, this one from Mario & Luigi Dream Team. This trash can is robotic and moves around on treads. Sticking with Dream Team for a bit, we have Grumbell, which is literally just a dumbbell with eyes. It has no extra features except these eyes. Storch is a living torch. As you'd expect, it's a torch, so it attacks with fire. There's also Skip Drill and the Skip Drill R, which are drill bits that jump on Mario and Luigi and attempt to drill down on them. Rounding out Dream Team, we have Tick Squatch, which is an enemy that is a stopwatch, and it looks very evil. Yoshi's Crafted World has Champa Gobbler, which are blue paper lantern ghosts that fly around the level. If they catch Yoshi, they will act like security guards and send them back to the beginning of the room. Also in this game are Mel and Dark Mel. These are caramel candy enemies that stack up to get in Yoshi's way. However, because they're caramel candy, they can be eaten by Yoshi. The Dark Mel, however, is still in its wrapper, so Yoshi cannot eat these ones. Super Mario Maker 2 has the Bumper, and if you don't think these bouncing bumpers with eyes are enemies, you haven't played Super Mario Maker 2. Luigi Mansion 3 has Possessed Bin, which is a garbage can possessed by ghost orbs. Super Mario Wonder has the Knock Knock, which is a fake door with a mouth that will chase after Mario. Mario can jump on them to defeat them. And in Mario Kart, we have Music Bash, who are enemies that will bounce to the beat of the song. As they bounce, they create waves on the racing track, making racing more difficult. In Super Mario RPG, the boss Balloon can make clones of all the playable characters. He can make one of Mario, Mallow, Geno, Bowser, and Princess Peach, making each one of these a different enemy. Later in the game, in the fight with Wiz-A-Koopa, he can summon a clone of Jinx, who isn't actually a Mario enemy, but his clone definitely is. In Mario & Luigi Dream Team, Kamek will summon clones of himself. The clones of him will help him in battle. Cosmic clones are black versions of Mario that will follow him around and mimic his movement. If they touch him, they will deal damage to him. Very similar to that is the big Cosmic clone, which are much bigger and break blocks as they chase Mario. The Fury Shadow is a goop-colored creature that looks like Luigi. These will flee from Mario and must be caught in order to progress in the level. Super Mario Wonder has Rift Mario, which is very similar to Cosmic Mario, but doesn't have legs and looks more ghost-like. Black Bogmire is a weak clone of the boss Bogmire. They are summoned by him during his boss battle. Wario World has Magician, which is a magician with a curly mustache, top hat, and tied up in ropes. Though they aren't actually magicians at all, they're actually vampires. Kurakura is from Super Mario Land 2. These are vampires that attack by throwing bats. Kirororo is an enemy based on Japanese folklore. More specifically, the Haitatsum Kozo, which is some sort of spirit or ghost that appears as a one-eyed child. Back to Super Mario RPG, we have Jester, whose name describes him pretty perfectly. He's just a gesture enemy. Also in that game is Ginny, aka Ginny the Genie, because this is a genie character, or a djinn. I guess there's no lamp, so it's probably a djinn. There's also Shaman, which is a hooded wizard with strong magical powers. More often, these are seen as allies than enemies. Crook and the Sacket, which are little thieves with sacks on their back. The Sacket is the stronger of the two. And Ninja, who is an extremely fast enemy that attacks with shurikens. Back to Wario World, we got some weird enemies. First, we have Clown and Big Clown, which is again a reskin of the Magan, but a clown. This game also has the Meaty and the Big Meaty, which are enemies that even after researching, I have no clue what they are. So here's a picture of them. You tell me what they are. Mask Clubber acts just like every other club enemy from this game, but this one is a guy with a mask. As mentioned earlier, there's also the Snake Charmer, who charms snakes using a pan flute. Hopping to Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, we have the X-Nauts, and the stronger version, the Elite X-Naut. These are the main minions of the X-Naut organization in the game. Obviously, the Elite version is the stronger of the two. There's also X-Nauts with an S, which is a large group of X-Nauts that are fought as a group. X-Naut PhD are ones that wear lab coats and throw chemicals. The chemicals can inflict status conditions on Mario. Dark Craw is a humanoid bird creature. Its main weapon is a spear. It can be fought in the Glitz Pit and Pit of 100 Trials. Moving from one Paper Mario game to the next, we have Super Paper Mario with Boomboxer, which is an enemy that uses sound waves to attack. The stronger versions of this are the Beatboxer, the Blast Boxer, and the Dark Boom Boxer. Like many other bosses, Demento can create clones of himself, and these clones are their own enemy. Floocragians are brainwashed versions of cavemen. The plants in their head are what are controlling them. Speaking of cavemen, we have Clumph, who is a bean caveman from Mario & Luigi's Superstar Saga. Collector is from Super Mario Land 2. These are small enemies in a witch hat with a big nose that flee from Mario and carry one-up hearts. Mad Bombers are from the strange game Wario Blast featuring Bomberman. The Mad Bomber functions the exact same as the Bomberman in the game. Count Richtofen is a large enemy that jumps up and down to cause earthquakes. His last name is a play off of Richter scale, the scale used to measure earthquakes. Bo Balloon is a large head archer enemy. As you would suspect, they shoot arrows. Wario Master of the Skies has 3 security guards: Nigel B. Whistlebottom, Officer Kicksworth, and Sergeant Houndstooth. Sergeant Houndstooth is the one who summons Dave the dog. Paper Mario: The Origami King has Big Cutout Soldier and Little Cutout Soldiers, which are big and small humanoid creatures that appear to be cut out of black paper. Super Paper Mario has Samurai. There are 100 total of these in the game, and they come in many different forms: green, blue, red, blue, big, small, knight, neon, spike, mace, and end boss. I guess end boss counts as a boss, so we won't count him, but the rest are all unique enemies from the game. Super Mario Land has the Fist Pipe, which is a fist that comes out of a pipe to hit Mario. Underhand is from Super Paper Mario. It's a hand enemy only found underwater, and it extends to try and hit Mario. Mizo no T and Sunakera T are a water and sand hand respectively. They are both from Wario Land 3. The water hand tries to knock Wario into the water, and the sand hand does the same thing, but with quicksand. Fake Hand is from Partners in Time. This is an ooze hand that holds cardboard cutouts of enemies. Super Mario Wonder has Hoppy Cap, which is a spiked enemy whose appearance reminds me of those popper caps from the 90s. They peek out from underneath their cap to look at Mario, and will jump when he jumps. Their spiked heads allow them to break blocks. Wonder Hoppy Cat is a bigger and larger version of this. In fact, he's much bigger. Spinia, Spania, and Spunnia are all from Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. Each one of these attacks by spinning. Spania has spikes and can't be jumped on, and Spunnia has fangs, symbolizing that it's stronger. And Super Paper Mario has Dark Spania. The only real enemies in the Dr. Mario series are the 3 viruses. And you could argue these aren't enemies because they're part of a puzzle game, but they actually do show up as enemies in both Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga and Mario & Luigi Dream Team. Hopping over to Super Mario RPG, we have the Octolot, which is similar to an Octorock, but other than that, I don't know what it is. The stronger version is the Octovader. Both of them shoot projectiles to attack. Sticking to this game, we have Cluster, who is a cluster of crystals with eyes. Its stronger version is the Pulsar. Enigma and Enigmax are really weird enemies. They appear to be a cluster of fuzzballs, all together with a pig nose, 2 fangs, and bat wings. The name Enigma fits perfectly.
The inner machinations of my mind are an enigma.
Jawful is a sad-looking, weird enemy wielding a fork. Its strong version is the Forky, which is a metallic version of the Jawful. Penny is from Hotel Mario. This is an enemy that has the appearance of a coin. The name Penny makes me question if Mario has pennies in his universe. Is a coin a penny? Is that why 100 coins gives you a 1-up? Gold Pit are enemies that eat rocks and then spit them at Mario. If there are no rocks in the field, they can also lick Mario to attack. Sled Creature is from Wario World, and other than it being a creature, I don't know what it is. Maybe a bird, maybe a yeti, maybe just a sled, I don't know. Witch is also in Wario World, and these are magical enemies that attack by throwing electricity. This game has a lot of enemies that attack with electricity. Back to hands for 1 second, we have Dead Hands. These are hand enemies summoned by the Shadow Queen to fight alongside her. You could argue these are part of the Shadow Queen, but they are listed as their own unique enemy. Same goes for the Queen's more standard hands that are also their own enemies. The very basic enemy of the Super Paper Mario games is the Squiglet, who appears to simply be a pixel. He has many stronger versions. First is Squig without the let. This is a purple version, then Squog, who is green, and Skoinker, who is light pink. I listed them in order of strength. The strongest version, as you would suspect from this game, is Dark Squiglet. Remember the Ice Churble from earlier? Well, that was a nice enemy. But the regular Churble, I don't know what this is, other than a very unfortunately shaped enemy. They spray pink mist at Mario Wario to put him to sleep. Similar is the poison Cherbil that is green and uses poison, and the strongest version, the dark Cherbil. Frackle is a round beaked enemy on wheels. They were only seen during the boss fight with Fractal. Rackles are a stronger variant of these, and they're only seen during the boss battle with Ractal, who is a purple Fractal. Gromiba is an orange square with the ability to clone itself. Its stronger version is the blue Meba, and even stronger than that is Chromeba, who is the gray variant. And the strongest, as always with these games, is Dark Gromiba. These little guys are the Kershas versus the regular cursor that slows you. Then there's the Bat Cursor that sends you the flip side. Tech Cursor will disable your skills and abilities. Heavy Cursor will make you heavy so you can't jump as high. And Reverse Cursor will reverse your controls, which is the most frustrating thing to me. 4 out of 5 of these, excluding the Bat Cursor, have a dark version as well. The Tyloid comes in many colors: blue, green, red, and yellow. The blue are extremely slow. The green move faster. The red are stronger and have more health. And the yellow are, well, even faster. And there's also the dark Tyloid. Photon is an enemy made up of 2 squares that shrink and grow. They attack by shooting projectiles. The Warped is a strange outer space creature that has the ability to warp. Mario must wait until it's completely finished warping in order to attack it. Longators and Longodiles are enemies that stretch out to attack. The red one is the stronger of the two, and the strongest is of course the Dark Longator. Hooligan is an enemy simply made up of shapes. The stronger version is the Eelagon, which is red and flies in space, and surprisingly there's no Dark Hooligan, but there is a Dark Eelagon. There's also Ninjo, Ninjan, Ninjari, and Dark Ninjo, with each one being stronger than the last. They all attack by throwing shurikens. Magiblock comes in 3 colors: blue, red, and yellow, with the blue being the base, the red being stronger, and the yellow having the most health. As with all enemies in this game, they come in dark form. Alright, let's switch games. Go to Super Mario Galaxy 2, where we have Smeech, which is an enemy whose only goal is to kiss Yoshi. If this thing is kissing Yoshi, it prevents him from using his tongue. Gummit is a weird head that pops out of holes. This only happens on an ice rink during the Star, the Chimps Skating Challenge, and the Chimps Ultimate Skating Challenge. Mario must skate over them in a whack-a-mole type game. There's also the Golden Gummit, which is worth more points, and finally Spiky Gumbit, who Mario must avoid as they will simply knock him back and are worth no points. Mud Troopers are from Captain Toad. They move very slow and act a lot like zombies. Because they are slow, weak enemies, they often appear in groups. Rokutan are enemies flying planes in Super Mario Land. To be honest, they kind of look like minions. Super Mario Land 2 has the floating face, which is a face that moves diagonally and bounces off of walls, ceilings, and floors. Its face is very similar to that of Wario's. Wow! Donutier is from Wario Land 2. These are enemies holding a fork with a large donut on the end. The donut is so big, it's nearly as big as the enemy. Appleby is an enemy that will pop out of the ground and throw apples at Wario. They're from Wario Land 3. Back to Super Mario Land, we have the Pinapi, which is based on the Jiangshi from Chinese folklore. Funnily enough, they act exactly like fighter flies hopping to attack. Inomaza from Wario Land 2 is an enemy. This thing charges electricity over its head to attack. Togoman appear to be spiked shells that hop at Wario to attack. Zombie is a pretty straightforward creature. It's a zombie with a nose like Wario, though they do have the surprising attack to throw their heads at Wario. Virtual Boy Wario Land has some weird enemies as well. First is the Crawling Skull, which is an enemy that hangs from the ceiling and will attempt to fall down on top of Wario's head. Horned Spearman is an enemy wielding a spear with a horned helmet on his head. Bladeface is a masked enemy that appears to have blades on the side. These enemies are indestructible and move around in a circle pattern. Little Faceball are minions of the boss Faceball. They are spiked in the bottom, but when stunned will lose the spikes. Remember the sun from Wario Land 3? Well, if you go through that same area and it's nighttime, there will be Mr. Moon instead, which is a moon enemy that will shoot stars as projectiles, and these stars strangely will electrocute Wario. Nobiru is also from Wario Land 3. These things' color palette make it look like it's from a Virtual Boy game, but it's actually not. They are spiked enemies that attempt to extend out of the wall to hit Wario. Togoba is a completely indestructible enemy that will simply sit there and do nothing. Wario can simply walk underneath them and get by them, or he can use a smash attack to stun it, withdrawing its spikes and then use it as a platform. Yeti is from Wario Land 4. It appears to have a cold and will try and sneeze its icy breath on Wario as an attack. When the weather is flipped, it will become the Iowa, which are Sasquatch-like enemies that will attack by throwing rocks. Banano are axe-wielding ghouls that appear to look like executioners, though their pink hat does make them look more fun than a standard executioner. And in the Golden Diva boss fight of the game, we see Green Enemy. This is a sad-looking enemy that flies around and lets out spikes from its bottom. He's probably sad because he was never given an actual name. Anubu is from Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. These are weird enemies based on Anubis that are completely shadow and have red glowing eyes. Daruma Otashi-kun are from Yoshi's Topsy Turvy. They appear to be purple spiked dinosaurs, or maybe birds, but they don't have wings. Super Princess Peach has Way Down, which are enemies that swarm Princess Peach as she uses her Joy ability. The Joy ability gives her the ability to fly, so these will weigh her down. Love Bubble and Soul Bubble are pink and yellow bubble enemies with wings. They are both seen in Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. Goblin are yellow ball enemies that sit still and block paths. They will eat eggs, getting bigger with each one. After they eat 6 eggs, they will pop. Wario Master of the Skies has the Snow Globe and the Blow Globe, which both act very similar to Boo's, not moving when looked at. The Snow Globe is the standard enemy, and the Blow Globe will attack by blowing snow at Wario. Also in Wario Land Master of Disguise is Blamsies, who is a golden statue head that shoots projectiles at Wario. Pep is from Bowser's Inside Story. They come in 3 colors: red, green, and blue. These power up enemies by combining with them. The red one gives power, the green defense, and the blue speed. Pro Batter are enemies with spiked bats that will attack by hitting a ball. Each time they are hit, they will get bigger. The stronger version of this is the Thwomp. Mario Luigi Dream Team has Illo, which is some sort of floating statue that looks kind of like a building. It attacks by shooting a laser out of its pink eye. And Tasman is a wizard-like enemy with a torch. They have strong magical attacks and the ability to heal. The Hoorah is an enemy that is part of the Husky species, and there's also the Hoorah X, who is the stronger variant. Mini Pyaloid and Mini Pyaloid X are also in this game. They only seen during the actual boss fight with Pyalodium. And Tasma, the final boss of the game, also has supporting enemies. They're called Antasmunchi, and the stronger variant of the boss, Antasmax, has the Antasmunchi X. Bushido is from Yoshi's Crafted World. These are adorable samurais made out of milk cartons. Sticking to this game, we have Bunma Washi Doll, which is an indestructible clown doll with an axe. When they see Yoshi, they will screech and then attack him with the axe. Though they can't be killed, they can be stunned by light. Makey are enemies that will roll and unroll tape. They can only be stunned by Yoshi, but can be defeated by Poochie. Super Mario Wonder has Snoodle and Big Snoodle, which are green things with orange mouths and yellow eyes that simply bounce around. There's also Maw, which is an enemy that will walk around and eat anything in its path, including power-ups, enemies, or even Mario. And last but not least, and yes, we've made it to the end, is the Sugar Star, coming in green and magenta. These are enemies that will travel in a circle with the magenta ones moving faster. And that's it. That's every single Mario enemy. Special thanks to the Mario Wiki and everyone who contributes to it. A vast majority of my research for this video was done on that site. Thank you so much for watching.